line for those who can accrue the most points. And here again is our start list for semi-final A. Look out for the French woman we just heard from, Cassandra Beaugrand. She's always very, very fast out of the blocks, and she has a fantastic run. At the other end, look for Vicky Holland in 10, Katie Zafiris in 13. A couple of Aussies there, qualified too, in Felicity Sheedy-Ryan and Kerry Morris, as is a couple of new Italians in Anna Maria Mazzetti and Ilaria Zane. But we're about to get everything underway here in Jersey. It's semi-final A, and the top 5 go through, and I think we've got a clean start. 300 metres in the water and 120 metres out to the first boy. Alongside me in commentary right now, Jodie Stimpson and Chris McCormack. Good to see a clean start, Macca.
A magnificent start. And I think all of us were looking at the far left and far right of the screen. It looks like Katie Zafiris got the better start from all views of it.
Katie Zafiris is closest to us here.
Too.
And at the other end, on the far end, that's Cassandra Beaugrand.
Cassandra Beaugrand. They're the two we're looking for in the water. I'm looking also for Emily Moret, the under-23 world champion. She's going to be there. And Mazzetti, the Italian, who I think will be very, very close to front. She's had a magnificent season. If she's got a weakness, it tends to be slightly in the water, but on bike and run, she's magnificent.
Now, Georgia Taylor-Brown just before said she expected everyone to come out of the water together, but already, Jodie, they seem to be breaking up a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think they're all going to come out of the water together. I'm going to go against Georgia here. Just you have got some fast swimmers here. And you've also got Kate, who's actually, I think, the only athlete that's actually vouched for a leg suit, which is quite interesting because the water is very cold. So I think that's a really smart decision.
And is that Beaugrand off the front?
It is, I think, yeah. Is it?
It doesn't look like the French flag.
No, it doesn't look like the
but
French flag.
It's because it's the furthest back I've seen Katie Zafiris in any of the swims. She can make up for it a lot, and she's got the wider run around this swim buoy. So the option to go wide was an interesting one. As we know that the winner of this semi-final gets the short shoot, so I'm looking at to see between these two who are favourites to win the round.
Also, 5 points on offer for the fastest swim split, and that goes straight into the jerseys and the jersey competition we just mentioned. So the top 5 out of the water will pick up points to go to that blue jersey, and we've got someone straight off the front. And a little bit of a battle as they turn the first buoy at 120 metres, and already they're turning for home. Super League Triathlon, Jodie, just happens so quickly, doesn't it? There's no chance, if you don't get a great start, as you can see there, there's not much chance to make up for it.
No, definitely. You have to be in that hustle and bustle around that first buoy. No matter if you're the first person around it, it is so much easier. But anything apart from that, then you just have to get amongst it, and you have to get in that washing machine and get yourself around that first buoy. And it's really short, so you need to get up there quickly.
And there's less athletes than last year, with only 14 in the semi-finals. It makes for a little bit more room. I know we used to have Alistair saying with less athletes it makes it a lot more difficult for the weaker swimmers to stay closer to the front because more gaps are opening up. So that could play havoc as they get out of the water in these fast transitions.
But when you say the weaker swimmers are usually the ones that are used to this fight scenario and used to kind of getting around. So I mean, that's kind of how I kind of got around in this swim, is that I'm used to that scrap around the first buoy and get amongst it, where Kate is not necessarily used to that, which is why I think she usually does suffer in the first swim, and she won't like the position that she's in at the minute.
Without question at all. Who is that on the front?
Is it the Hungarian?
Yeah.
I think it'd be Jeanette Brugmeier, the Hungarian.
Yeah,
I think you're correct, actually.
Yes.
Jeanette Brugmeier came in to the series for the first time in 2019. This is her first.
It's Beaugrand,
yeah,
it is.
Beaugrand.
It's definitely Beaugrand.
Yeah,
She had a much better start,
right.
and that'll be interesting because that side last year and the year before was always the quicker side to start on. I was surprised when Katie Zafiris, who had the right to pick first on the pontoon, chose that further side.
Yeah, last year I kind of went straight next to Sophie and I was number 2.
All right, we're going to head down onto the pontoon. Joe has got Henry Schoeman, who unfortunately is injured. Joe, how are you seeing them coming in?
We've got the excellent swimmer Henry Schoeman with us. Well, Henry, it looks like Cassandra's out in front. What do you make of this rivalry so far?
Yeah, Cassandra had a very nice start in the beginning. Closely behind is Takahashi. Zavaris is in the mix, and Spavi and Holland had a very good swim as well. It will be interesting to see if they go aggressive now and really push on that bike.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Henry. Thanks, Joe. There you go. Up the top is both Zafiris and Beaugrand, who's leading them, and Kerry Morris there at the back is already in danger. Yuko Takahashi, ever the consistent one, and Vicky Holland, who raced here last year and came in as world champion and didn't do what she'd hoped that she could do. I think the pace of it all came onto her pretty quickly, came 11th.
It's funny that we're talking about semi-final number 1, and Vicky Holland, a world champion, Olympic bronze medalist, has not been on everyone's lips coming in. It's been Beaugrand and Zafiris that people we're talking about, but Vicky's right there with a magnificent swim.
Okay, 300 metres of the swim done. And just a reminder, in this semi-final, it is swim, bike, run, making it a sprint enduro. So they'll head through distances twice through. And from there, we'll take our top 5. We'll go through to the final, and they'll have to wait the rest of them from 6th through 10th or so and sweat it out to see how fast the second semi-final is as they head onto the bikes for the first time. And it's funny how people are doing things a little bit differently. Some people mounting their bikes before the line, trying to negotiate, but most people doing the smart thing and getting around the bottom end of the course before they mount.
Yeah, I'd definitely go around. It's quicker. You've then got the straight line to get over your momentum, jump on and put the power down. I would definitely not be mounting, because then you have to take that dead turn and you're already going pretty slow.
We saw that in the junior race this morning. I think in the first race in the youth event, there was a lot of crashes, a lot of congestion around that, and as it progressed during the day, a lot of them opted to take that longer run, get on their bike on the straight, and this is where there was a lot of problems on that roundabout in the youth race. We had 5 or 6 crashes, especially on the entry into that roundabout when it was wet. Yeah,
it's dry now though, and Cassandra Beaugrand, who won the triple mix here last year, is out in front with Yuko Takahashi behind, and they've gapped everyone by 4 seconds from Katie Zafiris. Sandra Dode, one of our qualifiers from Bali, is just behind Zafiris. From Vittoria Lopez, the Brazilian. Taylor Spivey, Vicky Holland now back into 7th. She came out of the water in 3rd, so she's dropped a couple of places from Ilaria Zane, Anna Maria Mazzetti, the 2 Italians together. And we head down to Kerry Morris at 26 seconds back. But a cracking pace on the first of 3 laps on the bike. It's a little bit shorter than it was last year, 3.9 kilometres overall for the bike, 500 metres shorter. And the run, 1.6 kilometres.
Oh, without question. And that little dogleg we saw there through the fan zone was not there last year. We brought that in this year, and I think it's really going to favour the stronger swimmers. You've got a much more technical section that's bringing in the fans for the course. It was a request of a lot of the people here last year that thought that the event was too quick and too fast. And that dogleg, I know a lot of the athletes, Jody, were looking at that all week, especially when it was wet. It's very, very technical off that fast acceleration out of the roundabout.
Yeah, it's crazy how you think of like a dead turn, and some of the guys were panicking about it. I mean, they shouldn't be, to be honest. They're professionals. You need to go out and practice it. It's a dead turn at the end of the day. They need to be good at these things. But this is, I mean, this one's a bit difficult because you are doing a U-turn on not a concrete surface, so you do have to be careful on this one. But on the other one, it's concrete. You know, you should be able to do a dead turn.
And it's Katie versus Cassandra. Katie bringing up that second group, Cassandra and Yuko Takahashi off the front. And we saw this. I think if these changes to the bike course and to the run course, that technicality doesn't allow Katie to use her power as much as we saw last year. When she comes off that roundabout, she really applied that pressure on the fastest part of the course. Now we've taken that off and added a bit of technicality to it.
Absolutely correct. Look at that. Takahashi has taken over from Beaugrand at the front, but the two of them have gapped the rest of the field. 10 seconds it is now through the last timing, Matt. So they're really putting the hammer down, Beaugrand and Takahashi, on the first of, 4 laps. And Beaugrand at a 6:37 at the moment. And you can see there, 10 seconds back to Zafiris, who leads a train of about 8 athletes, and just hanging on the back of that is Ilaria Zane and Anna Maria Mazzetti. But these two look like they're doing it comfortably.
Yeah, Yuko Takahashi is actually really good at this format. She's raced here and she raced all the Super Leagues last year, and she showed how good she was last year. And I think she ended up in the transition jersey last year, and you know, these skills are fundamental in Super League. And you know, she showed that she was quick out of the water, and now Cassandra is using her to get around this bike course.
They've extended that grab. We saw last time that it was only a difference. They were both on that little dogleg section, and they've extended that. And I think this will be interesting because they can enable them to cruise this neck.
Oh, that's Taylor Spivey, who I think she almost got cut off there and is forced to be off the back of that. So she'll have to work hard to get onto the back of that train once again. And that just shows you, we talked about the dead turns. They don't like it, and that's exactly what happened.
And there's a block headwind right there. That's the open section of the course. It's wide open up in the fan zone. The air rushes straight up. We call it Thunder Alley, and it's like hitting a block headwind. And maybe
you call it Thunder Alley.
It sounds cool, Thunder Alley. I think it sounds cool. But I think it's going to be very, very difficult. It's interesting to see our first race through this. I ripped around that bike course when we first planned it. I spoke to Vincent Lewis yesterday, who went over it. I spoke to Ben Canute, who also went over it. And they were excited about that little dog leg and said it would be very, very difficult for people to reel people in. The escaped bike groups like this, especially small ones, will be hard to reel in.
Yeah, definitely. When you go into that dead turn, you're at such an advantage. You can take your own lines, you can power out. And the people that are like 3 or 4 bike lengths back, they've got to produce so much more power than the first person going around.
At which point in this race do you think, Jody, if Katie Zafiris looks at Cassandra, and obviously it's only early doors here, but if it remained at 10 seconds or 15 seconds, at what point does Katie Zafiris know that she's going to qualify anyway for tomorrow's? If she finishes 3rd, she's going to qualify, but she's not going to get the short shoot. And to give a runner like Beaugrand a 3-second advantage on a run, it's a big shadow hanging over your head going into tomorrow's final.
Yeah, definitely. If you were just literally talking about the pacing of events, then Katie's one of the best out there. She showed it last year that she knows how to, save, conserve energy, and then use it when it actually matters. She won't like the fact if Cassandra gets this, short shoot, she won't like that at all, because Cassandra, you'd see that her and Katie are the two that are going to be fighting out for the title this weekend.
Cassandra is the best runner we've ever had on this course. She posted the fastest, what do we call it, the fastest actual run speed of any Super League race was done here by Cassandra Beaugrand last year. So she is our fastest runner through data we've looked at. So it is very, very difficult to give an athlete of this caliber any short shoot advantage. And I think Katie's going to move up on this next run or force the pace on this next run to close that gap.
Yeah, and I think that she'll also, Cassandra is an absolutely fantastic swimmer, but Katie is good when she is swimming off the run as well. So I think that's another element to Super League, is that it's not just a straight swim. You have to be able to swim when you're extremely fatigued after doing a swim bike run as well, and Katie's very good at that.
And when you look at the data from last year, especially the pacing data, it's the second swim that's the biggest drop-off in these sprint enduros, the enduro format. So the bikes tend to stay, bikes and runs stayed relatively similar throughout the entire event. And Vincent Lewis and Cassandra and Katie Zaferis are by far the strongest at the back end. But it's this second swim that's very, very difficult, and they lose most of their time.
Yeah, that's usually where we see these races that are run at such high heart rates blow apart a little bit when they have to finish one triathlon and head straight into another one. And the best athletes, like Zafiris, and someone's down. We can hear it on the PA system. I think we've had an accident at the bottom end of the course, and it is Takahashi, who has come a cropper, well, that's an Australian term, who has fallen over on the black carpet, and that leaves Cassandra Beaugrand out in front by herself, and the rest of the field will have seen that.
She has that margin of error being off the front with Cassandra. She'll get gobbled up. She'll be able to contain herself, get herself back together. She's a great runner. Got a big second swim. I think there's nothing to panic about for Yuko.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for Cassandra, because I think she was actually using Yuko Takahashi very well. Now she's out there solo. She may like it because then she can take her own lines.
It's last lap now. She can just sort of cruise in, get her breathing under control, get her mind under control, and set up for this run where she's most comfortable.
Yeah, she certainly is an incredible runner, Cassandra Beaugrand. She showed that. She's in our forecast consultancy number crunching, the #1 runner and the absolute standout in terms of running. She's only 21 years old. She's so good at mixed team relay. Another product of that French Grand Prix racing where they're just doing it short and sharp at the moment. In 2019, she's had some pretty good results, actually. Her World Triathlon Series ranking in the end was 8th. She finished 17th in the Lausanne Grand Final a few weeks ago, and 3rd overall last year, and that's missing 2 rounds, Macca. She won in Singapore. She came 2nd in Jersey last year. She didn't do the other 2 rounds, but because she was so strong in those, she still finished on the podium.
Well, when she's racing, she's never fallen out of the podium or just off. She's always in the action. She did 2 races, and that's the consistency that got her right there. And her performance in Singapore against Katie in this enduro format was first class.
And here she is currently 11 seconds clear. Takahashi has managed to stay a little bit clear of the chasing pack, but they are tracking her down as quickly as possible. And that's headed by Zafiris, who's done all the work out in front. Sandra Daudet has been smart and stayed right behind Zafiris. We're going to head down now to Joe as they come into transition. Take us through it, Joe.
Sandra is just making her way through here. She's got an 11-second lead. Cassandra, can you hold Katie up? Okay, we'll let her get on. Henry, it's been a bit of a big gap for Katie Zafiris. Are you surprised how much of a gap so far?
Yeah, we've already had so much happening in this race. Takahashi came down. Zafiris is about 15 seconds back, and Beaugrand can now run nice and relaxed.
And Taylor Spivey here, doing well. Looks like she's on the back of that group again, Taylor Spivey. Do you think she has a chance of making the top 5?
Yeah, definitely. It's still a long race ahead. She's back in the main group, and she just needs to stay calm and relaxed.
Excellent. Back to you.
Takahashi through in 2nd. Vicky Holland through in 3rd, and she had a graze at the top of her thigh. I'm not sure where that happened. It must have happened, off camera, obviously, but she's managed to get back up if she's had an accident.
Maybe coming out of the water. Maybe coming out of the water. It's hard to get out, especially when it's slippy. I wouldn't have thought it had happened on the bike. She'd have dropped back out of the pack, so I'm presuming it was...
Are you questioning her pace if she's on her own? Is that what you're saying? She wouldn't be able to get back to the pack if she'd come off on the bike?
She's not cycled that well this year. She's not cycled that well this year, so Yeah, I'm going to go with that.
There we go out the front.
She seems
though.
a lot more committed, though, in that transition. I recall coming in last year as the world champion, we expected a lot from Vicky Holland, and she really struggled with the pace. But right now, looking at her at the split, she's right there with Katie Zaferis. She just looked committed, moved up to make sure she was right off the front, off the bike, came through very slick and looked controlled, had a little glance over the shoulders to see where Katie was, and I think is in a fantastic position to qualify.
Oh, definitely. I think Vicky's very good tactically, and if she has a weakness, then she is really good at racing it and kind of hiding her weakness and making the most out of it. And she's in the perfect position. Like, yeah, her cycling's not been great this year, but her running has been phenomenal. In some races, I know she's been extremely frustrated that she hasn't been able to show it.
Cassandra Beaugrand looking there like she's running in slow motion, but to give you an idea of how quick she is actually going or is capable of going, Summer Rappaport is in terms of getting around the Jersey course, around a 3:18 pace, and that was the top in the Enduro last year. But right behind her, Beaugrand at a 3:20 pace, and she just looks so comfortable as a runner, and it looks effortless in a way that the other athletes out there never look.
Well, she has to control herself. This is the semi-final. The round is won tomorrow in the finals in the Enduro format, which is the toughest format. You can see the desperation now in Katie to close that gap. This is all about a short shoot. You're going to give Cassandra Beaugrand, if she stays off the front, a short shoot advantage in the final, and Katie, as a competitor she is, does not want to give anyone an advantage.
90-second rule is in effect, as we should have mentioned earlier on in the telecast. Any athlete that falls 90 seconds or further behind any time through transition will be eliminated, and Felicity Sheedy Ryan is at 128 at the moment in Aspen. So she's in danger of being run out of it by Cassandra Beaugrand by the time she gets through transition, and we'll see the yellow flag come out. But right now, controlling this race is the Frenchwoman Cassandra Beaugrand. She won on Saturday last year in Jersey. She's looking like she could do the same, and it is very good to see the 2018 world champion right behind the 2019 world champion in second and third position. Holland with the hopes of the Brits resting on her shoulders, and Sandra Daudet, another French woman, our first qualifier, if you like, in terms of outside of the top-ranked athletes, is at the head of that second pack, with Spivey moving back into position ahead of Emily Morier and now Takahashi, who's finding this run a little more difficult after having that small accident on the bike. There is Anna Maria Mazzetti from Italy. Behind her, Ilaria Zane, two back, and in between them is Vittoria Lopez of Brazil.
These girls are working really hard. They're gonna suffer in this second swim. If you've got to, go and dig deep into the red zone even before you get into that second swim, you're in trouble. And especially if you're digging into the red zone and you're not holding on to the likes of Katie or Vicky, it's worth it if you're up there, because then you've got feet in the swim. But then if you're so far back and you're diving in and you're already being gapped, you're going to struggle.
Well, you can contrast the face. Look at that, the relaxation of Cassandra. She's in complete control. She knows she's got a little bit of a margin of error on both on Katie and Vicky. She can control this. She's a magnificent swimmer. Set it up for an easier bike. Take that short shoot if she's to win it. I'm looking ahead, but she just looks very, very controlled, and that was all set up in that first swim.
Yeah,
everything.
She did. She's done her tactics perfectly. I mean, she was out there. She got to control the bike, and now she's just controlling the run. Katie and Vicky are both having to work hard, but I still think Katie's, controlling her efforts.
Elimination clock.
That elimination clock could not have been closer, as Claudie Simard, I think it is there, and Felicity Sheedy Ryan crossed the line, and it was 1 second for Sheedy Ryan that she was ousted by. You saw it tick at 1:31 as she came across. She was sprinting for the line. But the day is over for Canada's Claudie Simard. You can see the look on the faces. They found the going tough out there. Everybody who comes into Super League Triathlon for the first time is shocked by the pace of it.
Yeah, of course, it's super hard. I mean, you go into there, and every interview you have with athletes, it's how brutal Super League is, and they've just found out how brutal.
Well, this is interesting because you've got to count. Remember, to go through to tomorrow's final, it's the top 5 guaranteed qualify and then the top 5 fastest times. So you're leaving yourself with a little bit of a gambling going on, I guess. If you dropped out of that top 5, you got to wait for those times from the second semi-final and hope you're through. So the aim of the game, I guess, is to make sure you finish in that top 5 to secure that slot in the final.
Let's head down again to Joe, who is in transition, and in is coming Cassandra Beaugrand, who's been in charge of this race. Joe.
Well, yes, Cassandra Beaugrand is in charge of this race. I have Claudie and Felicity with me, who unfortunately have been the first victims of elimination. Felicity, you were 1 second out. What happened?
I know, I could see it. I only saw the clock just as I was running in, and I was like, oh no, it's going to be touch and go.
No, I had an okay swim for me, like I was just in, but I just mucked up a few of those bike corners and I sort of slipped out on my wheel a little bit, and yeah, it really cost me. Wasn't smooth enough through. It was just the technical side that got me today. Commiserations, Claudine. Will we see you girls tomorrow?
Oh yeah, sure.
Excellent. We'll see you girls tomorrow. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. As we head back to the action, Cassandra Beaugrand 12 seconds ahead as she heads back into the water. You can see some of the athletes getting ready there and getting their goggles and swim cap on whilst they're running at like a 3:30 pace. So how hard is that?
That's pretty hard. I mean, the hardest bit now is obviously they've just run and they've now got to run down this quite steep ramp and dive back in. And your legs are already to jelly, and then you've got to, handle running downhill before you even think about getting in the water. So it's not easy on the quads.
And as that tide drops, that ramp gets steeper and steeper.
That's right. It's something we don't really speak about that much, but you can see them coming down. It looks steep there, but it is, and someone's overtaking there too. There's a chance to pick up, if you're brave, a couple of extra seconds. And
well, I think Katie closed down I think she closed more in that transition on Cassandra Beaugrand than she did in the entire run, and she was able to gap Vicky Holland there all through transition.
I think you're right. She certainly pushed up on it. It was 12 seconds through our last timing, Matt. It'll be interesting to see there. Spivey, Takahashi, Anna Maria Mazzetti, Lopez and Ilaria Zane make up your top 9.
Is that Emily Moreira on the back, the young under-23 World Championship champion?
She's not in our timing. Kerry Morris has come through 10th, and I can't see Emily Moreira, but she did have her swim goggles on a second ago, so
I think that's a drop-off. I definitely saw a French flag at the back. It could have been Dodé.
Dodé came into the water 4th.
Yep.
There are the 2 Italians who've come through the timing map, but we'll keep you updated on that. At the front, though, for the French fans, Cassandra Beaugrand continues, and she's got such a fluid stroke. She's just a very controlled athlete, certainly working within herself now. I can update you, though, that Kerry Morris, another of our Australian qualifiers, is the next to have been eliminated. So this is a 10-strong race as I make it at the moment.
I think Katie's going to be near enough on her feet by the time that they get out here.
This is where Katie is strong, right? As you said earlier, her second swim's remarkable. She's like a diesel engine. She gets stronger and stronger as the race goes, and we've seen that round over round. Especially last year when we had those dual races over a weekend, she was much stronger in the second day than she was in the first. Yeah,
and I mean, you're totally right. I mean, look at these gaps that are appearing in the second swim. And you said it earlier that this is where the damage is done. Katie's already bridged across to Cassandra now, and, there's their 2 up. And unfortunately, Vicky's missed Katie's feet, which is, I mean, that's a tactical error. I'm sure she couldn't do much about it, to be honest. But if she could have held her feet, there's 3 away, and you're in the final for tomorrow.
Well, there was a committed transition from Katie. I saw her rush in. You saw she went straight through it. She seemed to be. It was night and day between Vicky's transition and Katie. She knew that desperation to get across on that descent down into the swim start to dive in for that second swim. She could close a bit of a gap, and she's closed it. And they're the 2 favourites for the event.
Well, there you look at those timings, and they are before they headed into the swim. It was 10 seconds between Beaugrand and Zafiris, and that has evaporated as they went down that steep ramp. So it just shows you Zafiris threw caution to the wind as she headed down. She knew that was her chance, and she's caught up. And our 2 who battled it out here in Jersey, and indeed across the course of the series, are neck and neck and also head and shoulders above the rest, with Vicky Holland still holding down 3rd from Sandra Dodé. Taylor Spivey, who was the one who overtook Takahashi heading down the ramp. But this is exciting, the way this is set up with these 2 who we know are such quality athletes.
Yeah, I mean, they're coming in, they're just setting themselves up for tomorrow, to be honest. I mean, you wouldn't bet against these 2 making through tomorrow, but they've just made it so much easier and making in that they're going to be so much fresher going into tomorrow. If these 2 can just sustain, a bit of a gap, they can control it, they can control their effort, they don't have to dig too deep, and by the time they get onto the run, it's more controlled. The damage is really done on the run, I'd say. So if these 2 can just stay away and control until they get there, they can finish 1 and 2.
What are you saying, a gentleman's agreement or gentlewomen's agreement that we're only going to sprint for the short shoot in the last 200 metres? Let's save ourselves until then? I don't think it works like that.
Happens.
I don't think there's going to be any holding hands on this.
No, we've been down that road before and it didn't end well. Although if you're in Super League, you can hold hands. We're not going to disqualify for that. No. Out of the water comes Beaugrand and Zafiris, and you can see behind there quite a long way back to Holland, who's taking a little bit of an interesting wider line. She needs to come back around if she's going to get out that ramp. If that is indeed Holland, you can see her there on the right. She's going to have to avoid the boat and head back in.
See, this is it. I mean, she's extremely fatigued, and these are the kind of mistakes that happen when you're so tired from this Super League format.
It's going to be a very, very interesting battle for the top 5 positions because there are 5 coming out of the water. Spivey amongst them, Takahashi as well. Quality athletes with plenty of Super League experience and knowing that the top 5 will get them in. But right now, we were hoping for this. Zafiris and Beau Grant heading into transition. In the back of shot, you can see Tommy Zafiris, the photographer, who's Katie's husband, who actually competed with us last year, actually Olympic trial swimmer, very athletic family. Beau Grant out of the water first. And these athletes are risking elimination.
I think you could see there, I think Cassandra Beau Grant was actually looking at Katie coming out and just making sure that she was probably going to mount her bike before Katie. She knows it's crucial. She doesn't want Katie to be out in front of her at all on this bike. She needs Katie on the bike.
She got out in front of her, just as you said. Katie's now going to follow her wheel. They get these two exactly like we saw in the first opening bike with Yuko Takahashi and Cassandra, have those straighter lines, and it's the congestion back here when you're in these bigger groups that make that dogleg section we keep talking about in the fan zone much more difficult.
And there's 3 away there. If these 3 could get away, then there's your top 5.
And there's Moreira.
They are closing, so they kind of need to put a bit of an effort, and it's worth the effort. If these 3 can get away, then they're in control here, but these 2 are going to be chasing them.
At this point, do you work together? Do you realise where you are in terms of third through 6th and try and work together to make sure you stay gapped out?
I don't think you can think about it too much at this point. I think you need to put the power down and get that gap, otherwise they're just going to close it. And then once you initiate and you've got that gap, then you can work together, because then you can count the numbers and you go, okay guys, we're in top 5. We're not in contention for the short shoot. Let's just get through to tomorrow.
We could be seeing our first contracted athlete miss out on Sunday racing. Yuko Takahashi 5 seconds back on Sandra Dode. She, of course, Takahashi is a contracted athlete, having finished in, I think, 8th position last year. Sandra Dode a qualifier. So Takahashi could have a nervous wait if things stay as they are to see how quick the times are in semi-final 2, because the top 5 go through from this semi-final to tomorrow's final. The top 5 from semi-final B, which is coming up very soon, and then the next 5 fastest times overall. So that's our buffer in case a lot of quick athletes had a very, very quick semi-final.
This is interesting. Now you've got 4 here. Yuko Takahashi's going to, I'd say, going to latch onto this. So one of those girls won't make it through, or they may make it through if they have the fastest time, but you won't want to leave it up to that. So it's going to be a battle to get in the top 5.
We saw in the heat draw that everyone felt that this was going to be the strongest semi-final. When we drew the names out and they were allocated to the semi-finals, everybody was saying this is the strong semi-final. This was the semi-final they expected to be quicker than the next one, depending on the way it was raced. So you'd hope Yuko was thinking, okay, if I can stay close to Vicky in this group, I've just got to run to execute, cross the fingers, and I'll be in that top 5 fastest times. But over a sprint enduro format, that's throwing a lot of caution to the wind.
Yeah, I think it was great the way that Super League did it this year. It made the 2 heats. Yeah, there's maybe one that's slightly stronger, but to be honest, it's going to be really hard to make it out of either of them.
Yuko needs to close this gap, because that's the train that will keep the pace up and allow your times to matter if you miss that top 5.
Extremely impressed here by Sandra Dode. The feet's still out for Emily Morier, who's had 1 lap on the bike and hasn't had time to put the feet into the shoes.
She's trying to close that gap. It's a desperation to get, well, it's a desperation to get across to that group of 4 up in front of her, because there's 7 there, and what's happening here? It's our 2 leaders. But I think it's the desperation to get across to that group, because she can execute a good run, and as I said, you worry about those times when they worry. You can get in that top 5 with a big run, or you're going to be closer to that fastest time to make sure you're in that 15 in tomorrow's final.
You can see that they just gone around. We didn't have that last year, that little detour around the island there. And that, as you say before, really takes the speed out of Katie Zafiris in terms of the fact that that's our longest straight stretch, or it was. And now it's like having a little speed bump there. You can't really get ahead of steam up.
Well, Jodie knows that better than anyone. She was in this race last year, but I remember calling it with both yourself and Vicky, and it was Katie that was so strong off that bottom roundabout in that fast top section. That's where it seemed to split up, and that's where the groups got isolated. She doesn't have that advantage this year with this technical section, and I think she just seems to be rocking and rolling back and forwards and hasn't looked as comfortable as she did last year.
Yeah, Katie was. I mean, I spoke to Katie before the race, and she was nervous going into it. Obviously, she's going to be extremely grateful that it's not raining, because I think she was worried about that. But, you know, this is Katie's weakness, is this technical bit, and she does get better every Super League, as she showed last year. But this is the first one. You know, WTS races aren't as technical as this. This is a crit race.
Zefiris now ahead of Beaugrand as they head to the bottom end of the course for the second time, past where the short shoot is. You can see it in the middle of your screen. Of course, that will be for tomorrow and taken only on the run. And you can see there's just no one around them. They're just still putting time, even though they don't have to, into the rest of the chasing pack. Headed by Taylor Spivey with Vicky Holland behind. You can see Yuko Takahashi still tacked onto the back, but she's having to dig deep behind Sandra Daudet. And Daudet is our only, I guess, either quality wildcard or contracted athlete who's amongst them, but very, very impressive from her so far. She's an outstanding swimmer. That just shows you how important that positioning is. 6th in the World Cup a couple of weeks ago in Banyoles, 2nd in the European Champs, 2nd in Madrid in the World Cup too, but really taking a step up here and mixing it with the very, very best in the world. And there's two of them on screen right now, heading out on, well, back in on lap 3 of 4, and then we'll have one run, and it's going to be a good run, isn't it?
It's going to be a very interesting one. It's going to see who actually leads the run, because I know that Katie actually likes, she likes to be in that front position, but, if she wants to do that, then is she going to leave it to a sprint finish like they did in Singapore? I mean, that was a fantastic sprint finish that they had in the final, so, yeah.
They're contractually obliged to do that once per round now.
It makes good TV.
Yeah, it does, exactly.
So we'll thank you. We'll thank them when they finish.
Yeah, thank you. We're getting it out of the way in the first one. But it is Zefiris and Beaugrand, and we said it earlier in the show that these guys they're at different points in their career. Zefiris, obviously the world champion now. In the last 5 years, she finished 5th in the World Championships, in the WTS, then 4th, then 3rd, then 2nd, and then she finally gets the monkey off the back this year and becomes world champion in that respect. Still, there's a lot of blue sky ahead of Cassandra Beaugrand. She's still improving. We know what we're going to get from Zefiris, and that is consistency and probably dominance. But Beaugrand is a different kettle of fish. As they come into transition, before I get your response on that, we'll head back down to Joe.
Okay, well, they are coming into transition. As you can see, Katie in the front now. I was just having a chat with Henry. Takahashi seems like she's been struggling a bit since that fall.
Yeah, she's had some really bad luck around that U-turn, and it seems like she's getting herself back up, but she's just hanging on. We'll see if she can get that top 5 at the end of the semi-final, but it looks like Moret is going to go for the top 5 fastest.
Now, it does seem as they come around this U-turn that they really have to slow down. What do the bikers have to go through at that point?
Yeah, they have to really slow down. It's on a carpet surface, so they have to be really careful not to overshoot it.
Okay, back to you guys.
Thanks, Henry. Thanks, Joe. And you can see there that Takahashi, just even as they said that, has dropped off the back of that group. Now, she has to just now make sure that she has the fastest time that she's got in her, because she's going to be the one probably who's going to have the weight.
And she knows that. She's been off the back of that group since the swim, so she's just dangled about 5 or 10 seconds back, and she knows that she'll be looking ahead going, I need to deliver a big run here to guarantee that slot. She'll be counting those heads up in front and knowing exactly who they are and probably targeting the weakest in that group, whether she can hunt them down.
Conversely, for the athletes in semi-final B, they'll be looking at the times of Mazzetti, Lopez and Zane, who are now a further 30 seconds back in the group, and targeting that time, knowing that there's going to be probably 4 slots, if you take Takahashi out, for the discretionary spots, if you like.
Well, it's always that advantage being in that second semi-final, because you have a time to target. You can get together at the start and say, look, guys, we need to work this, let's all get through, and the advantage of being in the second semi-final.
Yeah, I think it's so brutal, though, in one way, that some athletes don't have a choice of how fast they're actually going, because it's so full on, and you're, in that red zone for much of the race. Some of them won't have a choice of going, let's pick it up, because they're already at full capacity.
We're about to head in once again. You can see Beaugrand hopping out of the shoes, as is Zefiris already, and they're going to come in and head out on the final run. 1.6 kilometres between the two of them and a short shoot. Both get off before the dismount line cleanly, and we're watching that very, very closely. Racked in at position 1, as she was in pontoon position 1, is Beaugrand. Having to travel all the way to the other end with the bike is Zefiris, and that might hurt her just a little bit.
Yeah, that is a massive advantage, to be honest. I mean, Katie has to go the other end of the transition, like pushing her bike, it's slower.
And she avoids, I guess she picked that in to avoid the congestion from the swim, but it was definitely slower after the bike.
We do have half the amount of athletes out there than we've had in that transition area in previous years, so the congestion on the bike, for those who don't like to have to go through it with their bike, is less. But yeah, it was all about that pontoon position. Holland leads out the chasing pack, Spivey on her hip. Daudet and
It's Dode and
Lost it a little
Takahashi
bit. Yeah, that's it. It'll be Dode and Takahashi.
for the race for 5th.
And Sandra Dode knows that very, very well. You can see her attempting to latch onto the back, but Vicky Holland looks way more comfortable here than she did 12 months ago.
Yeah, definitely. I think tactically she's done this really well. I think she needs to, you know, just stay in control now and just do what she needs to do to get through to tomorrow and conserve as much energy as she can.
Little look across there as she headed around the turn from Beau Grant and trying to see where Zefiris is. We can see her in the back of shot. It's probably 4 or 5 seconds now. The split says 4 last time they went through the mat, and it is at least that. And you look at those two running styles and you think, oh, Cassandra's doing the job. But I said before to Katie about an hour before the race, you like the T1000. If you've watched the Terminator, the T1000 never slows down, has the exact same running style no matter what. Rain, hail, shine, hills, whatever. She just seems to have the kind of running style that can run through anything, and she never slows down.
And nothing changes, just everybody else seems to drop off. We sort of watched it year on year as we've been calling this. She just has that same look on her face, the same running style, and just suddenly there's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and she's leading. It's just remarkable to watch. But Cassandra Beau Grant, a lot more elegant in the style, stands a lot more upright, and she looks very composed. And
She
wondering,
looks totally in control,
oh,
doesn't
without
she?
question. She looks like she's not even breathing. She's very, very composed.
Beau Grant's best time around this Jersey course, which has changed slightly, is a 6:40. To give you an idea, though, Zefiris' best is a 6:46. So Cassandra Beau Grant is our best runner. We keep saying that, but Katie Zefiris, she's so good at every discipline that you almost forget how good she is at every individual discipline. She is the second best runner there is. Her worst results for the run have come in Jersey because she's so strong up hills, because she doesn't slow down, just like the T1000. But she's the second best runner. She's the second best on the bike. She's the 4th best in the swim, and that is why at the end of the day she was crowned our 2018-19 champion. Can she? If she does take this gap down, that is a huge mental advantage against the best runner. Can she do it?
I don't think she will. Cassandra looks too much
I'm
in
trying to
control.
pump it all up here, and then you just go, no, that's it.
No,
I don't think so either.
no.
I don't think so. I don't deep down, I don't think so either. But if anyone can do it, it certainly is Katie Zefiris. And you can see the short shoot. That is the distance that it is. It is shorter than, like, the shortcut was bigger last year.
Well, the run's shorter now. We have a 1,600 metre run. We are running 2 kilometres in the past. It's about 3 seconds, a 3-second advantage, which over a mile is a significant advantage. So we tried to calculate what that short shoot should be. Well, Dode's moved right up. She did this in Bali in the qualification round where she secured a spot for Super League race. She was by far superior to all of them on the run. And it's now Taylor Spivey. I think she'll be safe, Taylor. I don't think Yuko Takahashi will close that gap, and she'll have to rely on times to get through to tomorrow's final.
It will be Takahashi who relies. Yeah, I think you're right. That gap has certainly runs out. As has the gap, I think, now between Beau Grant and Zefiris, which it was 4 seconds. I think it's probably about 6 seconds now. We'll see on our timing mats when it comes up. But she's showing her class once again.
I think Katie said to herself, look, I'm going to give up this 3-second short shoot. I'm going to back right off now. I'm through to the final. You can have it, and let's rest up for tomorrow.
I think it's smart.
Yeah.
I think, you know, Cassandra she's so much in control. She got that advantage going out of transition, and she's just grown on it. I think this is where Katie is really smart in these scenarios, and she's gone, yeah, I'm not going to get this today. You have the short shoot, and game on for tomorrow.
That's what I think too.
There you go. It looks like 1 and 2 already done. Cassandra Beau Grant and Katie Zefiris. As I said, there's been 4 race days in Jersey over the last 2 times we've been here. 3 of them been won by Katie Zefiris. The other one by the woman on your screen right now, and she just seems to be getting better and better. This kind of racing made for the number 3, the French woman, 21 years of age, still plenty of improvement to go. And Cassandra Beau Grant will probably be your winner of semi-final A, and she'll be, I guess, throwing the gauntlet down in terms of her time. Will be very interesting to see what her time is and whether anyone can get anywhere near it in semi-final B, which is really a swimmer's semi-final. I'd say that probably the top 5 swimmers all happen to have been pulled out in semi-final B, so that'll be very interesting.
Yeah, I think Sophie led a lot of the swims out here last year, and she'll be looking to do the same thing just to get through to the final, but she needs to do that because they're not short of runners either in Heat 2, but she needs to use her advantage going in and try and get through to tomorrow.
Yeah, Sophie Caldwell holds the top 4 ever swim times for women around the Jersey Marina, and she'll be looking to add to that, no doubt. But right now, all eyes are on Cassandra Beau Grant, who has impressed us every time she's put on a Super League jersey, and she's done exactly the same here. She has gapped our 2018-19 champion, and she'll turn for the last time in front of a good crowd here in Jersey. They do love their triathlon, and they love their Super League here on the edge of the marina, and she's got time for a few high fives, or more than a few, a nice smile as well. She's run within herself somewhat, and she'll pick up the short shoot. The winner of semi-final A and under the finishing arch is Cassandra Bowe-Graham. Congratulations to her, and behind Katie Zafiris as well, who qualifies for her first final on Sunday. Now, this race is going to be very, very interesting. Keep that number in mind, though, 39.16, and then a 39.27 for Zafiris, as Dode, our first qualifier ever to book her place in the final, is going to make the turn ahead of Vicky Holland. There'll be a big cheer from the crowd as Holland qualifies for the final. Well done to her.
The high fives will stop soon.
No, they won't. They'll keep going for everybody, I'd say. So Dode, well done to her. Holland as well, who had an enjoyable race, and Spivey comes through.
Here you go, Yuko's going to have to... No high fives for Yuko. Head down and sprint.
The hands are out, but they're getting ignored. Yuko Takahashi will need to post a time, and we'll keep it in mind. But 48 seconds between first and fifth going through. And then Takahashi with 55 seconds. Let's go right down to Jo in just a second. I think she's with Cassandra Bowe-Graham. Jo?
I am indeed. I have the winner of semi-final A with me. Cassandra, congratulations. How did it feel to win today and get such a gap on your big rival, Katie?
Thank you so much. I felt very good on the swim, so I tried to push on the other parts, and it was okay.
And you were leading for much of the race. How much did you want that short shoot tomorrow, that advantage?
I really enjoyed, and I enjoyed.
Well, looking ahead to tomorrow's race, how confident are you? Can you cause an upset here at the first SLT in Jersey this year?
Yes, I will recover a lot, and we will see tomorrow.
Excellent. You look so strong. Congratulations and good luck for tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jo, and thank you to Cassandra. Congratulations. Cassandra Bowe-Graham comes in 11 seconds ahead of Katie Zafiris. Sandra Dode, another French woman, she comes in third, and then Vicky Holland in fourth from Taylor Spivey. And Takahashi, she raced in a 40.11 and got home, and that will be the mark for everybody to beat in semi-final B, which will be coming up very, very soon. You can see Emma Jeffcoat there getting ready.
They'll be looking at those times, all of them. That's as we said before, that's the advantage now going in, is knowing they've got to set a big tempo. If any takeaway from semi-final A is that first swim mattered a lot, and it was that first swim that put a lot of them back. Taylor Spivey had a magnificent first swim and was able to stay up in the mix, even despite that bike crash that was, it could have put her out of the race.
Good crowds here in Jersey. That is the fan zone just up there behind that building, and crowds lining the course as well. It's gotten bigger and bigger each year here in Jersey, and we've certainly enjoyed coming here and the support that they come out rain, hail or shine here. And as an Australian, I'm really not... There's literally 3 drops of rain, I don't go outside, but as a Brit, no worries at all.
No, we're used to, and we're harder maybe than the Australians. We can handle different weather.
This is called summer, Will.
This is tropical, what do you mean?
Yeah,
There's
right.
a bit of blue sky over there.
Jodie put some sun cream on before she came into the commentary box for
50.
some reason. Very, very strange. Anyway, I'll head back down to Jo right now.
Yes, well, I've got Katie with me. Congratulations on qualifying. We're not used to seeing you in second, though. How did you find that?
Yeah, I found it tough. I mean, for Super League, it's always hard for me because you have to go strong right from the gun, and I'm a typical, it takes me a little bit to get into things, so I did. I'm hoping today was a good warm-up for tomorrow, but I knew to be aware of Cassandra from before the race even started, and when I saw her in the swim, I was like, oh no, she's so far ahead. And then they stayed in front of us for quite a bit, so I was happy when I caught her in the water, and I just couldn't go with her on the second run.
It's a nice rivalry building up between the two of you. How much do you relish having a rivalry like that to push you?
Oh, I mean, it's so amazing having people push you to your limits and make you better, and Cassandra's young and just getting better each year, so I think she's just going to continue to heighten the level of Super League, and it's amazing.
Now, you won't have the advantage of the short shoot tomorrow, but are you confident that you can have a repeat win?
I wish I had the advantage of the short shoot with those legs on her, but I'm just going to try and do everything I can to make sure that I minimize the effect of the short shoot when she uses it.
Well done today. Good luck for tomorrow.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Katie. It's easy. All you have to do is be 3 seconds ahead before she takes the short shoot. That's not too hard, is it? You could do that, Jodes.
Yeah, easy peasy.
Easy. Just be 3 seconds ahead of the best runner in the sport.
Yeah, slight advantage that she's got double the leg length that I have, but we'll go with that.
But there you go. I called it last year the present and the future of triathlon, but I'd say they're both the present of triathlon at this point, Macca.
Oh, when we first saw Cassandra, I think Hamburg, she was a 16-year-old. She did that mixed teams relay, and there was a lot of talk about her being an Olympic champion in the future. She's a star. She's gone on to win that mixed teams relay World Championship gold medal. She won Hamburg in the WTS event last year in the sprint race. She's dominated when she's raced here in Super League racing. She is a superstar of the future.
Part of that French mixed team relay team that also won at the Tokyo Test event, and we'll see them in the Olympics next year. And there is Cassandra Beaugrand in the 39.16, 11 seconds ahead of Katie Zafiris. Sandra Daudet, congratulations to her, 39.49. She books her spot in Sunday racing. Vicky Holland and Taylor Spivey in a 40.04. On the bubble, though, are Yuko Takahashi in a 40.11, Anna Maria Mazzetti 40.40, and Victoria Lopez in a 40.55. And they are all of the athletes, including Emily Morier, who's had some issues with a timing chip, and we'll keep you updated on where she finished overall in terms of time, who are waiting to find out exactly how fast semi-final B is. It's not too long until semi-final B heats up, and in the meantime, everyone's taking the chance to rest, relax, go and get a drink and get ready to do it all again on the stroke of 3 o'clock. And we've got plenty of excellent athletes who we're waiting to see in that, especially in the swim. But in the meantime, Yuko Takahashi is facing a very, very nervous weight. As I said, a 40.11. She is right now down there with Joe in recovery.
Yes, Yuko, you finished 6th. It was good racing. First of all, I know you had a fall. What happened out there?
Oh, I just slid. I don't know if I did wrong or something, but I just slid in. But nothing hard, so that's also a good thing.
So you're okay now. Did it affect you too much in terms of catching back up with the group?
Yeah, it was fine, but I just got scared a little bit. But yeah, I just did my best.
And now you have a bit of an agonizing wait, finishing in 6th place. How does that feel, and will you be out here watching race number 2?
Yeah, I was hoping to get top 5, but yeah, I just need to wait the second group finish.
Okay, well, we're sure, fingers crossed, that you'll hopefully make it tomorrow. Yeah. Rest and recovery tonight.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you to Yuko. Always a smile on Yuko Takahashi's face. She could have crashed 3 times. She'd still be happy just to be doing some Super League racing.
Yeah, she'd crash and say thank you. She's amazing. She's so positive and so cool.
Let's have a look back at how it played out. You can see Zafiris closest to us. Beaugrand in the number 1 slot and was dominant in the early running. We knew she was quick to start off, and Katie Zafiris said as much, and she showed that.
Yeah, I think Katie, her part of the race was in that second swim when she bridged across to Cassandra, and she just made it really easy and then made the decision to back off and, conserve energy.
There is Takahashi's action, and you can see Beaugrand in the far distance and how quickly the group came on. So I think having to put that extra effort in there, that really taxed her in the second swim bike run.
And she's if she has a semi-weakness, it is the run. She tends to be able to stick very well with the group, but I think she had that big advantage with Cassandra, and losing that with the crash left her a little bit exposed. As she said, she felt a little bit scared and off, and those sort of bumps can affect you for the rest of the day.
You have to have confidence going onto this course. It's a crit circuit, and that's where you can get some speed going around the corners. If you're braking, touching the brakes too early, you're going to lose time.
Well, if anyone knows how to push it right up to the red line but not over it, it's Katie Zafiris, and she had to do that in the middle part of that race. She caught up as they headed into the second swim and just erased a 10 or 12 second gap, which had been worked so hard between Takahashi and Beaugrand to deliver. And then the two of them had a bit of a shootout, at least for the first lap of the run, before, well, I wouldn't say the white flag went up, but conservation came into the equation.
Well, she knew it was you weigh that up, as you said, and Cassandra's a big runner. She's probably looked up the road and said, look, let's focus on tomorrow, get through as easy as possible. I'm going through to the final. 3 seconds, as she said in her interview. I'll find a way to pull that back, and it's going to be a magnificent battle between these two tomorrow.
It absolutely is, and third, fourth and fifth announced themselves as well as contenders in Daudet, Holland and Spivey. As we said, there's prize money that goes pretty deep in Super League Triathlon. There's plenty to play for. Even if you think maybe you don't have the legs to match a Beaugrand, you've still got plenty to play for in terms of both championship points, in terms of jerseys, and the money that's on offer for that, but also for cash. And that comes into the equation. As much as you like to say I'm out there racing because I love racing, you also think, well, I can make $5 grand.
The sport's the real winner, Joe.
Yeah.
I do it for the love, but there's $1.8 million up for grabs, so it's I'd love it too.
Oh, is there? I didn't realise. Oh, I was just here to race. That's what you think, obviously, isn't it, Joe?
Of course. The best thing is the racing. The money is just secondary, of course.
No, of course, 100%. Did you even know? I didn't.
No, I didn't even know they had prize purse here.
Let's head back down to Joe. We're already starting to think about semi-final B. There is Janet Bragmeyer. We almost called her in the first semi-final, but she's actually in the second semi-final. And Megan Foley, who comes in after a couple of late withdrawals. And alongside her, Carolina Routier. Joe, we'll go down to you right now. The women are getting ready to do battle, and they've just seen semi-final A happen.
Analyst Graham Aitchison with me here. First of all, your thoughts on that first race?
It went broadly as expected, I thought. We kind of knew that Zafirius and Beaugrand were going to be the favourites, and I mean, they took a huge gap pretty early on, and they got away from the rest of the field and took the win.
Now, other than Cassandra in the lead, some of the competitors up the front were changing positions. How surprised were you how it panned out?
Yeah, well, the big one for me was Dode. He's up 6 positions from what we had before the race. She came in 3rd in the end, so she's obviously very young, still improving, so she did incredibly well.
Okay, let's look ahead to semi-final B. What are you expecting?
Well, unfortunately, we had a bit of a late dropout with Summer Rappaport, who was the second favourite for this race. So this kind of leaves it quite... Rachel Clammer is now the strong favourite for this race. A bit of an outsider would be Alicia Beto, who's also quite young coming through. But Clammer for me is the favourite for this race.
Okay, now I've also got Henry Schumann with me here. You were also with me in the race, and you were making a lot of comments. How surprised were you at those results?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was always going to be the duel between Zavaris and Beaugrand at the end. They were really looking good out there, especially Beaugrand. She was looking really good on the corners. She's really worked on her bike skills, and she got the advantage of the short shoots tomorrow, so that might be in her favour. We saw some bad luck with Yuko Takahashi coming down, but I think she might be able to get that fastest time to get into the race tomorrow. So
now, how much difference will that short shoot make? I mean, I think the question I really want to ask you is, do you think Cassandra can do it?
I think she can. She looked really strong and dominant today, really comfortable. She has that advantage now, and she can use it whenever she wants. So we can really see maybe a win coming from her tomorrow.
Excellent. Well, that will be a change for the books. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Joe. Some great thoughts there, and also good to see the percentages up there and the numbers being crunched. And Rachel Clammer is a strong favourite now with a pullout, as Graham said, of Summer Rappaport. As the sun shines down on the castle here in St Helier, it's been a fantastic week for the athletes. They all got here about a week ago, and they've been enjoying some community engagement here in Jersey. And we're going to have a bit of a look right now at exactly what some of them got up to.
Today we've been really lucky and fortunate to have the professional triathletes come into school.
So we're going to do a little bit of skipping now with these school kids and talk about our heart rates.
It was super fun being here at the school, and the kids, I mean, their energy is infectious, and it was a great way to get pumped for the weekend.
I think, that's what makes Jersey really special, is that all the kids are really super active and love Super League being here. So it's great to see so many kids enter for the 2.5 and 5K on Sunday. So, yeah, it's great to see so many active kids.
Our Year 6 children presented triathletes individual letters.
Cheers, thank you very much. We are going to do our signature dance move, me, Jodie and Katie. So hopefully the kids will copy.
I reckon the only thing that can beat Katie on at the minute is the dance move, so I'm claiming it.
Well, I thought I was down on the kids, but clearly not. They kept telling me to hit the Y, but I don't know what that means. They showed me. Obviously, RBC race for the kids this weekend. I'm hoping that we can get as many of these students here down on Sunday, backing local charity Mind Jersey and their Youthful Minds campaign. Couldn't be a more worthy cause, I think. So, yeah, get yourself down there.
That's just one of many engagements community by the triathletes in a week of events which included youth and junior racing. But we'll go back to the elites now. Ahead of this event, Joe Ankia took some time to talk to Yuko Takahashi, who is one of the quickest athletes out there through transition, to talk about what makes a quick change.
Well, I'm joined by Yuko Takahashi, who got the grey jersey in the final last year, and that's because you're an ace at transitioning. Yuko, first of all, tell me, I know we're going to walk through this bike to run transition. How important is the transition?
Yeah, transition is very important, especially like this kind of races, like short distance and very fast. It's so important.
And with it being such a short, fast race, it's a high intensity moment, the transition. How stressful can it get?
A little bit, but yeah, always like trying to stay calm and focus on what I need to do.
Okay, so you come in from the bike. What's going through your mind at this point?
At first, make sure like where is my position, where is the transition is, and try to put my bike correctly and take my helmet first and take shoes.
Okay, show us what you have to go through.
Yeah. Put bike first and take helmet off. And
you already have your shoes done up and ready to
yeah.
go. Okay, and there's also a number of penalties that can happen in here. What can go wrong?
If you take helmet before you put bike, it's 5-second penalty. So,
and there's also something about the mounting, dismounting.
Oh yeah. You have to mount on the bike after the line and dismount before the line.
Okay, how organized do you have to be before the race?
Before the race, you always try to make sure where this mount line is and dismount line is, and
probably get all your gear into position.
Yeah.
Why do you think that you're so good at transitioning?
Actually, I'm not sure why. There's no secret. I just try to focus and do what I need to do.
You're probably very organized as well. Well, thank you so much, Yuko, and we wish you the best of luck, and we'll be waiting for you in transition.
Thank you very much.
Okay, well, the athletes are down here getting ready for semi-final B. Now, of course, they know what they have to do because they've seen semi-final A. They've seen the kind of things that can happen. We saw Yuko Takahashi have an accident on the bike, so they know what's in store. Now, we have a couple of athletes missing today. We have, obviously, Summer Rappaport. She has actually pulled out with injury, and also Georgie Taylor-Brown. She's also pulled out. So there will be a couple of open lanes. Now, if I can take you over, let's see if one or two will have a word with us. We've got Rachel Clammer here just wetting her face. Now, how cold is that water, Rachel?
I'm happy I haven't gone in yet.
Okay, now Rachel, I know that you're amongst a lot of strong swimmers here. How much effect do you think that will have on your opening race?
We'll see. I've been walking on my swim for the last 2 weeks, so I don't know if that's going to help or not, but yeah, we'll just go fast and see what happens.
You confident you can cause an upset today?
We'll see. Depends on how the swimmer's going and everything else. So.
Okay, let's take a little walk up the pontoon, see who else we've got here. Lane 9, we have Sophie Caldwell from Great Britain. Let's take you up this way. Well, Sophie, we know that arguably you're potentially the best swimmer here. So what are you hoping to do on this first swim leg?
Well, I mean, there's loads of great swimmers here as well, so just going to try and commit and hopefully win my blue jersey back. So yeah, I just have to say.
Okay, and I think they're just about getting ready to start, so I'm going to hand back so that they don't swim me down. Best of luck, girls, and we'll see you at the finish.
Great access there. Thank you very much, Joe. Some nervous people down on the pontoon, and there is the list. In position number 1, we just spoke to Rachel Clammer, who is the heavy favourite to win this one, but she's going to have to stay with a host of great swimmers, including Emma Jeffcoat in 3, Leonie Perriot in 4, who's just seen her compatriot win that one. Carolina Routier, who for a long time has been one of the top swimmers in triathlon. And we go further down, Sophie Caldwell, we've talked about her. And your tip at least to make it through. And I guess there's a lot of athletes there that are good to make it through. But Olivia Matthias is a name not a lot of people know compared to some of the others, but she's very strong.
Oh, definitely. I'd say that she's going to make it through. I trained with her at Loughborough. I've seen her progress this year, and she got second in the under-23s in Lausanne. She's swimming, cycling and running very well. So I'd say that, you know, I'd put my money on her for her to make it through. And she's the one in white. She's one of the ones in white. I think there was 2 on the start line. One of them is Liv.
Yeah, that's right. The other one is Selina Klamp from Germany. So we opened a spot on the pontoon in the semi-final B, and you can see her there on the left of screen, to whoever won the junior race in both the boys and the girls. And Selina Klamp, who won the junior race, she's 3rd in the German Junior National Champs in June, and she has raced elites before. She hasn't come up against a field like this, although she did finish 11 in Ulster in the sprint try in the elite racing during the year. So she has raced in the elite levels, but she's 18 years of age. She's already raced today once, and she comes up against some names on there.
And she raced in horrific conditions this morning. It was teeming down rain. She got through and she dominated that. So she put her hand up straight away to get a start in this semi-final.
Okay, a few less because there's a couple of empty spots on the pontoon, but 5 spots up for grabs to go through to the final, and we are in for semi-final B.
And Caldwell.
I'm not sure, someone had a very slow start there.
Sophie's out straight away. You saw that dive, and then she already had half a body lamp on everyone, but I knew that's her game plan. That's what she needs to do. She'll be the first of the first boy, and she'll get around smoothly, but she needs to keep pushing on. But Olivia's there as well. She needs to get across and get over to Sophie.
It's possibly Leonie Perriot who slightly missed the start there from pontoon spot number 4, but you can see Caldwell already out in front as the 2 young athletes come across and try and get a straighter shot to the boy. But certainly, just even with a couple less athletes, there's a little bit of less fighting going on in the low pontoon numbers.
There is, but there's already a bunch before they get there. You've got, like, you know, the fastest swimmers here. So you've got Sophie, I think that's Jeffco, and then you've got Olivia Matthews, and then this is the carnage that you need. I personally want to be on the inside and get around there. But yeah, it's still going to be hectic going around that first boy.
I think that's Brugmeyer on the inside line in 4th position, and then they're 4 wide behind. And then those 3 athletes at the back there, they're already got a mountain to climb. And we're only 100 metres into this one, and already if you're at the back of this pack and you're trying to chase a Sophie Caldwell, you've got a mountain to climb back there.
Well, Sophie comes off these first swim boys. She really accelerates, and that's when the Constantina effect happens, and that gap between Sophie and the girls at the back extends even further.
Olivia's done a really good job here.
Swim.
She's came from the outside, which to me, I thought that was a mistake, but she's handled it really well. Look at that, and there's the fight going around that boy.
Yeah, that is Carolina Routier, and at the back there, that is our junior too, Selina Klamp, who's staying in contention just on the outside there of that group of 3, and Caldwell leading. Great pictures here of the marina here in St Helier, and I can tell you these are the best conditions by far that we've had all week. It's been difficult even to get out of train at points, but the wind has dropped a little bit, and we are very thankful for that. The rain as well, and any viewpoint's a good one when you've got a boat or a kayak to enjoy the racing. But at the front is Sophie Caldwell, and as we mentioned before, she holds the top 4 fastest times of any female swimmer in Jersey over the last couple of years, and she's looking to add to that once again and pick up the 5 points for this semi-final towards the blue jersey, which we'll be awarding overnight. So you'll see the full range of colours tomorrow and at every subsequent Super League race across the course of the season between now and next November when we wrap things up.
Jeffers is actually being really smart here. She knows that she needs to hang on to Sophie. Sophie's going to come out. She's a really aggressive racer. She's going to put the power down when she gets onto this bike. You know, she's a powerhouse on the bike. She's great technically. And Emma knows that. Emma knows that she needs to hold onto that wheel. And Emma needs this as well to get through and secure herself into tomorrow. And she's playing it very well.
Yes, they would have watched that first semi-final and saw the gap that Yuko Takahashi and Cassandra Bogran got by setting it up in the big swim. Those quick transitions set the whole thing up.
Let's head down to Joe right now as they're coming in, and Sophie Caldwell leads the way with Emma Jeffcoat right on her hip. Joe?
Yes, Sophie Caldwell, we spoke to her just before the race and she looked and sounded so relaxed. She's doing great, isn't she?
Yeah, she's in her element at the moment. She's really pushing the pace here. Jeffcoat was trying to come around her. We've got Ruti up there as well. Matthias has had a really good swim, and Klammer is also in the mix.
And there was a little bit of a fight around the early buoy, and a couple of athletes already falling off the back. Megan Foley there. Do you think this is a bit of a problem for her already so early on?
Yeah, she really has to move up right now. She's got to use that ramp to get right up there and get into the mix again.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks, Henry. Thanks, Joe. I've just heard that Megan Foley, who was a 4-year Division 1 college swimmer, so she's definitely got the swim chops, was physically sick on the pontoon. So someone needs to get down there on the black carpet, Macca, if you wouldn't mind, and clean that up.
I'll be back in a sec.
But we'll keep an eye on Megan Foley, obviously. We hope that she is okay. In the meantime, though, Emma Jeffcoat's the one that leads them out of transition. Nice swift transition from Jeffcoat. Caldwell behind her, and Carolina Routier had a very, very good transition there too. Moves up ahead of Matthias with Clamour. There's Brugmeyer as well. Leonie Perriot needs to move up too, and off the back, the junior. No, Megan Foley, I've just heard, will not continue this race. She has pulled out, so unfortunate for Foley. She looked in good spirits yesterday. I'm not sure what's happened, and there she is. Maybe we'll get a word from her very soon if she's not too unwell. So our thoughts are with her.
This is where Sophie's going to put the power down, but it looks like Jeffers is doing it for her. And this is where the elastic effect is going to spring out.
Yeah, Emma loves to do this. We see her in all the races in Super League races. She sets it up with a big swim. She's happy to go off the front on the bike. And if Sophie can close that gap, those two allies have that same sort of racing mindset of being aggressive on this swim bike, which is great to see.
And it's great that these kind of things get rewarded as well.
Yeah.
And Emma knows that she's not the fastest in this heat. She's by far not the slowest, but to all advantages, you'd want to make it as easy as possible going through to tomorrow. So, you know, she wants this little break to come to something.
Emma Jeffcoat is the second best swimmer in Super League Triathlon based upon our number crunching from Forecast Consultancy, but she's only the 14th best on the bike. And in Jersey and also in the Enduro, she has her most consistent positional finishes. So she's enjoying the best possible combination of format and venue at the moment, and you can see that she's enjoying her biking out there, despite the fact that she's probably a power athlete more than a technical athlete.
Yeah, she shows her bike skills, to be honest, and I think she did this in Singapore. She was away out in front for quite a lot of the bike leg. But that is set up again by the first swim, and she's really good, even though she's not the strongest runner out there. I mean, it's only a 1.6k run, and then you're diving back in, and she's also very good at doing that. She's also very good at swimming off a hard run. I think she was looking behind there thinking, come on, Soph, I need some help here.
Yeah, she's trying to build through the season too, Emma Jeffcoat. She had her best result in Super League-wise, at least in Singapore. Finished 8th, and then big accident. Two people have gone down.
I think that's Rachel that's gone into her.
Yeah, that's Leonie Perriot who's trying to get back onto her bike, so that's really going to hurt Perriot, but she's probably going to be able to continue. But it's
Beto.
It's Brugmeyer, is it?
No,
Beto.
Beto, you're right, Alicia Beto, who has had a big accident.
She overcooked that corner. He's got a tailwind coming off that section, and as you turn into that headwind, she's overcooked that and just comes straight down.
Oh, that hurts. And it hurts Leonie Perriot too, one of our contracted athletes. And she'll need to push on as quickly as she can. She's 30 seconds back off Jeffcoat now, and we'll try and check in as soon as we can with Alice Beto, who was, according to the numbers, the third favourite to win this one.
We'll see it here.
We'll see the replay right now, and she came in too hot.
Oh, big crash.
Lost the front, and Perriot had nowhere to go.
I think that was coming from the black carpet onto the cobbles, that she just lost the grip there from the tyres. But, you know, it's an off-canvas corner. She'd have done this in training. It's unfortunate to see anybody crash.
Absolutely is. Jeffcoat remains at the front ahead of Caldwell, Routier and Matthias. And there's Luisa Baptista and Rachel Clamour off the back in 6th position. So Baptista and Clamour on the bubble at the moment, and 6 seconds ahead of Brugmeyer.
But that has a ripple effect through the field. You hear that crash, it sort of frightens everybody. Emma's off the front, and sometimes you can get these gaps off the front start to open up as people behind start to look at each other and go, I don't want to come down in the next crash. So it's an opportunity for Emma to really push this section. She's got straight lines through, and that group of 5 or 6 can really set this up with a cruisier run into that second swim.
She certainly worked on her bike skills She obviously is a swimming triathlete, but has worked on her bike and run immensely. She won a World Cup this year, not too long ago, in Tijuvaras, and finished 5th in New Plymouth as well. Won a couple of World Cups last year as well. She's getting better and better, Emma Jeffcoat. And she's featured heavily, of course, in Super League since its inception. Caldwell, Routier, Matthias, your pick, Baptista and Clamour, and they are your top 6, 5 of which will go through, and the other one will need to finish in better than a 40-11 to join them.
I can't see these two are in trouble here. This gap is already springing out, and those girls aren't hanging around.
Well, Selena Clampt already raced today. Definitely giving herself a good showing. She's in 8th position there. She's picked up Emily Moria's timing chip, I think, because she's coming up as Emily Moria, who wasn't in the timing last race. But that EMO right there, the emo in the field, is in fact Selena Clampt.
So Emily's still got half a chance to get through.
I don't know, she must have put her timing chip down there somewhere and Clampt has clamped it and taken it with her.
Maybe she's paid the junior. Go try and get me through to the final.
So Ferriero, she's still 30 seconds back, so.
And Sophie's closed that gap up to Emma. So that's a group of 6 away. Rachel Clamour has been just dangling off the back of that, never looked comfortable. She's just finally been able to grab that wheel, but she's struggling in these corners. You watch her, you'd think as a smaller athlete, she'd be able to ride that line a little better, but she doesn't. She seems to lose a bit every corner.
I think that's the negative effect of being that last person in going round corners. If you're first or second, or even trust the person in front, you know, you can carry so much speed, you can take it smoother. Whereas when you're, you know, those back athletes, you have to slow down so much more going into the corner, you have to produce so much more coming out of the corner, and that yo-yo effect. I mean, Rachel's, you know, she's a strong cyclist. I'm sure that won't, you know, she won't lose the wheel in front, but, you know, it's going to fatigue her.
Very smooth, though, at the front. Let's not forget that this is only the first of 2 bikes. It's 2 triathlons back-to-back. Swim, bike, run, swim, bike, run. We call it the Sprint Enduro for both our semi-finals and for the semi-finals across the season. Tomorrow, it is the Enduro, the most brutal format in the sport. 3 triathlons back-to-back with eliminations at every transition. So the best of the best get through the top 15. And then, well, they call it the Hunger Games of triathlon. The Enduro certainly is that as they come around near the Freedom Tree and the Bliss Bar once again and go out for another lap on the bike. Then, of course, it's the run and then another triathlon after that, because we just like to keep adding them on and seeing exactly how far we can push these athletes. And Clamour, your favourite for this race, is hanging on in 6th position, a group of 6 who look like we're almost certainly going to, bar any incident, pick our top 5 from this group.
Who's the big runner in this group, Jodie? You've raced all these women. Who is the runner to look for out of this 6?
Rachel, definitely. She's by far the best runner. All Rachel has to do is get off with these girls, which, you know, she seems to be struggling on this bike. She really needs to try and move up positions, but this bike course, it doesn't give you many chances to do that.
Oh, that was close from Jeffcoat.
She nearly lost that. She overcooked the corner again. If that's wet tomorrow and they're predicting a bit of rain, we saw carnage in year 1 here on that roundabout. It's the off-camber in and entry and exit of that roundabout that makes it tough. It's not just a straight shoot.
And they're really tight corners. You can see how tight that is. That you know, there's not much room for error there. Emma was lucky to get away with that.
Well, that would have been a tragedy in front. Haven't been able to pick your own line and just overcooking it a little bit. But such is the technicality of this course and the requirements placed on the athletes to not only do it quickly, but to avoid so many obstacles and changes of surface, which we already saw bring Alice Beto undone as she came from the black carpet onto the cobbles. And before the black carpet once again, you can see it underneath the wheels there, exactly how much they have to contend with. And there's no wind today compared to what has happened in the previous few days. But tomorrow they're predicting up to 50 miles an hour. So imagine going through these buildings with 50 mile an hour winds buffeting you in the rain, but also doing it on this course.
Yeah, this is a brutal course. It doesn't, you know, it doesn't fare well if it's wet. It's another element to it. This carpet, that off-canvas turn.
Oh, we've had another accident. Well, not an accident, but Jeffcoat's come off on the... Sorry to interrupt there, just as she dismounted, and she might come out at the back of this pack after leading all the way through the bike. Did you guys see that down there, Joe and Henry?
Yes, we did just see that. A lot of accidents down here and athletes impeding each other, aren't they?
Yeah, we've already seen Beto come down. She slowed down Perio. She's now towards the back of the race. But we have 6 athletes in the front now. One of them is going to lose out on that automatic qualification. So it's going to be quite a race, and definitely getting into the water is going to be important.
And it looks like Emma Jeffcoat has come out of that little tumble safely. Back to you guys.
It does look like that. Rachel Clammer already at the front of that pack, and it's Luisa Baptista, the 25-year-old Brazilian, and who's off the back, and she just had trouble.
She ran out of real estate. She just did that transition, got those shoes out too late, and she saw that dismount line and had to jump off, and nearly took everyone out.
Yeah, Baptista was the one who ended up losing out the most. As she came across, and then number 42, Baptista, had to slow down a little bit, and she's now lost touch somewhat. You can see her at the back of that shot, and she's going to have to work hard up that little hill there to stay with the runners. But Rachel Clammer, Jody, just as you predicted, has come off, and she said stayed with the group and then moved into the position, is going to control the pace of this run, and Sophie Colwell's find a spot just behind her.
It's really interesting to go and watching the transition. I think Sophie was the only one that put her bike in the reverse way, which is obviously going to be really beneficial going into the second transition. Yeah, and it cost her a little bit, but she's made it straight back up, and I could see her putting her helmet on as if you would set up for a normal transition. Everybody else was in a bit more of a panic, putting it in and just wanted to get onto the run. And Sophie's been calm. She's done this before, and thinking about that stage in front, which is what you have to do when it's swim, bike, run, swim, bike, run.
Baptista still working hard through that technical section on the cobblestones up near the fan zone to stay in touch. And in the back of that group there behind Matthias is Carolina Routhier and Jeffcoat in third position. And I should point out that despite already racing this morning and not knowing she was going to race this afternoon until she was offered the spot, Selena Clamp is only 30 seconds off Rachel Clammer.
It's a big performance, and as I said, the race this morning was absolutely teeming down rain. They survived a very, very difficult conditions. The winds were up, so this is like a sunny day in paradise for her. She's competing with the world's best, and it's a dream come true, I think.
You can see the swim cap and goggles stuffed down the front of Rachel Clammer's jersey, and I guess it's a learning experience in Super League, because when we first started doing this, nobody did that, and they realised that they had to do it, and then suddenly people were trying to do different things. They were trying to stuff things in the back, in the front, where someone was thinking about running with it on, someone was thinking about velcroing their running shoes onto their bike and not having bike shoes whatsoever. That's what Super League was all about, wasn't it? It was testing people.
Without question, we remember that famous shot in Singapore where they're halfway through the run and they're all starting to put those swim caps on. There was 5 or 6 of them. The rule is you must enter the water with a swim cap on. If you lose it while you're in the water, that's fine. So a lot of them have 3 swim caps, or 2 swim caps in this case, to make sure if one breaks or there's lost, you've got it, one for the second swim.
All these things that make time is absolutely crucial. Are you going to make that pack? Are you going to get dropped? If you don't do these little things that save you so much time, it really makes a massive difference in Super League. In a normal Olympic distance event, like, you don't need to think of these things that save you, a second, half a second, but it's absolutely crucial when you're looking at this kind of format.
Massive run by Baptista. She's closed the gap on Liv in the white jersey, and then suddenly she's in danger of being outside that top 5. It's an early danger. With on the course, you're outside that top 5. She can make up for it in the swim. But
well, just as she overtakes her there, but I'm not sure about her running style, but it looks like she's burning a lot of matches there, Baptista, in order to move back into that top 5, and we'll just see whether that works well at the back end of this race.
Yeah, I've got to say, Liv doesn't look super comfortable.
So
she looks like she's struggling. She's a good swimmer. If she is struggling on this run format, then she could get that time back in the swim, but she doesn't look comfortable to me on this run.
These two look very comfortable. I think Sophie Caldwell looks one of the... She's always off the front here in Jersey with that swim bike run format, and to tag Rachel Clammer, the best runner, as you said, in this semi-final, is a perfect setup to put herself in the final this afternoon. She knows she's going to be comfortable in the water. These two could potentially escape if the gap's not closed, and I think Emma Jeffcoat may swim across to this group, but we'll wait and see.
One little added carrot here, apart from the short shoot for Rachel Clammer, is although she's been in the top 5 of the past 6 races, she's never won a Super League Triathlon race. Obviously, before this, we've had the whole field in each of the races. This is a semi-final race, so we've split the field, but she's never won. She's never crossed the tape. She's never lifted it, despite the fact that she is one of our most consistent athletes. She's always there or thereabouts. She finished 2nd overall without winning a single race last year. So having that and being at the front of a race is new ground for Clammer. She's here without her partner, Richard Murray, who has featured heavily and won plenty of races in Super League, but he's picked up a stomach bug over the last month or so since Tokyo, as is Henry Schoeman, why he's not racing the 2 South Africans, but she certainly looks relaxed, and it'll be nice to see her come across the line first.
think she needs to get a little bit of a gap on Sophie. I think she's playing it really smart here. She needs to get into the water before Sophie. She knows that Sophie's the superior swimmer, and it kind of gives her that little bit of a buffer for when, you know, Sophie dives in and catches or passes her, that, you know, she's got that buffer and she can get onto her hip, get onto her feet, and then drag her in. But Rachel's putting the goggles in, preparing, ready to go.
But if you look at that, Sophie Caldwell's the only one in that top 5 who has not put her swim cap on. If you glance back, I saw Emma Jeffco put a cap on. I saw Louise Baptista put a cap on. Sophie's left it.
Has she not got it?
I think that's a mistake. I think she was so good and positioning her bike ready for, you know, the next transition that she hasn't thought about this bit. I think that's a bit of a mistake by Sophie.
And as you can see, Jeff Cope with the cap and goggles on. We can see Baptista's done it. In fact, the whole top 6 has done it, which leaves Caldwell to pick up and get it sorted out. As hard as it is to do when you're running, coming back into transition, it's harder to do it when you're going down the ramp.
Steep ramp.
That's right. So Clammer just gets a little edge on Caldwell, who's working it out right now. Jeff Cope and Baptista's moved up into 4th position. There is Olivia Matthias, a young athlete. That's why she's wearing the white. And Routier rounds out our top 6. And there is Leonie Perriot, who's had a very gutsy race considering she got caught up in that accident. She'll be looking at that 40-11 time as well.
Yeah, without question. That was a big run from Leonie. She's really had to work that run, and she may pay for it in this second swim. But the girls in front are a lot stronger in the water than she is.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what the time difference is between the first race now and what it was going into from Heat A, and if they've got coaches on course that are telling them, you know, okay, you're going to go through as one of the fastest losers for the people that are struggling. Maybe Leonie can do that. She's definitely going to have to work hard to do that to get into the final tomorrow.
Caldwell and Jeffcoat go into the water together, probably the 2 strongest swimmers in this semi-final. Baptista as well, ahead of Routier, who can be relied on for a fast swim, and Matthias, who's a great swimmer and needs to get straight on to the feet of Routier and hope that they can close that gap somewhat, but there's no one in that group who's not a strong swimmer.
Yeah, Emma Jeffcoat did all the little things right. You saw on the run, it was actually Sophie got away from her on that run and into transition where she didn't have the gap on, but Emma closed that gap in the run between transition and the swim. We saw that in the last semi-final with Katie Zaferis doing the same thing at Cassandra Beaugrand. So that's a very important part of the racing, and I think those 2 could swim down this gap to Rachel Clammer.
For a pure swimmer, I remember last year, this is where I actually swam better than Sophie for once in a life. But sometimes when you're going into the second swim, if you're a pure swimmer and you're really good technically, that kind of goes out the window, to be honest, because you're so fatigued and your body position is so bad from the first swim bite run. You kind of just have to get amongst it, fling the arms around it, and just hope that you're gripping some sort of water.
So Caldwell, as we said, holds the top 4 fastest times here in Jersey, and in fact, none of the top 10 times are held by any of the athletes that are in the water right now. They're in fact held by Zafiris, Summer Rappaport, and Kirsten Casper has a couple of quick times around here as well. So the Americans dominating that, but Caldwell, in terms of Jersey swims, sits head and shoulders above the rest of this group, although they're all strong swimmers in their own right, and already around the buoy, that gap from Rachel Clammer seems to be disappearing slowly.
And as you said, it's again, Sophie Caldwell has switched positions on the first swim. It's Emma Jeffcoat that's pushing the pace over Sophie in the second swim. You said last year she struggled in the second swim, which is interesting.
Yeah, Sophie just needs to control it now. She just needs to hold on to Jeff's feet. Emma's like really good at this second swim, and I think she'll bridge across to Rachel. Sophie just needs to try and hold this feet. Now there's even a little bit of a gap appearing here. Sophie needs to dig deep and just get out on Jeff's feet at least.
That gap's closed. No 3 have. That could be a group of 3 that it's away, which is a danger for the 3 behind because they're racing for those automatic qualifying spots. And as we saw in that first semi-final, those smaller groups tend to go through this bike course a little easier.
It'll be nervous times if it's a group of 3 with 2 go in and 1 out. And that'll be Matthias at the back there, but at the front it's still Clammer leading from Jeffcoat, with Caldwell behind, and then Baptista, Olivia Matthias, and Carolina Routier. So
it's Caroline that's trying to close that gap down to Sophie Caldwell. She's swimming magnificently. Baptista on her feet and Liv in 6th position.
Routier, I mean, who's the weakest runner out of this group? I mean, without pointing fingers, there's a couple who are noted as specialist swimmers, but may have a perceived run weakness. And when it comes down to these two groups of three, it's going to be important because obviously we're going to have 1.6 Ks to decide who's in and who's out.
I think Caroline and Olivia, I'm surprised that Olivia didn't look that great on the run. In run training, she has been looking better, but I'd say that, you know, I think it's between Caroline and Olivia, so it'll make this run really interesting to see who's going to get that final, you know, official go through tomorrow.
It'll be very interesting to see how much Luisa Baptista put in as well in that first swim bike run and how much she's got left in the tank. The Brazilian who comes in for the first time, it's her first Super League race, and out of the water.
Across. And Caroline Ruggio is across to the back of Sophie Corbell there, and this could be a group of four. So this is a transition under pressure. You can isolate these two, put yourself into the final quite comfortably. And
could we have a head-to-head between the young Brit and the 25-year-old Brazilian who is the Pan Am Games gold medalist from 2019, also won the part of the mixed team relay gold, Baptista for Brazil.
What's the 90 seconds? These guys seem quite far back. Are they?
They are. They were 55 seconds back, so they're getting towards the back end. And we're going to head down to Jo right now, who's giving us an update from transition.
Yes, well, this is obviously one of the more tense transitions with 6 athletes so close together.
Yeah, it's going to be a very tight race from now. You could see Jeffcoat was using her swim strength to her advantage. Caldwell maybe playing a little bit more tactical, sitting in behind. But to mention, Perriot was really running well in that previous triathlon, and she really gained some time. So hopefully she'll get that fastest qualifier.
Yeah, we've been keeping a little eye on Leonie Perriot from down here because she caught back up a little bit, but she's still going to have to battle that 90-second elimination rule. Only 5 automatic qualifiers.
All right, thanks, guys. Jeffcoat 2 seconds ahead of Caldwell. Klammer a further 2 seconds back. Brugmeyer and Klampt are battling that 90-second rule. You can see the clock ticking away down there in transition. At the front, Caldwell has taken control of this bike once again.
What was 4 is 2 now. What was 4 out of the water is now 2. If you've put Rachel Klammer under a little bit of pressure here. She needs to close the gap. She's fiddling with her shoes.
She can run this one home, you think?
Yes, but it's just having a group of 4 away and a group of 2. If you get isolated, she's going to, without question, qualify. But if you're Caroline Rudier, you're looking up front saying, well, I did all that work in the swim to be in that group of 4, and now I'm isolated again, and I may get caught from behind, and without that big run, I could be out of this thing.
Sophie's doing exactly what Jeffers did on the first leg. She's putting the hammer down and she's kind of breaking it up.
Through transition go Klampt and Brugmeyer in a 1:15, so they're still in this thing. They haven't been eliminated yet, and they should make it through to the end of this one if they have decent bike legs. And there you see Carolina Routier. There's almost a group of 3, and then Routier all by herself and trying to fight off now Baptista and Matthias.
You're right, Chris. Caroline did an awesome job in that swim, and she's just kind of eliminated all that hard work that she's done, and she's now in no man's land.
She's where she was when she entered the swim. She worked so hard to get across to Sophie, and she was just tardy in transition. I thought Rachel had left herself a little bit more to do, but she's just slid up the smaller frame. She really rides well technically, and now it's Emma Jeffcoat that's lost this 2 off the front. Sophie's put that hammer down, and Rachel Klammer's sticking to her like... This is the train off the front.
It looked like Jeffers was struggling to get her foot in a shoe, which is why this gap has appeared. So hopefully she can just take the right lines and kind of come across. Caroline's trying really hard to kind of get across to Emma's wheel, but the other 2 have kind of have them in sight.
What's the bike strength of Liv and Baptista? Are they strong bikers? Are they able to work well together? If you had to look at the bike power, is the group up front a lot more powerful than those 2 off the bat?
Yeah, definitely. Olivia is really good at kind of holding a wheel. She's hard to drop, but she's not got the power that these guys have up front, and they'll know that. Sophie knows that from training with Liv, so she's going to try and make her vulnerable and kind of use that. As much as they're training partners, Sophie wants to get through, and she'll use that vulnerability of Liv.
All right, a wide line taken there by Klammer, who wants to maybe share that lead a little bit, but she comes across in front of Caldwell. The second of 4 laps on the bike as they round the roundabout and come through that little deviation we've put in there used to go straight down the road. Now we go around a little bit. Far more technical course, and we've seen already a couple of accidents as we see the splits. Clammer and Caldwell now 4 seconds ahead of Jeffcoat. Routier's pushed up onto the back of Jeffcoat's wheel as much as possible. And then it's a straight shootout at this point between Baptista and Matthias, and across comes Jeffcoat and pushes Routier wide.
No love lost there.
No, none at all. They'll discuss that afterwards. Jeffcoat has really pushed her luck on the bike.
She doesn't look as good on this bike as she did in the first one. She just seemed a lot more in control. She seems to have lost that cadence. She's not as good out of the corners. Emma Jeffcoat I'm talking about. Caroline's been able to close that gap. But these two look a lot better than they did in the first.
I think that's what happens when you're fatigued and you start to panic. And Emma won't like the position she's in. She can see these two girls going up the road. She made a mistake and she didn't get her feet in quick enough. And when you're making these mistakes and you're fatigued, these are the kind of things that happen, and you take the wrong lines. And you know, she's
drifted behind. Look, if you look at the back, she's gone behind Caroline Routier, who's gone straight past her. And Rachel Clammer, we saw in that first bike ride, was sort of yo-yoing off the back. She seems to be a lot more comfortable on the front of this, and these two are gone. Is there something happening with Emma Jeffcoat? Because it's not like her to let gaps like that just open up.
Well, the two behind her, Baptista and Matthias, are putting everything in to see if they can actually cross the gap to Jeffcoat. In fact, I've just heard in my ear that Emma Jeffcoat has a puncture.
Oh, there you go.
And that'll be why. So she'll be trying to nurse that thing around for another 2 kilometres.
Well, that makes a lot of sense, because she's usually a lot more aggressive in and out of those corners. We saw in that first bike. She'd come especially off this roundabout and into this little chicane that we've created before we make the left-hand turn into the fan zone. She was really, really aggressive. She nearly lost it on this corner because she came out of it and she seems to be really flat, and that makes a lot of sense.
She seems to be really flat. Nice, I see what you did there.
Well, yeah, you like that.
That was good. I like that a lot. And, you know, Baptista and Matthias will be seeing that. They'll know something's wrong and they'll be able to pounce, because if they can both drop Jeffcoat, they're both in. And Jeffcoat will be on the bubble.
Yeah.
Brutal.
It is. But, you know, we've seen flats before. We saw it happen to Vincent Lewis in Singapore.
Well, it's the second flat we've ever had in the Super League race.
And it's been in back-to-back rounds.
There's absolutely nothing you can do about it. You haven't got time to change your wheel. If you do, then they've gone anyway, so you just kind of have to grim and bear it and try and cycle with a flat tyre.
It probably explains why she came across on Caroline on that turn there on the last lap. It's probably punctured there. She's probably slid out. Caroline's thinking, what have you done? And realised she's got a flat tyre, was able to move around her.
Jeanette Bragmeyer has been eliminated. Clamp dropped her, and Bragmeyer's fallen foul of the 90-second rule, the Hungarian. So her first race in Super League is officially over. That leaves us with 8.
Rachel asking how many laps to go. Sophie said nothing.
You keep going, I'll come in.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Emma Jeffcoat's trying to run.
One more lap to go, and it is a race in 2 between Rachel Clammer, the Dutch woman who has featured throughout Super League's history. Caroline Routier finds herself all alone. She's had a bit of a lonely race, the Spaniard.
This is a long lap for Emma Jeffcoat. You know, you've got the other two that come past. You know, you've got the flat tyre. They have to glance down.
There it is, flat at the back.
Yeah. It's great riding.
It is, but going around these corners on a flat tyre, yeah, that's hard to control it.
And it's tough riding. She's got to get up here with her legs going to be a lot more tight. She's got to put a lot more power in just to stay in contact with these women, and it's going to make for a tougher run. 5 into 6 doesn't go, so...
Now she's got to start thinking about the 40-11 mark and getting around that 1.6k as quickly as possible. But right at the front, though, is Clammer, who is taking no chances on that roundabout, with Caldwell behind. And these two are really showing Super League experience, 2 of the more experienced athletes. Probably the 2 most experienced Super League athletes in terms of racing Super Leagues out of this whole field, and just knowing a little bit more about how to pace things.
Especially in Jersey, Sophie seems to do awesome. Every year she goes here, she's out in front. She's an aggressive racer, and this kind of it rewards aggressive racing, and that is Sophie's style. And she's done it really smartly here. But all Rachel needs to do is just stay upright, and the short shoot would be hers.
Here comes Jeffcoat on the unicycle.
She's got 4 more corners on this course to get through. She can stay as close to these two in front as possible. she can have a shootout on the run. It'll be an interesting run because all of them, I think the Brazilian will be the strongest of the runners, so it could be a Jeffcoat versus Liv showdown on this run.
That'll be interesting because Jeffcoat actually trained a little bit at Loughborough with us, so it's a Brit versus Australia maybe.
No, I love it. Just a little bit like here in the commentary box. We'll happily turn on each other. It's 2 against 1 as Rachel Clemmer comes off the bike for the last time. Colwell ahead, and she's come across in a 33.03. Colwell racks the bike. No need to put it in backwards anymore. It's about getting out on the run. And Rachel Clemmer, not time for a smile. She did it last time through as well. Doing it for the cameras, just like her partner Richard Murray does as well.
Just doing the math off the top of my head, 33.03 off the bike with a 1 mile run to do. If you did a 6 minute, you're quicker than the first semi-final at 39 minutes.
Chris McCormack doing maths on the fly. That's something new. Routier in third.
And now
Jeffcoat, who has had a very, very gutsy ride with the flat tyre. And now it's a race in 3 with Olivia Mathias at the back there in the white to see who goes through and who goes home. All 3 of them will go through if they can make it through in under a 40.11. And they might do even if they don't, but I can't do the maths all the way down, so we'll have to wait and see. But Baptista looks very strong, and maybe Mathias is the one who's looking a little bit weaker on the run. Rachel Clemmer, though, seems to have gotten better and better as this race has gone on.
She looked a lot better on that bike, and she looks very, very comfortable. Very similar to Cassandra Beaugrand in that first semi-final. In control, very relaxed, not breathing very heavily, just controlling the effort, and she'll grab this short shoot for tomorrow's final, which she'll enjoy having.
I'm not sure why she's running so hard, if I'm honest.
She wants to win. She's excited.
Well,
it's her first win. It's her first win. She's never won one.
Yeah, but back off. You got another race to do tomorrow. You can still win.
She looks controlled. She's probably putting that boot in to get that distance between herself and Soph, and then can make sure she can control and take that short shoot, because it's a short shoot thought she's thinking right now, as she can use that in tomorrow's final where it matters.
Routier has dropped off somewhat. She's 19 seconds back with Baptista 21, Jeffcoat 23 and Mathias 23. So Routier looked good in that second swim. She struggled a little bit on the bike. She was all by herself, and now has she got the legs to hold off this group of 3 behind her? That is the question.
Jeffcoat and Mathias, that Australia UK mixed race, are at equal time right now, halfway through this run, almost halfway through.
Out the front though, Rachel Clemmer, who, as we keep saying, has not got the best results in Jersey as well. Her worst swim results have been in Jersey. By far her worst bike splits last year were in the Jersey Enduro. She's great on the hills, and in the run, her worst run splits as well were in Jersey last year compared to the hills as well, and yet she's going to come and throw all of that out the window and win semi-final B, unless Sophie Colwell can find something in the last 800 metres of this one. But she has time to smile and stick her tongue out at the crowd.
She's doing it very easy.
Yeah, and then she has time to win this one, and she's looking very, very strong indeed. A few of the athletes, because it's been such bad weather, have been training inside and happy to just miss out a couple of sessions. But Rachel has been complaining to me constantly during the week that she wants to get out and do more and do more and train more. So she's certainly still fresh at this stage of the season. And it's looking like it.
I think Sophie's already totally back off, to be honest. I think she's kind of letting her run away with it, and she's just seems like she's jogging around and gone, yeah, Rachel, you can have that short shoot.
So it looks like Beaugrand, the French woman, and the Dutch woman Clemmer will have 3-second short shoots for tomorrow, which they can take on any run.
Just glancing at the window, so Jeffcoat was off the back of Olivia Mathias. You can see the screen here, so the gap is open. So these 3 are chasing that 5th spot. It's Caroline Routier who's gone backwards at a quicker rate than anyone else. So Emma Jeffcoat needs to target these 3 in front of her and pick one of them off.
Riding on that flat tyre, I think that would have absolutely have zapped your legs, and she did it for near enough half the bike. So fair play to her for coming off with them, but it's definitely zapped her legs for this run.
She needs a 4-minute lap for the 800 metres,
which is
to get in under the 40.11. Jeffcoat, she's in at a 37.02. She needs a 40.11, so she's got 4 minutes. Sorry, that's not right. 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
3 minutes for 800 metres.
That's to be the fastest qualifier.
The fastest non-top 10 qualifier. Yeah, exactly. So she'll still probably get in.
Yes.
We'll just have to crunch those numbers a little bit later on and work out exactly who's in and out.
You just never want to play that card as an athlete. Anyone who's raced heats and semi-finals in athletics carnivals or swimming carnivals, you never want to play that card. You want to make sure you secure that spot, and it's always a nervous wait.
Great crowd here that's the new section of the course. We didn't have that last year as it heads up towards the fan zone, and big crowds lining the side there, which is fantastic to see. We've enjoyed immense support here in Jersey. And there is Selina Klant from Germany.
What a great race.
Yeah, a fantastic race. Unfortunately, she's been eliminated with 1 lap to go. But against the quality of that field, she will finish 8th overall in a heat as the only one to have already raced today.
And it could be the fastest semi-final. So had it been the other one,
she could get through easily.
Had it been the other semi-final, she would have got through. Potentially.
Good little performer, though.
Yeah, without question, amazing little performance.
I know, and to do that in front of a crowd as big as this, and to show and test yourself, I guess, against the very best in the world in some of the toughest formats in the world.
Sophie doesn't look
Yeah,
really comfortable.
What do you think
here.
of the face there?
Yeah, I thought the same thing. She looks tired, very tired. Rachel looks very relaxed.
Rachel looks like she could
Rachel's
run.
smiling. Rachel's on holiday. Rachel's cruising.
If she's on holiday, I don't ever want to go on holiday with her.
It could have been as you come down there, the sun's come out for the first time in a week. So it could have been a
Look
sun
at
in
that
the
smile.
eyes. Oh, she's done it
No,
easy.
she's that's the earliest we've ever seen anyone gesture to the crowd. Usually they wait till transition before they do that, but Rachel Klammer has waited 2 years for a race win, and she's going to get one after finishing so consistently in the top 5, and then back finishing 2nd overall in our championship without a race win. Finally, Rachel Klammer is going to hand out a whole lot of high fives and then take home a race win for the first time in her Super League career, and she's done it in a very quick time too. So congratulations to Rachel Klammer, who gets one for the Netherlands, well ahead of Sophie Colwell, who, as you said, backed off a little bit. But Rachel Klammer, certainly someone who's been a stalwart of our championship over the last couple of years, deserves a race win. Sophie Colwell, after leading out the swims as she always does, will qualify as well. And then I think we're going to see Olivia Matthias. We thought she might have dropped off for a second there, but she won't. Baptista just kept on coming as well. And Carolina Routier and Emma Jeffcoat is going to come in
6th position.
in 6th position, and I don't know whether she's going to be under the 40.11. It's going to be close. No, she won't be under the 40.11, but she'll be very close, and she probably will.
That's a mega race with a flat tyre, a massive performance.
I can't even think about what that is. That's a 40.20. So she'll be in.
Yeah.
Emma Jeffcoat.
Leonie Perrier needs to really move.
Leonie Perrier will be very much beyond the bubble, and we'll have to do the maths a little bit later on. But she's had to fight and fight, Leonie Perrier, after being caught up in that accident early on with Alice Beto. And all by herself all the way through too. She hasn't had anyone to help her out.
Push a little harder. She looks very relaxed, hitting
Oh,
hands.
no high fives.
No high
Get
fives.
through.
Push to the line.
She hasn't really thought, maybe she doesn't realise that she's as close as she is.
Yeah. Well, there was a whole lot of talk that the first semi-final was going to be the quickest semi-final, and it actually wasn't. This was a lot closer together and a lot faster.
Beautiful shots there from on high, as we're going to head down now to Jo Ankia, who has found Rachel Klammer, who probably won't even be out of breath. She looked that comfortable, Jo.
Yeah, Rachel, you look like you were enjoying that, smiling most of the way. How much fun were you having?
It was fun. Well, the second round was fun. The first one, not too much. I struggled getting into my bike shoes, and I think I had a reasonably fine swim for me. So when I got off on the bike, I was like, oh no, like I'm gonna get dropped because of transition now. But I managed to get back, and then I thought, let's push it a little bit on the run so it gets spread out a little bit, because that will give me more time on the swim, and that was a good thing to do.
And you were having a great battle there with Sophie for the lead. How much did you want to take that short shoot and get advantage for tomorrow?
To be honest, before the race, I was like, there's no ways I'm going to try it because the short shoot is so small. And I was like, well, why not? I mean, maybe I'll need it tomorrow, so I'll just try to take it.
And a quick time as well. How much confidence will this give you ahead of tomorrow?
It's, yeah, I mean, I'm feeling good, so hopefully tomorrow too, and if my body's not too sore from today.
Well, congratulations on your first win at SLT.
Thank you.
Rachel Klammer, a very happy, eventually, finally, race winner in Super League Triathlon. She will take the short shoot along with Cassandra Beaugrand, who was quicker in the end overall. We'll have a look back now at the highlights from semi-final B, and it was an interesting one and had a few ebbs and flows. But overall, it was another quick heat. In fact, Klammer was about nearly 30 seconds back on Cassandra Beaugrand's time. At the beginning of it, though, it was Sophie Caldwell who led the way from Emma Jeffcoat. Jeffcoat was the first out of transition, had a little bit of a quicker transition, and she looked confident on this first bike. She had a couple of close calls, but she certainly handled it well.
Oh, there's that crash. That was such a big crash, and that'll be interesting to watch in the men's race, because if you overcooked that, we saw that it was very, very dangerous. But for Rachel Clemmer, you saw that in the first bike. She just struggled. She said a transition set her up, and it was about here she was able to use her strengths and set up the entire race win for herself.
And this is where she's, you know, she's done Super League, she's done all of last year, and you know, it comes into practice. And you know, having the hat and the goggles here, she got the advantage. She was in the water before Sophie, before Emma, and was able then to set herself up for the final swim bike run.
Out of the water they came once again, and Caldwell again was in control. Jeffcoat didn't look quite as good on that second bike, and then we soon found out why. It had the flat at some point, and it pushed right up. But there was that first smile from Rachel Clemmer. She knew once she got onto that run the second time that she had the legs to do it. And about halfway through that run, Caldwell knew that she was bested for the short shoot, and Rachel Clemmer ran her way in front of a great crowd to a short shoot and a race win. And we have confirmation through, Macca, at least provisional confirmation of our athletes that we think have made it through. Read them out to us.
It's Yuko Takahashi from semi-final number 1, was the quickest of the qualifiers. Then Jeffcoat, the under-23 world champion, Moria, Mazzetti and Lopez will be the 5 fastest qualifiers.
Okay, Leonie Perriot, that means misses out provisionally. That is Macca's
mathematics.
Macca's mathematics.
So don't hold me to it.
Don't hold me to it. The very fastest, though, was Cassandra Beaugrand, and then Katie Zafiris clambering a 39.43. Sophie Caldwell finished well within the time. Olivia Matthias goes through, the youngster from Great Britain, Louisa Baptista, who really battled her way through that whole thing, and Carolina Routier. But the fastest overall, as far as I can tell, Cassandra Beaugrand, then Katie Zafiris, Rachel Clemmer, Sandra Daudet from semi-final A, Vicky Holland, Sophie Caldwell and Taylor Spivey all came in at or under the 40-minute mark. We're going to head back down now to Joe.
Okay, I've got Emma Jeffcoat with me. We are just biting our nails, waiting for confirmation. We think she's qualified. First of all, you went through the wars out there. That puncture, how hard?
It was really tough. I had a really strong second swim and came back out of the water at the front of the race, and it was all going to plan. And then, you know, had a clear transition. I was going up this first hill, and I just felt like it was so hard to ride. And I looked down, and my wheel was flat as a pancake. So, unfortunately, that's racing, and I just was really proud of how I held it together and just tried to hang on.
It was still a massive performance, especially with that puncture. How tough did it make on your legs going into the run afterwards?
It really was, and as the girls, you know, behind came through one by one, it just got even harder because my wheel was just, you know, dead flat. And then on such a technical course around all the corners, it just started to slip. So I just tried to hang on and just knew I had to hold it together on the run and just try and hold as close as I could to that top 5, knowing that it would come down to time.
And there were also quite a bit of tumbles, a little bit here and there. Why do you think it was so eventful today?
I think that Super League being fast and furious, the courses reflect that. And out there today, there's so many, you know, corners and dead U-turns. I think, you know, when there's a lot on the line, people put it out, and sometimes you come out, you know, unlucky, and other times you come out on top.
Okay, well, we're waiting for the final confirmation, but we believe you've made it through as a qualifier. Rest and recovery tonight, what happens?
Yeah, I'll get that rear wheel fixed, first of all, and rest up, and hopefully I get a hit out for tomorrow's final, which will be even better.
Fingers crossed, we wish you best of luck.
Thank you.
Joe, I don't know if you're still there, but you can tell Emma Jeffcoat that she can race tomorrow. I've got it in front of me right here. She finished in a 40.20, 1 minute and 4 seconds back, which means she finishes 12th overall. So go and find Emma Jeffcoat and tell her that she's in for tomorrow to go and rest up. Also in Yuko Takahashi, who finished 8th overall in the end. Emily Moria, as you said, the under-23 world champ will be there. Anna Maria Mazzetti and Victoria Lopez, who all finished in the top 15. The only one to miss out who also finished the race, unfortunately, is Leonie Perriot, who finished 15 seconds back and out of that top 15. The DNFs came from Selena Clamp, Elitje Beto, Ilaria Zane, Kerry Morris, Felicity Sheedy-Ryan, Claudie Samard, Jeanette Brugmeyer and Megan Foley. All of them will finish their racing, and they can enjoy it. They can just kick back and enjoy it tomorrow because they don't have to worry about it.
That's the big change from last year. They had a race to prepare for tomorrow, so the corporates who raced this morning have a big after party tonight, and maybe there'll be a few professional athletes with them.
What would you, if you were, which you never would be, you never would be eliminated on the first day.
Careful, Will,
hypothetically, if you were eliminated, what do you do on the Saturday night?
I would be in such a mood. I would be in such a foul mood.
You can see
I would sulk.
It'd be a big sulk. The men are getting ready for their semi-final A and B. There is Vako Velasa. And we saw just a minute ago Christian Blumenfeld as well. Now, he is a fantastic racer around here. Won Jersey in 2017 in an absolute canter, did Christian Blumenfeld. Such an engine on him. Have a look out for him. There's Martin van Riel coming towards us as well, the Belgian. And there's so much talent through this men's field. A little bit earlier on during the week, we sent the Norwegians head-to-head against each other. Normally, Christian is the sole Norwegian here, but this time he's joined by Gustav Eden, who is the 70.3 world champ. Only a couple of weeks ago, he won in Nice, and now he makes his Super League debut, and we sent them head-to-head in the transition challenge.
How long have we trained together? I guess since 2011. Yeah. We don't live together. No, that's good. This is a hard one, doing an impression of you. I kind of speaking out the nose a bit more. Yeah, how do I do it? I want to do 100 meters more. He's kind of the clown in the group. Like, he's memorizing jokes so he can be able to tell them to other people. So he kind of knows how to put it in a normal conversation. That's a lie. What's the question again? So here I have a coin. What side do you choose? This is Elizabeth or not Elizabeth, the crown. This is the crown. Okay. Okay, this is crown. Okay, you flip and I choose. The crown. Oh. No! Yes! No! 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 It's really hard with coins. Elizabeth. Yeah, so then you won. Yeah. So you start. I start. Okay. 3, 2, 1, go! That's gonna be hard to beat. It was looking like he went all in for that one. Is the audience ready? I heard one. Okay. Audience ready? Yes. 3, 2, 1, go! Oh, he looks good. 1, 2 out. Oh, we're struggling with issues. Yes. The victory is mine. Can't take that away from me. Yeah. I can see that just from my eyes. I won with a clear margin. Go for Nivina. Eh? Congrats second. Yes, I'm the champ. Thank you, audience. Way, thank you, Jersey. Good to be your champion here today.
That certainly looked like a lot of fun. Look out for more of these features with Christian and Gustav going head-to-head in an interview on Super League Triathlon's YouTube and Facebook channel next week. Christian will be in action in semi-final A up next, and there'll be another rivalry to look out for in the first men's race as Jersey's Ollie Turner will battle against Guernsey's Josh Lewis.
I'm Ollie.
I'm Josh, and this is the Jersey versus Guernsey quiz.
Who has the most Instagram followers? Not that we're counting, but I think I might have a few more than Josh.
Who wears the most sunglasses in their Instagram? That would be me.
Yeah, I'd probably agree with that, to be fair.
Who came out on top in the Island Games in Gibraltar?
Not me. That'd be you.
That would be me.
That'd be you, Josh.
Yeah.
No, I came out on bottom. Josh came out on top. Who's better in the gin? Is that a question? On average, who gets the most sunshine? It's obviously Jersey, the sunniest place in the British Isles. Fact, that.
Yeah, it is a fact.
Have I ever been on the podium in Jersey? Yeah, a few times, yeah.
In what?
Local races. Loads of local races.
Do you have podiums in local races?
Well, do you have podiums in any race in Jersey?
No, but that's what they asked.
All right, well... No then! No, I haven't.
Ollie, what's your triathlon dream?
My triathlon dream is to be more like you. My triathlon nightmare is to be more like you, but not from Guernsey.
Okay.
What is your triathlon dream and your triathlon nightmare, Josh?
My triathlon dream would be to be able to afford to do it on a day-to-day basis without having to fund it myself. And my triathlon nightmare, to not have you around on a day-to-day basis.
Oh, wow! That's so harsh!
Well, that's really nice.
To not have me around?
Yeah. That'd be my nightmare.
Oh, yeah, that was nice. Sorry. This is that wrong, that was really nice. And who's going to come out on top this weekend in Super League?
Me.
Yeah, fair enough. Fighting talk, I like it. We'll see about that.
Yeah, we will.
Welcome back to St Helier, Jersey, and we are getting ready right now for the men's semi-finals. It's maintained the weather out there so far. We should see some very, very fast racing indeed. Let's have a look right now at the course map as the men are going to tackle it. It's going to be a tough one, there's no doubt about that. 300-metre swim, 2 turns on the buoy, back in up a very, very steep ramp. The green is the bike course. There's some treacherous points on there, especially that roundabout at the bottom of your screen and the technical course section up near the fan zone. The run is very similar to the bike. There's great crowds on both sides because we've done it just exactly like that. A little bit of a shorter turnaround there on the run, so we don't see it on the roundabout for that. We're going to head right now into an explainer of the format, and we're looking forward to it.
The semi-finals. From a mass start, athletes face a 300-metre swim, 4-kilometre bike and a 1.6-kilometre run twice. 2 consecutive triathlons at full speed, no breaks and no room for conservation, with each of the 5 transitions featuring live eliminations. The semi-final format is a true examination of pace and precision, with spots in Sunday's final awarded to those who can withstand the pressure.
Okay, well, they are raring to go. We've got the men's semi-final A. They are making their way down to the Pontine. Of course, we have the world champion, the race favourite, Vincent Louis. He has chosen to be in slot number 1. We're going to go in and see if we can grab a quick word. They're all taking off their gear. Again, it is the first 5 athletes that will automatically qualify. We've seen from the women's races just how much can happen. So many eventful moments. So there's definitely an air of tension, but I'm sure the athletes are very excited. Let's have a look up here. We'll walk up this way and see who we can grab a word to along the front. The gurgles are going on. We're ready to go. So we have Vincent Louis. He will be a firm race favourite, but some very strong contenders in this heat. Tyler Mislashuk, he will be lining up alongside him in slot 2. I'll ask him in a minute if he's here, how much that will help him going out next to the world champion. Surely that will get him off to a great swim start. And they are just lining up here in front of me. Let's head over here. We have got Tyler with us here. Tyler, we know you're lining up next to Louis. How much is that going to help your start?
We'll see, hey? We'll see how nice he is to be out here. If he, hopefully I can get on his feet and get out clean. We got the inside line, so.
Do you think you can beat him and cause an upset?
We'll see, hey? Time will tell. Ask him. I don't think he'll have the same answer.
Okay. Let's look along and see who we've got. Number 5 here, Christian Blumenfeld. They call you the Viking. Why is that? What Viking superpowers are you going to use today?
Well, hopefully, I don't know, just making it through.
What kind of start would you like from this swim?
Obviously a good one, and not maybe like being mid-pack out of the water, and then I can try to climb a little bit on the bike and hopefully be in closer to the front after the run.
Excellent. Well, you're wet. You're ready to go. I'm going to leave you guys to it. Have a great race.
Mid-pack on the swim and then drag everyone to the front on the bike. That's exactly what Christian Blumenfeld usually does as we move up into the start of semi-final A for the men. Just a reminder of our coloured jerseys. Everyone who finishes in the top 5 of each of the first swim, bike and run over the course of this one will pick up points towards those jerseys. And Henry Schoeman is alongside me in commentary. He does not want his blue jersey to go to somebody else, but unfortunately he can't manage it today, but he'll be back racing soon, we do hope, and we'll get to him in just a second after we have a look through our pontoon positions. The world champ, Vincent Lewis, and our rating champ is in 1, alongside Tyler, who we just heard from. Leo Berger, the other Frenchman who's featured heavily in our racing too, is in 3. We go further down, Blumenfeld, Igor Polyansky, the Russian, is a fantastic swimmer, so look out for him. And the 3-time world champion, and just had his world championship taken off him by Lewis, actually, Mola, is in 7. There's classics, there's class all the way through the field, though. Martin van Riel down in 13 is another to look out for, the Belgian. Henry, that is a stacked heat.
Yeah, definitely. That is a very stacked heat. You got the reigning world champion, Louis. He's on the inside with Tyler Misselchuk, and they're going to have the best line right here.
On the outside in the white is Josh Lewis from Guernsey. Also in this one is the local favourite, Ollie Turner from Jersey. So that Guernsey Channel Islands battle is going to take place in this one. Just a reminder, it is swim, bike, run. Swim, bike, run. The top 5 go through to tomorrow's final, and we'll have semi-final B in just a second, and the top 5 from that, and then the next fastest times overall, and the pace is right on. Vasco Valassa from Portugal, who I think could be somewhat of a threat and be on the bubble in this one, is in the white. He's one of our youngest athletes and closest to the camera, in a great angle there. And on the other side though, Lewis,
it looks like Igor Polyansky that is really pushing the pace there.
We're so used to seeing you off the front at the start of these races, Henry. It's it looks like Polyansky who's gone in front of Vincent Lewis.
I think he's going for that swim jersey.
Yes, that would make a lot of sense.
He's a fantastic swimmer. Sometimes the other legs let him down a little bit, but he'll want to pick up that 5 points for coming out of the water first, and he'll be wearing blue tomorrow if indeed he is the fastest of the 2 heats in the water. We'll keep an eye on that, but there's not a lot of room out there, between about 7 or 8 athletes wide.
Yeah, we can see Martin van Riel. He's really trying to push forward there, but he's got athletes on his shoulders, and they're actually holding him back. So you can see that line of athletes. Igor Polyansky is well clear, gone, and I think it's Vincent Louis on the inside that might just get ahead of him around this point.
It must be hard for you watching this and knowing that by this stage you'd already be about 3 lengths in front.
Yeah, it's tough being on the sidelines, but yeah, I mean,
it looks horrible to me. Like, I'm very happy here.
Yeah, it's really cold outside. I was outside during the women's race, and I'm actually glad to be inside in a warm box.
It looks like Mario Mola up there in about 5th or 6th position, who's had a great start. If I can see with the red, with the Spanish flag, I'm just trying to spot that. But Vincent Lewis is always sitting off your shoulder. He just seems to move himself around. He does whatever he wants to do in the swim, and he would have seen Igor Polyansky roar off the front, going for that swimmer's jersey, and thought, there's my smooth run to transition.
Yeah, he's a very, very tactical swimmer, as Vincent Lewis always finds a way to do it as quickly and with as little energy expenditure as possible as they head around the second buoy.
That was Mistelchuk. I thought I saw that redness, and it was Tyler Mistelchuk who's sitting about 6th or 7th position. It wasn't Mario Mola.
Well, Mistelchuk's really had a fantastic season this season. He's really found a way, I think, to get into that dark cave and find that extra 10%, and it's delivered him some fantastic results, including a win in the Tokyo Test event just a couple of weeks ago.
He just doesn't seem to like the cooler conditions. Tyler seems to thrive whenever the temperature turns up. I don't know why. He's from one of the coldest places in Canada, and he said to me yesterday that he trained as a kid in these cold conditions and hates it ever since.
Well, he's got about 1% body fat. That probably doesn't help him. You don't experience it back in the same way he does.
I love the cold conditions. Doesn't feel that cold here.
You're actually sweating lightly. I wish I could bring that to people visually. But at the front is Vincent Lewis, and he will lead out of the water, it looks like. At the moment, there's quite a spread over those athletes, probably 20 seconds. We'll head down to Joe right now. Talk us through it, Joe.
Okay, well, I've got Jodie Simpson down here with me, and it's Vincent Lewis and Poliansky. How do you think they're doing so far?
Yeah, good. Louis really going for this short shoot, so he's definitely up there. He's set himself up perfectly.
Yeah, and it looks like there's a couple of people getting left behind already. It's quite tough getting out of that water, isn't it?
Yeah, it definitely. I mean, these guys are doing a great job of getting them out, but it's quite slippery coming out of this water. So you need to try and get some grip if possible, and kind of use the volunteers, and then try as best as you can to get up this steep ramp, which the guys at the back are already struggling with.
Yeah, that horrible, horrible ramp. And back to you in the studio.
Thank you. Vasco Velasa is at the back there, along with Michael Arashida, but at the front, it is Vincent Lewis who takes the 5 points for the fastest swim split from Igor Poliansky, Tyler Mislachuk and his compatriot Matt Sharp there. So all of our contracted athletes towards the front of the field with Leo Bergier as well. And it's important to get on this bike, especially with all of that.
It's interesting to see some of the athletes are deciding to run around that U-turn before mounting their bike, and Vincent Louis was actually mounting it before that corner.
Well, he was off the front. He had that room to do it. It was Tyler Mislachuk in second opted to run around and sort of cause some congestion. You saw Christian Blumenfeld just roar straight around that entire group. A couple of the French athletes got caught up in that.
Yeah, he's well out in the lead. He can really control the pace right now, pick his lines through the corners, and just be safe.
He does the little things right, Vincent Lewis. I was able to walk a course with him yesterday, and he was talking about the wind and the direction of the wind and the core flute, the hard barrier covers where he felt these cushion covers where the wind actually passes through. He found he could get blown around a bit, so he's looking at where he could hold his lines, especially as they come over this next section, as they come back onto the waterfront where we have core flute.
And that's really, and we saw that with Alistair Brownlee taking us through a course walk last year, is that the best in the game look at the little 1%ers and really dial it in. And Henry, you'd be the same. You'd look at every single little thing and not look at the course as a whole, and you can see where this one has barriers that have sandbags and this one has pits where it can push out from the wind, just little things.
Yeah, definitely. They've gone through this course a few times yesterday, checking out every detail of the course, checking out every bump, making sure that they know exact line that they're going to be taking. And Vincent Louis, he's really taking advantage of that. He's really just going for it, picking his lines really well, cornering really well, and he's actually gapping Tyler Mislachuk. So he's actually just really going for it right now.
If you were in this position, you've probably got 5 or 6 seconds at the front. Where do you think, how do you map your race out from here in terms of making sure you win, but also trying to conserve as much energy as possible for tomorrow?
Yeah, it's a decision that you have to make in the moment. Right now, he's got, I think, 6 athletes behind. So he maybe wants to just keep the pressure on just for a little bit. The guys behind are working just as hard to stay just where they are. And then you still get the snake effect with the guys behind. So he's actually in a really good position. He's comfortable. He's by himself. He knows he'll be safe.
Yeah, 2 Frenchmen at the front, Leo Bergier heading that train. But as you say, the snake effect for people coming into a dead turn like that, it slows everything down.
Yeah, it definitely does. If you're sitting 3rd, 4th, 5th wheel, you're going to be working much harder than the guy in the front just to catch up that gap.
All right, you can see the splits there already, 30 seconds across that field.
Seems like he's got a bit of an issue with that left foot. He keeps trying to fiddle with it, maybe just tighten it, get comfortable. But he's got all the time in the world right now to do that.
He could probably hop off the bike and just mount again and get it done the second time and still be in the lead. Such is the gap he's already pulled out. Our champion is 5 seconds ahead of Leo Bergier. So the 2 Frenchmen, Igor Poliansky and Tyler Mislachuk, in 3rd and 4th ahead of Matt Sharp. Sylvain Friedelance is there. Ollie Turner is there as well. So a good start from Ollie Turner ahead of Martin Van Riel and Mario Mola and Christian Blumenfeld. So he's put himself in there with a good shout, Turner, if he can hang in this bike. You can see that there, though, how much everybody has to slow down coming into this one.
Yeah, they're on the brakes there. That concertina effect happens, especially into this left-hand turn. It's Christian Blumenfeld who drifts back a little bit. He doesn't like that stopping and starting, and that extra weight he carries as a bigger athlete makes it harder through those corners.
At the back of the field, Pierre Lecour, Michael Arashida, and Josh Lewis down 33 seconds back. He's going to have to work hard because Vincent Lewis is really turning up the pace at the front. There is no doubt about that. He's not giving an inch just at the moment, and he'll look to continue to build this lead, and then he can measure his efforts throughout the rest of this race. And Mislachuk knows that, so he's overtaken Bergier, and he's really trying to put it down.
Yeah, it looks like he's really trying to put some pressure on the guys at the back, maybe form a group of 2 or 3. I think that will be quite ideal for him to join up with Lewis.
Well, you're one of the only guys who's been in this position that Vincent's been in. You're off the front, you've usually got a group chasing. What's going through your head? Have you got those calm lines? Do you know what's happening behind? Are you aware of that group? Is the information coming to you, or are you just sort of focusing on what you're doing and just staying upright?
It's more like just focusing on what you're doing. I mean, you're just going for it. You know, let the race happen behind you. I mean, everyone's working at the same effort, and if you can stay out in front 10 seconds ahead, I mean, why not?
And you sort of have a glance here when you get those opportunities to see where everyone is off the roundabout or in these dead sections. So you're aware of where everyone is, and you just sort of monitor that.
Yeah, he just had a look over his right shoulder, and you could see exactly where they are. He could also see that there's quite a big group, so it's actually not great to be in that group right now. You don't want an athlete making a mistake in front of you, and you know, you don't want to be involved in that crash. And yeah, it just gives you some breathing space out front.
One of the most aggressive I've seen Tyler Mislachuk is usually he likes to sit.
Mislachuk's back here.
Oh, okay, that's Matty Sharp
that's
up
not,
front.
It's actually Sylvain Friedlands wearing the Swiss flag.
Okay, I was going to say Tyler tends to sit back a little bit more and use that big run, and it's Friedlands who wants to close the gap to one of his good friends.
It is indeed. Yep, Sylvain Friedlands. Partner of Cassandra Bograd. He just would have watched his girlfriend do the job, and now he's out there in second position. There is Velasa ahead of Mislachuk and Blumenfeld, who we usually see make more of a dent in the bike, but again, it's a little bit like Jeff Code in that it's a little bit more of a technical course now, and he doesn't have the chance to really do what he does and put down the power as much.
He sort of uses that power, and I find with Christian, we watched that 2 years ago when he was really aggressive here in that super pound-for-pound race, was the quickest one we ever had against Johnny Brownlee and Richard Murray. He struggled in and out of those turns. He sort of hits the brakes very late. He doesn't ride those rails like Henry does or Vincent Louis does as they come off those corners. He tends to be more aggressive, and his acceleration's just not there.
Big ups to Ollie Turner. He's sitting nice and comfortable in that group. I think he should be really happy with his position and thinking about a really fast run and be in touch with the guys after that second swim.
Well, they're going to love him as he comes through town. Ollie Turner is the crowd favourite. He lives here in Jersey, and you know, he qualified for the series last year here in Jersey, which was huge for him.
He trains actually in Cardiff at the moment with Josh Lewis alongside him. The two of them pretty evenly matched, Jersey and Guernsey. Finished 24th and 26th in the Commonwealth Games, both on the podium in the Island Games, and there's been a lot of head-to-head chat between those two. At the moment, Turner...
Was that Tyler Mislachuk just drifting off the back of that group around that roundabout?
I think you might be right. He is at the back of that group.
Wow.
You can see there 14 seconds back behind Blumenfeld.
I wonder if it's just the cold or if he maybe has like a puncture or an issue with his bike.
We're going to look now. We get this opportunity. He's definitely off the back of Christian Blumenfeld, and Christian's dropped back too as well.
Christian's at the back.
And there's
doesn't
Tyler
look like
right there.
Flat or anything much. I'm not sure what it is.
Tire. He's not liking these cooler conditions. He was one of the people out there yesterday when it was teeming down rain, praying for no rain today. He got the no rain, but the temperature hasn't risen that much, about 17, 18 degrees ambient air temperature, and it's not something that Tyler was rejoicing.
No, I think in the second swim, I think it was last year, he was about 35 seconds down on his first swim time. But as Vincent Lewis comes into transition, we'll head down to Joe Ankia.
Yes, Jodie, from where we're standing, Vincent Lewis here, he just seems so relaxed, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's done this perfect. He could take all the course, all the lines that he wanted to take, and now he's got time to take his transition, and he's done it again. He's away, he's doing this perfectly.
And now such a big group of the rest of them fighting for those positions. How tense does that make things, especially in transition?
It's absolutely carnage. You need to try and get to your position. You've got people coming in and out. It's absolute carnage, and you need to get in and out as quick as possible.
A very eventful race already. Back to you.
Ollie Turner, second out of transition.
Absolutely right. He's got the crowd right behind him. I was looking at everyone racking their bikes. Everyone went in back first on their bikes, except for Tyler Mislachuk. He is under the pump.
Yeah,
put it
he's
straight in.
definitely under pressure.
There he is. He's going to need to rely on that run, but he's racked his bike the normal way, and that's going to cost him later.
It'll be interesting to see what Vincent Lewis decides to do from this point. If he's just going to keep hammering on and just, stay out in front the whole race, or if he might just wait for one or two stronger swimmers from the group behind him to catch up.
I guess my question to you, in terms of the fact that you spend more time, you're the one that's in the athlete locker room, you're the one who's amongst the group. If Vince decides to put the hammer down and he ends up running a minute faster than anybody else, for example, hypothetically, in his time when we put them both together, does that get in people's heads? If he's 30 seconds quicker than everyone else in the combined times, does everyone look at that and go, oh, gee, there's no way we're going to get him?
Yeah, you just go back to the drawing board and think, where can I improve?
Yeah.
How can I beat him?
But would he be thinking that I'm going to destroy everyone now because it's going to be a mental game for everyone else, or does he back off and let everyone come to him?
Absolutely. He's definitely planting a little seed in everyone's minds that he's in great shape, he's in great form. He's showing them how to race right now.
He's hating this, aren't you?
Yeah,
are you hating this?
There's
You're too polite to say it, but this is your rival.
Yeah, he's just running so smooth. He's in a nice stride. Even though that the run course is so technical, it's constantly accelerating, decelerating, and he's just motoring. He's actually just going for it right now. Blumenfeld is coming down that hill, really pushing the pace, trying to catch up.
I was sitting there waiting for Christian Blumenfeld to come through. Watch this, every time he sort of drifts back, I'm like, where's Christian? He's going to be moving to the front. He's always aggressive, and there he is, the one leading the charge in the pursuit of Vincent Lewis.
Freelancer's found the going tough on the run. He's just ahead of Mislichuk. And well done to Vasco Velasa, who was in about 11th or 12th position, but's moved himself up into 7th position, the Portuguese. But at the front, though, it's 14 minutes in, and Vincent Lewis is doing exactly what he did here last year, and the crowd are enjoying every minute. Blumenfeld ahead of Van Riel, and then who is that behind Van Riel? Leo Bergier, then Mario Mola, the three-time world champion, then Velasa. So he is in some exalted company. Vasco Velasa, there's no doubt about that.
That's a massive group of talent right there. Huge group. Martin Van Riel, who we saw come onto the circuit last year in Mallorca. He's done amazing things. Matty Sharp and Ollie Turner, the favourite.
So Turner
and Tyler Mislichuk has drifted right back.
He has indeed. There he is ahead of Igor Polyansky, 3 to last, and then behind them Pierre Lecour, the Frenchman. But Turner, I can see his running style has changed a lot. He's done a lot of work on his core. He had a bit of the snake running style last year. He didn't have a stronger core as some of the other athletes. He's done a lot of work on that, and it certainly seems to be paying off. He's sitting in 8th position, 20 seconds back. Big gap back to Lecour, though, is having a very lonely race. One of our qualifiers also having a lonely race, this man. 10 seconds clear of Blumenfeld, Van Riel, Bergier, Mola, Velasa, Sharp and Turner. Mislichuk 9th and controlling everything.
Yeah, I think he's just doing enough just to stay 10 seconds ahead. You can see that he keeps looking when he comes around the turnarounds, just to make sure that he's staying in position. And just doing enough, not overexerting himself, keeping some energy for tomorrow. And Blumenfeld is actually just trying to gap Mola.
In a shootout last week, Mario Mola actually defeated Vincent Lewis in one of those French Grand Prix. A completely different looking circuit to this, a lot more open and wide in Le Boule. And it's the closest we've seen Mario Mola to a front of a race here in Jersey. He doesn't seem to like the cold. He struggled last year in the conditions here. He struggled on this course, and it's good to see him in this semi-final right up near the front.
Josh Lewis right on the bubble at the back of this field. He's about 1:10 back, so he'll be looking at elimination soon if he doesn't get a move on. It's kind of a good course for someone who's leading like this or wants to maintain a lead. There's 3 dead turns spaced pretty much evenly around the course, so you can always keep an eye and monitor your competition. One at the end of the transition, one at the roundabout, and one up near the fan zone.
Yeah, when we looked at this course and we designed and added that extra dogleg, we're actually thinking of Henry, to be quite honest with you. The smaller,
which we always are.
We are, but we thought with the big swim, with the blue jersey going to come off, you had Vincent Lewis who's going to match you in the swim at many times, but that ability to get away and use your bike skills to open up those gaps is what we're trying to hope to create with these tight, quick courses. Big run by Christian Blumenfeld.
He only knows one way to do things, and that is with that pain face on. There's no doubt about that. Mola is behind him. Van Riel there or thereabouts too.
It'll be interesting to see if Van Riel is going to try and bridge the gap to Lewis. Maybe drop Christian Blumenfeld, Mario Mola, get them off his feet.
Berger there as well, and Velasa by himself in 6th position. There's some quality athletes though in that top 5.
Tyler back there with Poliansky.
Everything has to go into the athlete's box except for the runners. For the second run, they can be outside the box, if indeed they have one pair of runners. Some of them carry 2 pairs of runners. Poliansky, Turner, LaCour has done his best to catch up. And Friedlance is going to need a very, very good swim. But into the water goes Vincent Lewis, our reigning champion and in control of this semi-final. Still a good 10 seconds, isn't it? Maybe more.
Yeah, this is definitely like one of the most difficult parts of the course. All the blood is in your legs from cycling and running, and now all of a sudden you jump into this cold water, trying to move your arms. Sometimes you cramp. It's just such a difficult feeling to feel that water. So the weaker swimmers will really struggle. You'll see them drop back, and this is where Martin van Riel can really move around and maybe try and close a gap to Lewis in front of him.
I spoke to him at breakfast this morning, Martin van Riel, and I said, how do you cope in these kind of conditions? He's like, I've been trying really hard to put on a little bit more muscle, a little bit more bulk. And then I looked at his arms and I was like, well, where did you start?
I was going to say, he's a small guy.
He's a tiny guy. Oh, and unfortunately for Josh Lewis, he was close to, he was 1:15 through the last one. But Josh Lewis from Guernsey has been eliminated. He was in the corporate race last year and he's found the step up. Yep. Quite a big one. Fair enough.
The Battle of the Islands here was bigger than the Vincent Lewis and all the athletes coming. This Battle of the Islands between Ollie Turner and Josh Lewis was front page news here.
It absolutely was, and he's a former swimmer. He only started triathlon in 2016, did Josh Lewis, and then went to the National Performance Centre in Cardiff with Ollie, and then went to the Commonwealth Games. So it's been an amazing couple of years for Josh Lewis, but he's found the going a bit tough here.
Yeah, he's swimming really comfortable. He's not even kicking. He's probably just trying to recover. I know from when I was racing, I used the swim to recover sometimes, and maybe he's just thinking about that as well. Maybe waiting for someone to catch up and work with someone in the rest of the race.
Imagine using the swim to recover, Macca.
Place to drown in the swim.
That is absolutely foreign.
Martin van Riel is really making his move right now. He's gapping the Christian Blumenfeld behind him. And if he works a little bit harder, maybe he can bridge that gap to Lewis.
Just everything Christian Blumenfeld does just looks flat out. He swings the arms over. He's got a high rating. He runs with his grimaced face. He's just passion personified in his racing tactics and his racing look.
He wouldn't slow down to open a door handle. He just runs straight through the door. That would be quicker, wouldn't it? That would be faster. Does everything at 110%. He's going to need to give all of that. He does look comfortable though, Vincent Lewis. I don't think there's a point during Super League racing so far where he hasn't looked comfortable.
You had him under pressure here last year, I will say, Henry, on that in this enduro format. And I remember in that last race of the enduro format in the final we're going to see tomorrow with the eliminations happening at the back, Richard Murray rode across to you guys, but at one point there I actually thought Vincent Lewis looked vulnerable and you guys were gone, but he just has this uncanny ability to measure his effort and close gaps when he needs to.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's not a world champion for no reason. Yeah. He's a very talented athlete. And yeah, he's going to be there no matter what. I mean, you can throw anything at him, flat tire in Singapore. He still manages to come out with that 4th position overall. So, I mean, he's always going to be there no matter what happens. And right now, he's just in cruise control in front of the race.
And as you call, Martin van Riel has separated himself from that second group. And if you can have a quick transition, and maybe Vincent wants some company, maybe he doesn't, allow them to jump off and escape the two of them.
Yeah, it will be good if Lewis can maybe just look over his shoulder and see what's happening. They are training partners, so maybe he might just decide to cycle with them, but we'll see what happens.
Ollie Turner's moved down into 11th position. He's starting to lose a little bit of time to people like Friedlance, Poliansky and Sharp. But as Vincent Lewis comes back into transition, we'll check in again with Joe and Jody.
Yeah, but it seems that this group have broken away. We've been a little bit on island watch down here. Obviously, Josh Lewis has been eliminated, but Ollie Turner, he seems to be falling back, but did he go out a bit too fast?
He had an amazing swim, bike, run first leg, and he had to put it all in the gamble. He had to try and do it. He's got to go for the fastest split now. He's got to try and get some more places up there. He's got to hang on, otherwise he's going to get eliminated and not through to tomorrow.
And out of the front pack chasing Vincent Louis, who do you think looks like they might be in with a chance of perhaps closing that gap?
To be honest, Mario Mola's doing an awesome job. This is not his best format. He doesn't really like this, but he's doing a great job and he's up there. And, you know, he's got a great run leg on him, so it'll be interesting to see how he goes.
Certainly a fast race. Back to you guys.
Thanks, guys.
Pierre Lecour has really moved up after that swim.
Yeah, he has.
Yeah, he really has.
I'll tell you who in terms of contracted athletes, is struggling. Now, the two Canadians still, Mutual Chuck and Sharp, both have been good in this format before, but both look, especially I saw Matt Sharp's face there as he went through. He's in 7th position. He looks like he's almost burned all his matches, but we'll see. We'll keep a look at the two Canadians there, but Valasa is impressing me still where he is. Let's hope he can make it through. That's Michael Arashida coming out of the water. As we move into the second bike, and it's 6 seconds now. So this time, one triathlon ago, it was 10 seconds, and now it's down to 6. So Van Riel is all by himself and a good 10 seconds ahead of Blumenfeld and Berger and Mola. So you'd have to say they're probably your top 5, barring incident, as we are back to Lecour, who has moved from about 12th to 6th. So he's starting to come into his own a little bit. Sharp and Valasa.
It looks like Lewis is not waiting for anyone. He's making Van Riel work really hard. I think he really wants to have that short shoot advantage tomorrow. So he's not giving anything up to chance.
That was Arashida in transition. I don't think he's going to get out of transition. I think he's going to be eliminated, which is unfortunate for the American.
Van Riel really handled the bike very well. He's a small guy. He's from Belgium, I guess a biking nation, and he seems to be in the pursuit of Vincent Lewis.
Yeah, he's not scared to go on a breakaway or go solo. So, I mean, I think he's in his element right now. I think he will catch up to Lewis, and I think we can get a really nice run battle, but I think Lewis might just have one on him.
Yeah, he looks like he's putting a lot of effort in to catch up, whereas Vince has been maintaining throughout the last 3 or 4 legs. Blumenfeld leading this group of 3. The 3 of them together have such an impressive resume, but they're all chasing this man, and I think it was 6 seconds. It's come down a fair bit from that as they come around the roundabout for the second time.
Yeah, he had a look over his shoulder there. I think he's probably thinking in his mind, he's probably going to catch. Maybe I'll just ease off the gas just a little bit, be a little bit more safe. Or, yeah, he's still fiddling with his shoes, trying to get comfortable.
It's one of those things, if you're Martin Van Riel, you're sitting back there, you see the guy in front of you, and it's just a tendency to want to close that gap. And you probably should monitor your effort a little bit more, but you just want to close in and get a rest on that wheel. So
races are races.
A race is a race.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
Vincent's probably thinking, oh, look, I'll try and get to as easy as possible. And Martin's thinking, I want to close this gap.
But he's got to look at the run and go, do I, considering what effort I'm putting in now, is it all going to be wasted in the fact that Vince is probably going to have a lot more to give to me at the end? And we know that, and you've been on the end of it a few times, he's got this kick in the last 400 metres, which is almost unbeatable.
Yeah, I mean, I think Martin is actually doing a very good race right here. I mean, you don't want to just give it to Lewis in open arms. So, I mean, he's really racing aggressive, trying to catch up. And yeah, you never know. Maybe anything can happen on the run.
Anything can happen on the run. We know that Super League has delivered some bizarre scenarios in the past, but full credit to Martin Van Riel.
He's on the map.
He only had 1 round of Super League last year, finished 4th in that round, but he's back in. He's going to be, across the season, a feature. He confirmed to me this morning he's not going to miss one, and well, he's already pretty much got his Olympic spot assured, being from Belgium. There's 2 guys who are kind of, got the results in the bank, so
it looks like the top automatic qualifiers will come from this group here.
There's no one going to run into that group. There's too much running power right there.
Exactly.
What do they do, though, these guys, now? Do they decide to just head home without spending too much energy? Or, I mean, I can't imagine Christian Blumenfeld doesn't look at Mario Mola and go, I'm going to beat you, no matter what.
I think Christian Blumenfeld still looks up the road at Vincent Lewis. I'm half a chance. His attitude's amazing. What is on offer right now, and I was just thinking, Martin Van Riel's putting a lot of effort, is this bike jersey. The fastest bikes per today gets a jersey. There's $10,000 up for grabs at the end of the season. It's a jersey worth wearing and going after. And Martin's bike ride, then he's closed 6 seconds in 2 laps. You've got Vincent Lewis off the front, who rides these lines very, very well. He could grab himself a bike jersey.
He could mess it up if they start getting really tactical now. They'll lose their gap that they got over the group behind them. And then, yes, with the green points jersey, he would really want to keep that pace up right now.
Yeah.
It would be good if Martin van Riel can come in front. Although he did spend a lot of work trying to catch up, but it seems like Vincent is now pushing a little bit harder.
And this is where the wind comes across. The wind's coming straight across off the marina there, and it says that this is where I was with Vincent, and he was saying these barricade covers, the material ones, allowed the wind to come through, so he's going to hug it very, very wide in that section, which is exactly what he did.
Does Vince push a little bit harder here to make sure that there's no chance for Van Riel to collect himself a little bit before this run now that he's spent to catch up? You need to make sure that Van Riel has to keep pushing to stay there.
I think he was hoping that Van Riel was going to come in front and maybe help him out a little bit so that he can just have a little bit of a breather. Yeah, there we go. He's been out in front the entire race so far, so that will catch up with you just a little bit. And I think he's being smart now. He let Van Riel go in front of him, and he's probably thinking about that sprint home at the end of the run.
These guys look like they've switched off a little bit. They're going to let those two go up the road.
Yeah, I think they've already decided that the winner is going to come from the front too. So they just kind of in cruise mode, making sure that they make that top 5.
Yeah, they lost 2 seconds in that lap to the leaders, so they haven't sat up, but they're just. I mean, these two obviously are not going as quick as they were early doors either. So 23 seconds the gap, and
yeah, Vincent Louis, I think, is just going to be looking at Van Riel right until the transition, maybe make a move on him, dismounting his bike.
The two of them through transition, nothing between them. Van Riel now in front on the last of 4 laps. We've got 1 run home, 1.6 kilometres, 2 laps of the 800-metre course. Vincent Lewis holds the fastest run around here with an average 2:57 pace. And some guy who's slow with a 2:59 pace called Schoeman is second.
No, he's got nothing.
Yeah.
He's got nothing.
No, he used to be good, though, as I recall. This is 2019, though, now. The new day.
No, it's great, right? These two train together. They'd be very, very comfortable in each other's company. They're friends. They spend all year together. They've had great seasons between them. And
yeah, there we go. Lewis just came in front now, making sure he comes into that transition first.
Well, it matters. He's remarkable.
Off the bike they get. Van Riel was top 10 in his splits in Mallorca for the run, but Lewis is our best runner. In fact, he had the top split from 4 of 6 stages in Jersey in 2018. In fact, of the 23 total runs in 2018 in Super League, Vincent Lewis set the fastest time in 12 of them, and he missed 2 because he had a puncture. And when he's made it to the last run of the day, as he's done now, he's finished with the fastest split 6 of 7 times. And the other time he finished second.
It's not bad.
So he gets better as the days and weeks and stages go on. There are some immensely qualified athletes in 3rd, 4th and 5th in Berger, who's had a great transition there and comes out ahead of Mola and Blumenfeld.
Well, the pressure's not off completely. You can see this group with Matt Sharp, Vasco and Pierre Lecor, even Arnie Turner and Tyler Misselchuk. So I wouldn't say that the qualifiers would come from that 3rd group behind Louis and Van Riel. I think there's still a good race on our hands there.
Well, these guys are racing for time as well, right? So there's the 5 up the time. You've got the 5 fastest times after that are going to get through to the final. So they need to continually push and stay as close to that 5th position as they can.
Yeah, Louis is already putting the pressure on very early on. I think Van Riel kind of accepted it. But maybe he comes into his stride later on.
It's a short shoot. It's thinking of the short shoot. I think
exactly right.
Martin's has cooked it on the bike, but said, okay, look, there's no use playing. I'm going to sit here, take second, cover that.
Yeah, Lewis is not taking any chances. He's not even waiting for the sprint at the end. He's just breaking him in the beginning.
So it's a British protectorate is Jersey, but it is all about France today. We're only 5 miles off the coast. Normandy, the closest across the water. And Cassandra Beaugrand quickest overall in the women's 2 semi-finals, and Vincent Lewis will set a blistering pace in this one. It looks like he's going to win his semi-final, and it'll take a big effort in semi-final B to best him. He's already put in about 40 metres on Van Riel after they come out of the bike. He's got a very good run. That was Vincent Lewis.
I think Martin Van Riel just went a little bit into the red, trying to catch up on that bike, and he's really feeling it now on that run.
Well, he's just about got second place wrapped up. He's 28 seconds clear of Mola, Blumenfeld and Bergier, who are a further 20 seconds ahead of Lacour, Velasa, Sharp, Turner, Mislachuk, Polyansky and Friedlands, who has fallen foul of the 90-second mark there. There are our two leaders. And it's just about a victory lap for Vincent Lewis. Could be 2018, looking at that exact shot. Except in 2018, at least on Saturday, you were right behind him. Let's not forget that.
That was a great race. A great race.
Yeah, I think the course here in Jersey really suits the well-balanced, all-rounded athlete. And Vincent Louis obviously has all of that. He's a great swimmer, he's a great biker, he's a great runner. And yeah, I mean, if you have a weakness, it's going to show. And it's really good to see Mario Mola pushing off ahead of Christian Blumenfeld. I mean, he's not known for being a strong swimmer, but he's right up here in the mix, in the front.
It was the first time I've ever seen Christian Blumenfeld comfortable sitting on someone's shoulder.
Yeah, me too. I saw his face.
Like, wow,
where's the pain face?
Yeah, he said, look, I'm through to the final tomorrow. I'll just sit off, a world champion shoulder, as you do.
Great work from our young athlete in the white jersey, Vasco Velasa, who is hanging in with Pierre Lacour and ahead of Matt Sharp, one of our contracted athletes, and Tyler Mislachuk as well.
Yeah, Vincent Louis is probably thinking about the race tomorrow already. He's already turned off the gas. He's pumping up the crowd. The crowd is electric out there. I was out there earlier. It's amazing. Amazing.
It looks like a transition crowd, but it's at the back end of the course.
Yeah.
And that's fantastic. We're bringing the fan zone in and fans lining both sides here for a little bit of a victory 500 metres for Vincent Lewis. There aren't enough superlatives to describe how this guy has come onto the scene. There were, I guess, maybe 12 or 18 months ago, we started talking about him in a Super League sense as Sylvain Friedelands sees the yellow flag. And we talked about maybe whether he had the consistency or the willpower to at least win on the WTS. And then this year he's come out, he's been in the top 6 every time. He needed to finish 5th in Lausanne. He did that and won the World Championships. He's put any of those ideas to bed. He's now, not only he's the quickest, he's got everything. He's got all the things in his arsenal that he needs, and he's got the consistency to deliver week in, week out.
Well, he won those 2 grand finals every year. He used to come out every year and take on that grand final and win it. And in the old days, that used to be the World Championships. You had to win that last event. He did that twice, and this year he showed his consistency. There was always a question mark over that consistency, and he's the current world champion. He's remarkable all the way through Super League Series last year, racing New Henry, and now through that WTS Series as your 2019 world champion going into the Tokyo Olympics.
He's just waved to the crowd for the whole way round here.
He did a victory lap.
Yeah, he knows exactly how to do it. He's winning fans every time he comes out here. He goes all the way around the bottom end of the crowd.
A little longer.
Look at this.
A little longer the run, why not?
Oh, why not? He has been fantastic in this one, and this will send shockwaves throughout semi-final B, let alone the rest of the quality athletes who finished behind him in this one, but he jogs it in. Van Riel behind him, also very happy to get through. Congratulations to Vincent Lewis, who is our semi-final A winner here from Martin Van Riel, who has been unreal. Blumenfeld, of course, he had to win in that little pack. He found enough in the end from Mola and Leo Bergier. So 2 Frenchmen through, just as there was in semi-final A in the women's, with Sandra Daudet and Cassandra Beaugrand, and Pierre Lacour knows that he's on the bubble, so he is putting it in. Vasco Viaca as well.
He realised just to hit that finish straight. Hang on a sec.
Hang on, I've got to keep going. And Velasa comes in
Matty Sharp
at velocity. Sharp too.
Smart racing, Matt.
Setting these times and hoping that they are going to be enough. And Mislachuk will have to have a lot go his way if indeed he is going to make it through at 48 seconds back. So he's at a 36.51. But 36.03 is a very fast time. Polyansky coming in 10th position. And Ollie Turner, who it doesn't look like we're going to see. In fact, we definitely are going to see on Sunday in 11th position, Ollie Turner. But congratulations to him. His first swing boat run was outstanding, but he just didn't quite have enough. And did that play out, Henry Schoeman, just about exactly as you thought it was going to?
Yeah, I mean, you can never count out Vincent Louis. He was always going to be up there in the front. I knew Martin van Riel was going to be one of the top contenders, being a strong swimmer. Seeing Christian Blumenfeld and Mario Moeller up there in the front was good to see as some of the weaker swimmers. And Tyler Misselchuk, I think he might be disappointed with that.
I think he will be. I think his weekend is most likely over, depending on what happens in semi-final B, which will be coming up in just a few minutes. Right now, they'll head down to Joankia, who has our winner, Vincent Lewis.
Yes, I have the winner, Vincent, here with me. Vincent, you looked so relaxed. Was that as easy as it looked?
No. It was a bit of a poker face. That wasn't really easy, but yeah, by the end I got a good gap, and I know Martin van Riel. I'm training with him every day, so I know that I'm a bit superior to him on the run. So yeah, I just went easy for the last lap and trying to warm up the crowd for tomorrow.
And you did let him go in front of you at one point. How hard was he pushing you?
Yeah. He made the gap. He joined me on the second round on the bike. I know he's really strong on the bike, so I was expecting him to bridge this gap, and that was quite fun to have him with me on the bike. He's my training mate. We know each other really well. So our coach was on the side just saying, don't do anything stupid, boys, don't crash, you got 25 seconds gap, and yeah, we just made a bit of a pace line together.
And of course, you did choose to go out hard like that on your own. Tomorrow, do you think you'll run it differently?
Obviously, after the swim, I was only with Tyler Misselchuk, and he couldn't stay with me on the first lap of the bike, so I was just like, I'm not gonna slow down and wait, and laps after laps, I get used to the track. And yeah, I can corner really well, and that was super nice. I mean, the bike was really handly, and that was a really nice race.
Well, you've certainly made an impression with this crowd. How is the crowd helping you along today?
Yeah, crazy. I think I got my spot with the crowd already last year, and so this year I saw I had a bit of gap, and I was like, okay, I need to cheer them and try to warm them up a bit for tomorrow. And I hope despite if we have bad weather tomorrow, the crowd will be still there to support us.
We will all be cheering along the way. Thank you so much. Well done. Good luck for tomorrow.
Thank you.
The crowd certainly enjoying every moment of that, and it certainly was a masterclass from Vincent Lewis, who you can say things like, I knew I was superior, but the fact is that he was.
He is. He is. He's amazing to watch.
He's a confidence athlete.
He's a confidence athlete. He's got no kinks in his armour. He swims. He's one of the best swimmers in the sport. He rides a bike amazing, and his run's remarkable.
Let's have a look at those times. Vincent Lewis finished in the end 9 seconds ahead, 36.03, that's the mark, so look for that in semi-final B. Van Riel, Blumenfeld, Moeller and Vergier. So in a sense, the cream rising to the top, at least in terms of resumes. There's a lot of World Championships between the four of them. Pierre Lecour did so well after a little bit of a slow start. He'll be nervous. 36.32 is the mark, so anywhere in that middle to high 36s is where we need to look at our bubble athletes. For the other one, Vasco Velasa, great result from him. Congratulations. Max Sharp and Tyler Misselchuk, the two Canadians, will be very worried about what they turned in just then. And the weather is turning a little colder. Maybe if we get some rain, that might help out those two guys. Igor Polyansky in 10th position. So a couple of interesting results from the Canadians, but at the front, it was all about Vincent Lewis. And we'll find out right now exactly how much Martin van Riel had left on that run. We'll go down to Joe.
Yes, Martin, you were the only man out there who was able to catch Vincent up. How important was it for you, and how hard was that? Did you have anything left?
Not much, as you saw in the last run. I gave it my all to catch him on the swim and the bike in the second round, but he was a perfect aiming point. And I know what he's capable of, so I know if I'm close to him, I'm in a really good position. And
you had an incredible bike leg in the middle, obviously the one where you caught him up. Were you thinking about that bike jersey? There's a big prize at the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean, I have a bit of a title to defend. The people always call me a good biker, so here it's where you can prove it. You get a jersey for it, so yeah, that's obviously something that's in the back of my mind.
And now you've made Vincent aware of your presence. Will you do things slightly differently tomorrow?
I mean, tomorrow it's going until the line, and then we can see where we go. Today, I think I try to save a little bit more because, yeah, I know that Vincent is a really good finisher. So, but tomorrow I'm going to try to make it more difficult.
Well, you've made a bit of a statement today, so good luck for tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
Fantastic swim biker is Martin van Riel, and he certainly showed that today. Didn't quite have it left in terms of the legs on the run. Let's have a look back to... It seems like a long time ago. It was 36 minutes ago, but semi-final A, and it was a very good swim early on from Lewis, and pretty much he was never headed from this point.
Yeah, from this point, it was always his race to lose. Yeah, just cruising through, making it really easy, looked really easy, and really comfortable. And yeah,
10 seconds off the top there, and he maintained throughout. Of course, 3 dead turns allowed him to have a good look at everyone. That was when we kind of knew that Tyler Mislachuk was having a tough day, racked the black front on, which we saw happen in the women's race for those who were under a bit more pressure. But those who had enough to think about it made sure that they were racking back on. Lewis in the second swim was good. Van Riel really bridged in there, and he was 6 seconds back coming out of the water, bridged the gap, but had to work hard. And as Vince said, training partners, they worked their way around. Van Riel had his turn at the front there for a second. It was interesting, the turn of phrase, that he let him have a go at the front. But when it came onto the run, no one can match Vincent Lewis's pace, at least no one who's out there in semi-final A. We'll find out in semi-final B, and then it was a little bit of a victory lap from this point onwards, Macca.
Oh, without question. And when you look at the stats and you look at the data of all these enduro races that Vincent Lewis has done, he gets stronger and stronger the more triathlons you put in a row. It's remarkable. His drop-off rate between those races is less than anyone else, and you saw that in that second round. So it's full kudos to that man on screen, Martin Van Riel, to be able to ride across to him.
So in 2022, when we do the Super Enduro and make it 5 triathlons back-to-back, Vince will just get better and better.
You should just make it a race where you just lose one every triathlon.
What about a 20...
And you
like
just
a
keep
24-hour enduro like they do in motorsport, just keep going.
Just keep going and
distance.
Going. Would you do it, Henry?
Distance.
We'll do it if you're in.
Yeah, definitely. Why not? It's Super League.
Yeah.
Same amount of prize money, though. Let's go down now to Joe, who's alongside Jodie Stimpson and Graham Atchison.
Yeah, well, Jodie, what an interesting race. Vincent getting pushed like that. What did you make of it?
Yeah, I mean, Vincent definitely wanted that short shoot, and he did an absolutely fantastic job. But Martin Van Riel as well, absolutely amazing. But you got to say that Vincent Louis is going to be favourite going through to tomorrow.
But Martin made a little bit of a statement showing that he can almost keep up with him. You don't think he has it in him?
Not for the win, no. I'm going to say not for the win. He showed a fantastic bike leg, but Vincent's just another level.
Okay, well, Vincent, of course, will have that short shoot as well, so that will help. We've got Graham here, our analyst. Let's look ahead at semi-final B. There's a lot of strong swimmers. Can you separate them?
For me, this semi-final is all about Brownlee versus Eden, I think. Brownlee, we've got the credentials, everybody knows who he is, what he can do here. But then you've got the new guy, Gustav Eden. He's performed really well in the ITU this year. And also the recently crowned 70.3 champion. So those two, I think, are the two to watch in this race.
But of course, a 70.3 Ironman, that is very different from the short races we have here today. How much difference will that make?
I've no idea. I'm very excited to see, to be honest. I think it's actually say the translation from that length of distance to this short, sharp racing, it'll be interesting to see how he gets on.
Okay, and back to you, Jodie. You know all too well what it is like to race multiple days in a row. What do the athletes have to go through tonight to get this race out of their legs?
Yeah, you have to. Recovery is absolutely key. You can't then just stop the race and then go and sit in your hotel room. You need to have a good warm down. You need to get that lactic acid out of your body. You need to eat well, and then hopefully try and sleep. That's the key factors to then having a good race tomorrow.
And in terms of things like nutrition, what are the sort of foods that athletes will want to eat tonight? Because you don't want to be too full, but obviously there's a lot of carbo loading that has to be done.
Well, as soon as you finish the race, you want to get that protein shake straight down. Yeah, that's the key initial. You want to get that within like a key 20 minutes, and then have a good warm down. And then you want to keep it simple tonight. You want to kind of have those, pizzas, rice, just to kind of keep it simple on your stomach, because you've worked hard today and you need to be able to digest it ready for tomorrow.
Okay, and another hugely important factor of racing is, of course, the psychology. And you've got certain athletes today that had some shocks in their race. Emma Jeffcoat, for example. How does one get past that for tomorrow?
You kind of use that aggression, I think, going through to tomorrow. She was definitely at a disadvantage, and she still made it through. So hopefully tomorrow she has a cleaner run and she gets to kind of be on a bit more of a level pegging field. But she had to work really hard today, so recovery is absolutely key for her.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for the expert insights, and we'll send it back to the studio.
Thank you very much. Great insights and nice honesty there from Jodie Stimpson. Does Martin Van Riel have all it takes to win? No, I don't think so. And that's what we want from our commentary team. And fair enough, though. Can anyone beat Vincent Lewis? That is the big, big question. He's thrown down the gauntlet with a 36.03. We'll keep an eye on the times for semi-final B. It could be a little bit of variable weather out there, which might skew it. And I think that's really the only chance that people like Vasco Velasa, Matt Sharp, Tyler Mislachuk have of getting into the finals tomorrow.
my thoughts are that this next semi-final is going to be a little bit more tactical. It's going to group up a little bit more. We've got a lot of strong swimmers, and I think the positions are going to change quite a bit. So it will be quite interesting to see. Maybe the fastest qualifiers might come from Group A.
Well, it would be interesting, as you said. I think that the swim power in this group, I know that Matt Hauser stepped out, he's not racing, I heard, but other than that, the swimming pedigree in this group is remarkable. And guys like Hayden Wild, who are not known for their swim, could find themselves drifting a bit further back than they need to be. They've got to make the move up on the bike. He's very technically astute on the bike. Even Gustav Eden, who's not really a super swimmer, could find himself in trouble. So that speed off the start in this semi-final will be interesting to see.
Yeah, definitely. But I do think Hayden and Gustav Eden are definitely going to have to work together and really work that second swim really hard. With the strong swimmers, they'll be trying to create that gap on that second swim.
All the setups here you can see in transition are vaguely similar. What do you check on when, what do you make sure is perfect just before you head out? You
want to make sure that your shoes are really well open, that you can really get your foot in nice and easily, and make sure your helmet is in the right position, in a solid position so that the wind won't blow it off. I've had that a few times where the wind has blown off the helmet, the official put it back, and the straps were all tangled, so I spent like 10 seconds just trying to untangle that. So you really want to make sure that everything is solid down. You know exactly where you're going to rack your bike and grab your shoes as well.
Do you think that official tangled the straps on purpose? Have you thought about that?
No, I don't think so.
No, you're too polite. If Vince was in here, he would have said, yeah, for 100%. That's exactly what happened. There's no doubt about it. We're going to head to a VT right now. In fact, we're going to see something which was a little bit different. It was Sunrise Yoga. Hayden Wild featured in that one, as did Vicky Holland. Out in the castle, if you don't mind, that we see in the back of shot. This is how it all played out. I was in bed. I missed it all. But this is Sunrise Yoga.
Today's class is really going to be focusing on preparing your body for a weekend of triathlon racing, but also clearing the mind, focusing the body and working on the energy of the spirit.
Yeah, we've come up to the castle here and we've been doing some yoga, which is a pretty nice way to start your morning.
A 30-minute morning session to wake up the body and get the muscles moving and get ready for the day.
It's good for, firstly, a bit of relaxation, and also really good for strength, your posture and your mobility.
Yeah, I'd say give it a go, try your downward dog, see if you can do your warrior pose. You can have a bit of a laugh doing it as well.
The reception we get here every year, we feel so welcomed and it's just a brilliant vibe.
Yeah, like in New Zealand, we're a super young country, so we don't have castles or anything like that. Coming to Jersey and Europe as a whole, and again, to look at these old beautiful buildings, it's pretty cool to look around and look at the history.
We spend a fair bit of time here before the race, and it's one of the joys of our job, really, that we can use that to go out and see new places.
Yeah, it's been really good, so pretty, yeah.
Yeah, it's just a beautiful place, and the Super League atmosphere, it's real kind of, feels like a family. It's just lovely to be around.
Oh, I think it's as good as anywhere that we can race. We've got a really great race location here. I really love how tight and compact it is. It makes it really easy for spectators to see everything, to get involved, and to really make us feel like we're superstars.
An early start and a spot of yoga. Let's hope it helps them out this weekend. You'll see more of Hayden Wild in the second semi-final, and amongst those great athletes will be Olympic silver medalist Johnny Brownlee. During the week, Joe caught up with a Brit to talk about the run discipline.
Okay, well, I've got Johnny Brownlee with me, who was 5th last year, but more importantly had the red jersey, which means you're a fantastic runner. You're going to tell us a little bit about this run course, and it's a bit different this year, isn't it?
Yeah, the run course has changed from last year. Firstly, the roundabout bit where we're doing the bike has been taken out, and there's been another dead turn put on the run course just behind us over here. So it's different for us because normally we race on 2.5 kilometre loops where you got lots of straight lines and you can get into your rhythm. But here it's twisting and turning. You're never going in a straight line for probably more than 150 metres. So it's about going fast into those corners, having a short stride around the corners, getting your stride fast out the corners and then going again. So it's very, very different. Like I say, it's lots of short efforts rather than one long effort.
So what you're saying is it's a fast race, it's a shorter run race than normal, and you've got all these crazy twists and turns. Okay, so what sort of position would you prefer to be in to take those turns?
In a run course like this, you want to really be at the front or second person if it's really, really windy. If you're 5 or 6 people behind, you're going to be constantly slowing down to the corners. Then the person at the front is going to be coming out while you're still going into the corner. So you have to catch up and be sprinting out of them. So yeah, in the first 2 positions, it's very, very windy, so you want to be sheltered if it are into a headwind. Otherwise, if you're too far back, you spend your whole time sprinting, going easy, sprinting, going easy. So yeah, that makes it good, it makes it interesting racing, because instead of one of those people who can hide in the pack, you can't do that here, you've got to be near the front.
Okay, and of course if you are at the back, you've also got time penalties and things to think about. But of course you'll be a bit more sheltered by the wind. What might you be thinking about if you're falling to the back of the pack?
Well, if I'm struggling and getting dropped a little bit, or starting to tire, there's a few cues you can tell yourself. Well, firstly, I tell myself to hold on to that pack for as long as you can. So I might break the course down to sections and go, you're not getting dropped until that corner, and then you can ease off. And just before you hit that corner, you set another goal and say, no, I'm staying on this pack until the next corner. And secondly, for me, when I start to struggle, I start to tighten up, work a bit too hard, my back starts to bend, my fists are pumping, whereas I tell myself to relax the arms and still run fast but more efficient. Because sometimes when you tire, you start to work it too hard, and actually you slow down because you're trying to work too hard.
So lots of thinking in this race, but trying not to do too much overthinking. Okay, so what would be the ideal position for you? You've actually improved every single Super League. So what are you hoping for this time round?
I'm hoping to try and get on the podium. I go to every race that I do, try and be on the podium, so I'll try and do that again. But I think it's going to be an interesting race. I think obviously the heats on the Saturday is about getting through the heats and feeling good. And then on Sunday, I think the person who wins that race is going to be the person who's brave but isn't stupid, because there's going to be a bit of rain and wind, so the bike course is going to be a bit technical and slippy. So you want to take risks to save energy and not be too far back, but at the same time, they've got to be kind of calculated risks.
Okay, and one more. It's quite an unpredictable event, obviously. What's the craziest thing you've witnessed or experienced on one of the runs in Super League?
I think for me, what I found strange is when we're running and then going to swim afterwards. So you're running next to someone and they're putting the hat and goggles on next to you, and you're thinking, what are you doing? Especially in Singapore when it was about 40 degrees and people are putting the hat on, getting hot heads and then diving in the water. For us, that's very, very, very different. Normally, we've come from a world where it's swim, bike, run, finish. Whereas on Sunday, it'll be swim, bike, run, swim, bike, run, swim, bike, run.
So much to think about. Okay, well, we wish you the best of luck. We know that you want to be up there at the front, so do your friends and family in Britain. So good luck, Johnny.
Thank you very much. Cheers. Thank you.
Johnny Brownlee, there he is, part of the famous Brownlee brothers that have dominated at least headlines in recent years. He's, of course, an Olympic silver medalist. His brother, Ali, the reigning Olympic gold medalist, won't be competing in Tokyo. He's going instead for the Hawaii Ironman World Championships title in a couple of weeks' time. But Johnny, a superstar in his own right, 2-time world sprint champion, obviously fated here in Great Britain and in his home Yorkshire, part of Team GB, etc. All eyes are on him here.
Oh, without question, yeah. He also won the Olympic bronze medal. We don't tend to talk about that a lot because they've got so many medals, but he's remarkable. He's been part of that famous Brownlee brother clan forever.
We'll head back down now to Joe now as we head into semi-final B. There's not a lot of time. In fact, we're right there, Joe.
We are right there now. We are right there indeed. Now this is known as the swimmers semi. Many strong swimmers in this group. I'm joined by Gustav Eden, who just won the 70.3 Ironman. How is that endurance going to help you out today?
I think the endurance will help, but swimming is weak, and I'm in the swimming group now, so we'll see how it pans out. But hopefully I can do some damage in the second round. But I'm not really hopeful on the first swim here today.
And it will go off fast. How much will you enjoy at least having the chance to sprint and do something different today?
Yeah, it's very different from the 70.3 World Champ, so it's going to be cool to see what I have left, but it's going to be hard.
Excellent. A quick word with Jonas Stromberg here. Jonas, I know you really wanted to be in Super League a couple of seasons ago. How does it feel to be here? And I know that you're going to the Olympics as well.
I know, it's fantastic. First time. It's actually my third time here now in Jersey, and I'm looking forward to a new season now in Super League, and let's go for it.
And what was it that made you want to compete in Super League so bad? Because I know you really had to ask everyone a couple of years ago to be allowed in.
I know, just super fast racing. I love it, going hard from start, from the gun. I will try to do it today the same.
Okay, let's take a little walk down the pontoon. One thing I can let you know here is that the conditions have definitely, the temperature's dropped a little bit, so that will probably affect times today. So they will be wanting to get out fast because of that drop in temperature. We've got Hayden Wild here. Hayden, I'll just grab a quick word. I know they call you the Falcon. What kind of qualities does the Falcon have when it comes to triathlon?
Yeah, I guess a good bit of personality, post-race interviews, and yeah, dabbling a bit of triathlon at the same time. The Falcons normally don't swim in the water, but and I know this is the swim heat, but we'll give it a go and see if we can hold it up with the big boys. So no, it should be good fun. Excited.
And what are you hoping for today?
I'm hoping to get to Sunday. That's a big goal. But yeah, just a consistent no error race, and no errors should hopefully lead to Sunday's race.
And we saw you doing a bit of sunrise yoga this morning. Did that help to stretch the muscles out?
Oh, very much so. Yeah, we're ready to go. All cylinders firing.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. Well, we will let the boys take to the line. They are just getting ready. They are just keeping warm. As I mentioned, the conditions have dropped a little bit, so it will be slightly different racing. It's probably going to be very tactical. They don't have the race favourites, but there are some very strong swimmers amongst them, so expect a very fast start.
Thanks, Joe. Some great answers there, and it was good to see some honesty as well from Gustav Eden, who knows that he is up against it despite already holding a world championship. There is some fantastic swimmers. You can see Matt Hauser there in 7. In fact, he's pulled out with a chest infection, and he actually held the blue swimmers jersey at the end of last year. So that's helpful for guys like Con Doherty from Ireland, who's having his first taste, Aidan Longcroft-Harris. Anthony Poujard is fantastic. And our junior winner down there, Simon Henslett, we have to shout him out as well. He won the junior race this morning. It means he got a shot on the pontoon here, and he took it, only 19 years of age. So he is he's up against it in this one. Chris Perham as well at home. He's a great swimmer, Macca.
He's a big swimmer, and what was interesting is Gustav Eden. He defeated Alistair Brownlee in that World Championship event only 2 weeks ago in Nice. It was a remarkable performance, and to stand up here in a Super League race only 2 weeks later is that's a range. We always talk about Ben Canute, who's also in this semi-final, who's got a big range, but now Gustav Eden is barking up that same tree.
What are you thinking if you're Simon Henslett, having already raced this morning and then found yourself in a lineup along with these guys?
You take that long glance, don't you? Go, wow.
What's happening?
Look at these guys.
But, he won gold in the Euro Cup in Tiszaváros. He's the German national junior champ. He also was part of the mixed team relay, who are the German Euro junior champs as well. So he's got form. He doesn't have quite the form of some of the guys at the other end of the pontoon, Johnny Brownlee, Ben Canute, etc. Another guy we haven't mentioned is Aurélien Raphael, who is another fantastic swimmer and a very confident fella as well. But we'll get to that in just a second. First, let's call the start of semi-final B, the last race of the day, and it looks like a clean start from everyone. If anything, I think Ben Canute got off a little bit slowly. Simon Henslett is out there going hell for leather, as they all are, and someone got caught up there in the middle. And sometimes the middle, 5, 6, 7, 8, it can get pretty lively.
The Young Junior got off super fast. The problem is you've got to move across from right to left, and that inside line, I've always seen Henry Schumann, well, he's sitting right next to me, you always tend to take that inside line. It moves quickly. We saw in the men's first semi-final, that side was quicker. We saw in both the women's semi-finals, they seem to get that inside line to the first swim boy, and these guys have to move across, which makes them vulnerable to get caught up in congestion.
There were people that chose the outside line, though, because maybe they wanted to stay out of that congestion, but it seems to have not worked. It takes the strength of someone like Katie Zafiris to be able to come around and put herself in that position.
You've got to back your swim. You've got to be a swimmer to be able to do that, to have that confidence to be able to get off the blocks fast and move across.
Yeah, we have a lot of strong swimmers in this group, and you can already see 5 of them almost in a row just trying to move up there. It was Anthony Poujard who actually picked himself on the outside, and he was hoping to swim around them, and you can just see that having that longer line is actually a bit of a disadvantage. And Aurélien Raphael, I think it is.
Yeah, Raphael and Schomburg, and then Johnny Brownlee inside.
Oh, it's getting messy now.
Hayden Wild's just patted someone on the back there.
Gustav Eden is just there at the back of that.
We expected that. With this much firepower in the water, it's going to be a lot more congestion than we saw in that first semi-final, where there's a little bit more gaps between the swimmers. I think there's so much firepower. It's Wild and Gustav Eden that have to stay as close to these guys as possible.
Yeah, Aurélien Raphael is already pushing the pace. He's already got a couple of meters just between the three of them, spearheading that chase.
Who's that off the back there who's left themselves a lot to do coming up to this next transition? I can't quite glance, but the young junior that we raced this morning is sitting really comfortably. Even though he's third, he's at the back, he's got some people around him, which is the place to be. You just don't want to be on your own in these type of races.
O'Reilly and Raphael at the front, as you say, stringing them out a little bit, the 31-year-old.
Yeah, he'll be going for that blue jersey as well, trying to score those 5 points.
31 years of age makes you old in Super League terms. Normally by that stage you're going for the longer ones. Chris Perham there in about 5th position.
And that was Aaron Royal, they went past it, Johnny Brownlee.
But it's Schomburg and Raphael at the moment. Jonas Schomburg has really been a great story, Macca, if you like, as part of Super League. He's really come into his own around the same time that Super League picked him up, and now he's finds himself qualified for the Olympics. But before I get your thoughts on that, they're about at the exit, so we'll go down to Joe right now.
Yep, they are just coming out of the water. Orion Raphael there got off to a strong start. Was that tactical?
Yeah, definitely. Vincent Louis in the pontoon draw said he will be one of the first out of the water. He's not the strongest of runners, so he'll want this break to come to something.
And we heard that Hayden Wild was a little bit pushed about, touching people in the swim. What was going on there, the washing machine?
Yeah, that's his weakness, to be honest. If you go round in the first few, round the buoy, then you're clear and you can go through at speed. But then if you're 3 or 4 people back, then you're 4 people wide, and it's just a fight to get round that first buoy.
Okay, well, let's go catch up with him in transition.
Schomburg leading in, and a great swim from Aidan Longcroft-Harris, who is a noted swimmer, one of our qualifiers to come through. You can see Aurelian coming out there, number 12, the Frenchman, but Longcroft-Harris comes out in front of him.
Schomburg has had a really good transition. He really wanted to get in front. So Gustav Eden has actually made a lot of work for himself. He's towards the back end, but he's in the group.
It was a big transition from Gustav and Hayden Wild there.
Dorian Collins at the back, along with Canute.
Dorian seems to struggle in these tight turns. He's so when he gets the right course, he's remarkable to watch. But in the Super League events he's done, he doesn't like these aggressive starts in the swim and these tight circuit bike rides. He just doesn't seem to get that engine rubbing as well as it has. I've seen it run in other races.
You really get the feeling we're going to wave goodbye to a couple of really notable names who aren't going to be in Sunday. If you look through 9th to 12th at the moment in Hayden Wild, Ben Canute, Dorian Collins was there as well. These are guys who we expect to figure in racing even when we have a full field. So this is the kind of pressure that the semi-final format puts on. Gustav Eden, you can see there as well, in 11th position. They're big names in terms of the black and yellow of Super League, but at the moment it's Jonas Schomburg.
Yeah, he's really putting on the pressure now. I think he's trying to do something similar to what Lewis was doing in the race before, just trying to put the pressure on, trying to make it hard for everyone else.
And Aidan Longcroft-Harris, what a great spot to be in. He's come out of the qualifiers at that Ottawa event. You've got Schomburg in front of you. You've got the world's best behind you, Johnny Brownlee, chasing up. Goodbye. That's also Aaron Royal there, who's been training a bit with Johnny. It's great for him. He's going to be really happy with that.
It's not just about TV time and having a good position early on. This guy is a great swimmer, and we know how important the second swim is in this format. If he can make sure he has a good second swim, it's probably something new for him to go back into the water again, apart from being in at Ottawa. If he can position himself well in that second swim, he's got every chance of ousting some big names. So we'll just see how that goes. But at the moment, there's a 5-second gap back to Johnny Brownlee, and I wonder whether you asked Aidan Longcroft-Harris a year ago if at some point he'd have a 5-second gap on Johnny Brownlee in a race, whether he would have said yes.
Well, if you go back to this event last year, Schomburg was eliminated. So he's really grown throughout the Super League series, and probably Longcroft-Harris, watching this event at home in Canada, is now leading the thing. So it's a great story of these two, and I think, as we saw in that semi-final one, 2 off the front is a lot better than being in this congested group where problems can happen.
You can almost expect Jonas Schomburg to break away at the front at some point in a race these days. He did that in Tokyo. He's half a lap away on the bike at one point, ended up finishing 12th and qualifying for the Olympics, which brings him back under the wing of the German Federation, no doubt about it. But
everyone loves a winner, eh?
Everyone loves a winner indeed, but he doesn't, in terms of his splits, like he's not in the top 10 in terms of swim, bike or run for Super League from 2018. So it just shows you that
he's maturing as an athlete. He really is maturing as an athlete. I think Singapore was his best performance last year on that Super League circuit. And
by far. So sixth in Singapore, and 10th was his next best in Malta, 15th year in Jersey last year. So he's just getting better and better.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think Jonas Schomburg almost overcooked that corner. He was a little bit wobbly and he actually lost some time. Jonathan Brownlee is actually gaining some time now on them. And it's good to see Hayden Wild is in that mix. And even the youngster Hensley, the junior, he's
too,
in that
6.
mix.
He's in there between Aaron Royal and Hayden Wild. Simon Henslett.
He's ripping through the field.
Oh, we have Pujard, who's actually attacking this group. Yeah.
And Gustav Eden.
Listen, he's actually struggling a little bit.
with these dead turns.
Yeah,
why can't we make this race 15 times longer, he's thinking to himself. But it does require a different type of fitness.
But it just seemed like he was in such a big gear going around that corner. Surely you would be thinking about that, make sure you're in the right gear so that you can get around that corner and immediately be on the power. And he was trying to get on the power and change gear.
Gap's closed. When there was 2, there's now 3. And Johnny let that go.
It just seems like Johnny is always trying to catch up.
Yeah.
Pujard bridges the gap. So Aurelien Raphael, the Frenchman, led out early, got that 5 points on the bike, and now his countryman Pujard, who also qualified in Bali and is another member of that famed Rossi Tri team.
Looks like Hayden Wild is quite comfortable. He's in a very good position. He doesn't look too stressed or under pressure. I think he's just biding his time and waiting for his moment.
Just saw, just before we moved away, the line that Gustav Eden took into that dead turn was just a little narrower than everybody else, and it seems that he loses a little bit of speed. He didn't go quite as wide. He kind of came in a bit too narrow and forced himself far wide on the exit. And these are the little things, I suppose, as we mentioned before, that really make Super League what it is. There's no time to make up for something like that. You can really see it go away from you.
And we saw it in the junior race this morning, and it could be a big problem tomorrow if we see a bit of wet water on the road and it raining, because as you sort of drift back and you find yourself chasing, you tend to take that little bit more of a chance as you come into those corners. You slam that front brakes on and people drop the bike. So he seems desperate to get across to that group. That gap was open. He ran a terrible line and the gap got bigger.
A little bit of wet water, eh?
Yeah, a little bit of wet water.
It's the worst kind of water, wet
There's
water.
dry water, isn't there? It's got
yeah,
ice.
no, it's on there now.
Okay, yeah,
you can't see it.
Pujard is actually putting in a bit of a surge. He's trying to get away. I think he's also trying to do something that Vincent Louis was doing, and it seems like Jonas Stromberg is not as comfortable on the bike as what he should be. He's just hesitating around that roundabout, and he's just leaving like a second or two just behind, and you can see that has created a gap now.
Yeah, he had that little moment before, and then that maybe is all it takes. Suddenly you think, oh, I just need to finish in the top 5. I don't need to bust myself today. But Anthony Pujard, the 28-year-old, second in the Mediterranean Sprint Champs in the middle of the year, certainly knows how to do it over the short distances, and he's probably put 5 seconds in just in the last 800 or so metres.
He's doing it all with bike skills. He's just really handling this course very, very well. He's taking good lines. He's accelerating out of the corners well. It's all. He's a technician.
Yeah, he's using the full road just to make sure that he can use every little bit of this course. And yeah, I mean, he's really holding it tough. Oh, Hayden Wild is coming out to the front. I think he's going to try and attack, or maybe just pull the group together. You never know.
Well, Hayden Wild's the kind of guy who'll want that short shoot in his pocket. He knows, he's seen it before. He's been on course and had races taken away from him. There's Dorian Connings, who looks like he's deep in it. Chris Perrin behind, and there's Aurelien Raphael, who had a fantastic swim. Again, a very narrow line coming into that dead turn.
It seems like the guys going for the swimmer's jersey are really pushing the pace in the beginning, and then they're kind of falling off. So I don't know if they're getting into that red too soon.
They've got to get to tomorrow's final to take those points to hold that jersey for the round win. So there's no use cooking it and then not making through the final.
Lovely angle there of the roundabout from the top end. But
so there we go, Hayden Wild.
Yep.
That's that mountain bike skill of Hayden Wild. He grew up on a mountain bike. He grew up in the South Island of New Zealand.
Yeah.
And
he's a dual junior exterior world champ. So
yeah, he would be loving this course, especially with the extra dogleg that we've added in here on this year's course.
Big group behind. It's going to be a good fight at the end if they can stay together. Canute there and Eden at the back.
Hanging on.
He's been at the back the whole time, and Canute actually slid around him. He was behind him a couple of laps ago, so he's not enjoying the tight turns.
Doherty is actually moving up really well on the bike.
He was number 50. He's the one that was at the back coming out of the water, so he's made a big effort there.
Yeah, there we go. Hayden Wild putting in a little surge. I think he's trying to actually get as much time as he can, because he knows his swimming is not a strong point, and he's going to put in a very strong run as well.
I think that'll be the fastest bike of the day for him, because this is the bike that counts for the jersey.
Let's go down to Joe in transition. How are you seeing this? It's a race in 2 at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. There's 2 in front, Jodie. Are you surprised that they're neck and neck right now?
No, not really. I mean, Hayden's going to go go away on this run now. He's one of the fastest runners on this course. He needs a gap going into the swim to help him, because that's his weakness. He's doing this right on key, what he should be doing.
We've just seen Johnny Brownlee come past us. He seems to be struggling a little bit though. Do you think he has it in him to stay in the top 5?
Yeah, definitely. He'll definitely, I think, stay in the top 5. He just needs to be in contention and he'll be fine. Hayden really needs to play this smart and get an advantage, whereas Johnny doesn't necessarily at this point.
Okay, well, it's a good battle for spots there. Just the top 5, and then, of course, those fastest losers. Good battle down here.
Thanks, guys. Hayden Wild first up the hill. He didn't rack his bike. He racked his bike front in, as per normal.
Monster transition.
Yeah, he did.
Hayden.
Maybe he made that decision.
He really set that up. He works the runs very well. He likes to be out in front. He's got a big gap. I wonder what's going through his head. We remember he debuted here last year in Jersey with that big sprint finish against Mario Mola, and he's just gone from strength to strength.
Yeah, he just nearly took a wrong turn there.
Nearly took the bike course. It's just a shorter turn up near the fan zone. He'll make the long left, come off this straight,
I
make
think
a
he's
left
really
hand.
trying to maximize his time on the run here.
Get that margin of error for the swim.
Exactly. Someone we haven't mentioned is Aaron Royal. He's actually sitting really well in that group, and I think with his swim strength, he could also move towards the front, maybe get a breakaway with Johnny Brownlee, Anthony Pajard, and maybe Jonas Stromberg as well.
And the junior.
Well, these two.
Ben Canute.
From Simon Hensel, it looks behind him and sees a world champion, and he sees Ben Canute as well. He just thinks, what a day I'm having. What an absolute day I'm having. Won the junior race, and now look at the guys that are behind me on this one.
Just taking scalps.
Yeah, no, that's the beauty of Super League in terms of giving people opportunities to race on the big stage. That's exactly what we're all about at Super League Triathlon. And in terms of the last couple of years of giving people opportunities to shine on the big stage, if you think back to 1 year ago, Hayden Wild announced himself with a sprint finish with Mario Mola, who was at the time the world champion, and bested him for 6th and 7th. And that's when we really remember the name Hayden Wild, and he really showed us what he was capable of in the rounds that came after that, and now he's leading a semi-final.
Oh, it's awesome. He's just such a good personality. He's one of the favourites on the circuit of all the athletes and all the staff. He's just a bundle of fun. He's gone from strength to strength this year, and just watching his progression as an athlete has been remarkable.
He looks very comfortable. It seems, well, he could be having the poker face on, but he looks comfortable in the run. Johnny's headed to the front of the chasing pack ahead of Aaron Royal.
Look at the big screen.
Yeah, he looks very in control. Johnny Brownlee pushing the pace behind.
Aaron Royal.
Yeah, Aaron Royal. He's looking very comfortable, actually. I think he could be one to maybe challenge Hayden Wild towards the end.
Gustav Eden's had to move up a lot. He doesn't have a big swim, so this next 800 metres for him is important to at least try and get on the back of this group if he possibly can, and have some feet to follow in the swim.
Someone needs to bridge cross, because Aidan Longcroft Harris is losing touch with the top 5, who is at the moment Wild, Brownlee, Royal, Pajard and Schomburg. 2 seconds back, Longcroft Harris, but he looks pretty deep in it. Gustav Eden another 3 seconds back, and as you say, he needs to get across. And then we have our junior, and behind him, Ben Canute, 5 seconds back, actually. So it looks like he's actually lost a little bit of time from last time we saw them both on screen.
Ben Canute being behind Gustav Eden is a good thing, because Ben Canute is really, really strong in that second swim. We've seen him many times close that gap, or close some gap. And when you look at the back of that top, we're talking 10 seconds, over 300 metres. Ben Canute swim, he could close that to that group.
We might lose Dorian Connings in this one. He's proved to himself, proved to be so quick. He's part of that world champion and Tokyo test. That sprint finish he had with Alex Yee was absolutely outstanding. He knows how to put it down, but at the moment, he's a good 30 seconds behind. So we might lose the Frenchman. There is Eden, who's coming up on Longcroft Harris, and behind him, Simon Henselet. Con Doherty, who's dug very deep, and there is Ben Canute, right. He's actually been overtaken just then by Doherty. You can see on the timing splits, Doherty was behind, and he's now in front.
Well, Doherty struggled in that first swim, and it looks like he's obviously a big bike, big runner. So he's using all his matches right now to stay in the hunt.
Yeah, Constantine Doherty, 23 years of age. Gold in Nummo in the Sprint World Cup in August. He's also the Oceania Sprint Cup champion, won that on the Gold Coast, and a couple of times he's been the Irish national champion as well. So he knows how to sprint, but Hayden Wild knows how to put it together in the black and yellow. He's proved that time and time again. So he's controlling this race just at the moment, 7 seconds ahead of Brownlee. It was 7 seconds. Sorry, now it's 11 seconds. So
yeah, he won't
out
be
the
letting
front.
up. He won't be letting up just yet. He knows that there are some strong swimmers coming from behind, and yeah, I think he's just trying to make the most of everything. Like you can see, he's trying to have the quickest transition that he can possible.
What do you think of that?
What happened then?
Well, he's just thought I'd be quicker if I do it on the run.
Oh.
But I don't know if it is.
That's the first time I've ever seen anything like that in my life, and it's typical of the Falcon to think of something like that.
Why don't I just take him off here?
Yeah, while I'm running. This is a
What do you
transition.
think? I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. We'll have to get the numbers crunched on that.
Johnny Brownlee, good transition. Aaron Royal, as you said, Henry, right there with a big swim. And Gustav Eden has moved all the way through. It's exactly what he had to do. He's closed that gap. He's got Jonas Schomburg behind him. He's going to have to swim around him along with Ben Canute, who's a big swimmer. So Gustav's in a good position with swimmers around him that he can use to stay in contention.
If Schomburg was clever, he would actually try and pass him on the run down to the water. Otherwise, trying to pass him in the water would be much more difficult than running around him.
Well, he can get in your way, right? You're a fast swimmer. I was always back. It's those slower swimmers as you're trying to move through that get in your way and make progression forward difficult.
Well, Schomburg's too far back there. They were both on the ramp coming down. So he's going to have to pass Gustav Eden in the water. But out the front, Hayden Wild, currently at 17 minutes. Looking at 36 minutes is the mark. We're down one triathlon. We're into the second. So
at the moment, it's quicker.
Yeah, well, I'd say the second swim's going to be a bit slower than the first one. Brownlee, 12 seconds back. Royal hanging in there. He was only a late inclusion, Aaron Royal. Rang up and said I wanted to be involved. We had a couple of people pull out. Aaron Royal's come in, former under-23 world champion. He's 29 years of age now.
Australian Olympian.
Yep.
He's a great athlete, Aaron Royal. He's been a fantastic junior in Australia, now one of the veterans of the Australian circuit. Just a magnificent athlete.
Finished 16th in the Lausanne Grand Final. He was part of the bronze winning team in the World Cup in Hamburg for the mixed team relay. So he's still very, very fast. There's no doubt about it. He's showing that now. Poujard is having an impressive run as well. 14 seconds back along with Royal. Be good to see him as a qualifier come into the mix. There is Aurelien Raphael. He'll need to have the swim of his life. Need to put an outboard motor on.
Yeah, he's fighting for survival now. He may be eliminated. I think he'll
Getting
survive
close.
this swim, but
maybe not the seam.
Yeah.
Probably won't make it to the end. He was 1 minute and 2 seconds back. Now it's 1 minute and 7 seconds. He can swim some of that away, but not much probably.
I think Johnny is actually going to be closing up this gap, and it's quite good to see that they are working with each other, these three strong swimmers. They're not on top of each other, and they're getting into a single line, single file, and that way they can catch Hayden Wild a lot easier.
How much of a difference, just for people who are just tuning in, how much of a difference does that make? Because you hear that a lot, but like when you're on someone's feet like that, even when you're side by side versus someone's feet or on a hip, what difference does it make?
It just kind of feels like you're getting sucked back when they're sitting on your wave on your shoulder, and it's just not a nice feeling, especially if you have two people next to you or sitting on your shoulder. It just feels like you're working 10 times harder. So if you're trying to be tactical and maybe slow them down, then do that. But if you want to catch up and catch up to Hayden Wild in front here, get into single file, or if you're trying to get a breakaway, just be in single file.
So if you're on someone's feet, how much easier are you working than someone like Wild who's on his own? Are you working
Hayden
more
Wild
easily?
is putting in quite a bit of effort. He's got no slip in front of him. Jonathan Brownlee would actually be gaining a little bit, that he's getting a little bit of the draft from Hayden right now. So he'll be...
What about if you're Royal sitting on Brownlee, like in terms of energy expenditure? Much less?
I think Royal is quite a strong swimmer, so he might also just be using this to recover, make his move on the bike and run.
I was that annoying athlete that used to try and sit on your hip and slow you down, because it's an unbelievable feeling. It might feel terrible for the person leading the swim, but for the person sitting off the hip, it's a perfect spot to be. It's like surfing that wake.
Yeah, you can save about 30% energy. That's
huge.
Really a nice feeling.
That's a
Hayden
huge
Wild
amount of
has had a
energy.
really good swim. I'm actually really impressed. He's held off the strong swimmers from behind, and he's still got maybe 3 or 4 seconds.
Brownlee and Royal come in 1 and 2 next to each other. Sorry, obviously 2 and 3. Behind them is Anthony Poujard, and then quite a big gap to
Longcroft Harris.
Longcroft Harris, who's managed to hold off the chasing pack. Eden should be there or thereabouts, and Schomburg.
Eden, good swim with Schomburg, never went around him. Stayed with him, but that's a good spot to be.
Yeah, it really is. That's a much improved swim. I guess we can expect that from Gustav Eden to really work into this one. All right, Joe and Jody are in transition. Talk us through it, guys.
Quite noticeably colder down here, hasn't it? A bit more windy. How's that going to affect things?
Yeah, it's definitely colder. I mean, they're out of the swim now, so I think the boys will be fine. They won't get too cold now, but the temperature's definitely dropped.
Okay, and the positions, they just keep changing. We've had Brownlee caught right up. Now Wild seems to have gotten away, and Raphael, who was in the lead at the start, is dropping off the back.
Yeah, definitely. That's why this event is so you have to do swim, bike, run. You have to be up there. You have to be in contention. I'd put my money on Wild at this point, definitely. If he comes in and contention onto the run, it's his game.
But it's all changing hands. Anything can happen. Back to you.
Thanks, guys. We know how deep Ben Canute can dig, and Gustav Eden as well, and they're going to need to do that. 28 and 29 seconds back.
Yeah, Hayden Wild knows he's got a chance now. He can really extend this lead if he pushes hard on the bike, uses his bike skill to his advantage.
He hasn't put his shoes on yet. Look at that. He still hasn't slid into his shoes. He's gone all the way around that roundabout without transitioning into those bike shoes.
He's being really aggressive right now, trying to maximise that gap.
He was also maximising the draft off the bike there early through that roundabout, and coming off that onto the straight. But yeah, one shoe on.
Getting back into the bike shoes for the second time is actually more difficult because it's not set up 100%.
Yeah.
So sometimes your shoes are a little bit closed, and to try and get your feet in that second time is actually quite an art by itself.
Well, I imagine also you're cold, your feet are cold, your hands are cold, fumbling around down there trying to make sure that everything's under control.
He's chasing that gap. He's not even trying to put that left foot in yet. He's opening up. He's trying to get up to speed. He'll lean down when he's his fastest speed so he doesn't lose any time. So he's committed to getting away from
I would have thought it was there. I would have thought it was downhill into that spot. I mean, there's not a lot of spots. There's not a lot of nice straights that you can...
It's true, it's still not on. He's thinking, I'm away here. I'm going to keep pushing forward. Now I'll put the foot in. It took him a lap to get both those feet in.
Yeah, he knows he's going to be slowing down right now, so he used that part of the course to just try and put his foot in. Anthony Pajard is really pushing on behind, trying to close that gap.
Using that bike skill we saw in that opening bike leg. Johnny Brownlee kind of follow, and as you said, Aaron Royal has really set up his race by really shadowing Johnny Brownlee.
Aaron Royal, I think, is having a really good race. I think he's tactically in the best position so far in the whole race. I think he might have a little bit more energy towards the end of this.
Yeah, without question. He's got a good run. These four are away. They're safe. The top five are safe. It's Gustav Eden now. I'm looking at the Ben Canutes. The Jonas Schomburg, who was so strong in that opening triathlon, has drifted a little bit further back. He's got himself some work to do.
Canute and Schomburg are capable, we think, of catching Longcroft Harris. He's our bubble athlete. He's 14 seconds back. He's all by himself. He's 9 seconds ahead of Canute and Schomburg and Eden, who are very accomplished athletes, and two of them know this kind of format quite well. I'd love to see Hayden Longcroft Harris stick solid and get through.
So would I. It's just good to see a qualifier take out contracted athletes. It just shows that nobody's safe. Names mean nothing in this style of racing, and each week you turn up to defend your name. And Longcroft Harris says, I don't care if you got a contract or not. We're all in this race together. I'm going to take you out. If you don't make the final, tough luck.
Well, he's certainly doing that just at the moment, and Hayden Wild is showing some fantastic bike skills, really maximising this course, and there is a few dangers out there. We've seen a few people come unstuck, but he looks like he's got it on rails. He looks a bit like Lewis was.
Yeah, he's done the same as Vincent Lewis. He's just established that break early from that first run and just sort of held it. As you said, Henry, he had a magnificent swim, and he looks as comfortable as Vincent did in the first race, calling out the crowd.
I'm liking this calling out the crowd on the bike. That's another new one.
That's very confident.
Yeah, we saw Vincent do it on the run. He saw Vincent do it on the run in the last one, but I'll do it on the bike.
That was the run, mate.
Yeah, I'm doing it easy.
Well, at what point in Super League does someone stop halfway through the swim and just,
Only
Yeah,
if he could do that.
everybody. Henry's, I've seen him be so far in front, he's had to turn around to make sure he was going the right way.
But Royal, Pujard and Brownie are actually working really well together. They're taking their turns, trying to catch Hayden Wild up front.
And there's Ben Canute. You don't want Ben Canute behind you because that guy does not stop. He's a little bit like a Christian Blumenfeld. He just continually moves forward, and Longcroft Harris is going to get hunted down by Jonas Schomburg, Ben Canute. We'll stop him.
Yeah, it's going to be quite a race for that top 5 automatic slot. And I do feel like this race is a little bit quicker than the first one.
Yeah, I think it has that feeling, doesn't it? Without question. Hayden pushing up the front. You've got Johnny Brownlee and that crew chasing behind. And that desperation of that third group to close that gap has kept the pace consistently stronger.
Yeah, that is not good news if you're a Canadian fan.
How he's swinging around that corner. He's using every bit of the course, and he's actually gaining a second just on that roundabout, that U-turn.
He rides a bike beautifully. You know, Leo Bergier is another athlete I like to watch on a bike. He seems to sit very well, rides good lines, and Hayden Wild, you can just see that mountain bike skill. And you apply that to a road bike, he just uses the entire road, very comfortable in and out of those turns, and just comfortable.
We're going to have an elimination, I think, coming through transition. I saw it come up at the 130, and it is Dorian Connix, who is one of the bigger names out there.
Yeah.
And he hasn't had a good day today, and that is why we have the elimination rule, because he was about to get lapped by Hayden Wild, who looks like he's just out for a Sunday ride.
Yeah, he's ripping up this bike course, and he's making it really difficult for the guys like Konex, who just got eliminated.
Well, he likes the new course, because last year we didn't see him as much. We saw him a lot further back. This is only the semi-final, but I think he likes those more dead turns. He's able to use more of the road. He's out in front on his own. He's just riding away.
Now, Hayden Wild has won a stage before in stage racing, and he picked up $1,000 for that. It was at the top of the hill in Malta. And remember they had a discussion, him and Johnny Brownlee, really, about who was going to win that stage, and the two of them went up, and Hayden kicked on and won it. But that's a stage, and that's almost, it's not an orchestrated victory, but he kicked away. He has never dominated a race like this, and this has got half the field in it. This, a little bit like Rachel Clammer earlier on, is a little bit more, just another step in the coming of age scenario for Hayden Wild, who is now puts a legitimate, well, it was a stage win. This is a race win.
Yes.
And put that in the back pocket.
It's been a more even performance. As you said, in Malta last year, it was a big run performance. For Hayden, this event, he's really dominated. He's come off that swim a little bit further back. He moved up on the bike. He made his move on that run, held on in that second swim, and has just established himself on this bike ride. And he's going to be very difficult to run down from here. He won't be run down from here.
Yeah, he's just gaining confidence as this race goes further on. You can just see how he's so comfortable on the bike, just swinging around the corners like it's just a Sunday ride. And even though these guys are trying to work as hard as they can together, they're still losing time to him.
Well, these three have almost, you think, put the cue in the rack when it comes to winning this one. 23 seconds back. It's almost the exact same scenario on lap 4 of the bike. There were 23 seconds back in the last semi-final. And the same things happen. Off he goes to the bike, Hayden Wild, off his S-Works Venge, which is a beautiful looking bike. And racket frontways this time. We're not going to need it again.
I just don't think he'll jog either, Hayden. I think he's going to lap this up. He'll move along well.
He's got 8 minutes.
It'll be interesting to see. I mean, he should also be thinking about the race tomorrow. And I think tactically he's done it really well to increase that gap on the bike so that he can have an easier run. His body will be a little bit, if he can have an easier run now, his body will be fresher tomorrow for the final.
He looks incredibly composed when you look at that versus the faces of these three guys, Anthony Pujard, Aaron Royal, and Jonathan Brownlee. But 36.03 for Vincent Lewis was the mark. Martin Van Riel in the 36.12. It's gotten a little bit colder. If anything, the conditions aren't quite as good, but
what have we got
let's
off
see
the
what
bike?
happens.
Let's do the math. What time were they off the
I
bike?
think it's going to be much quicker.
So 29.55 was the coming out of transition. So effectively it's a 6 minutes.
36, you said.
36.03.
So 29.05 is 7 minutes.
What?
If there's 36 minutes and they did 29.03, let's do the math.
29.55.
Oh, I thought you said 29.03. I'll give you that then.
Coming out of transition on the 1600, 29.55.
Okay, so a 5-minute mile, which is a
my brain melted there a second. I thought, have I lost it?
So Hayden Wild is actually not really pushing. You can see he's just kind of going through the motions.
Vince had Martin Van Riel with him.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes a difference or not.
This is a quicker heat. If he cruises a 5-minute mile, which is a nice run, it's a comfortable run. You're in under the winning time of Vincent Lewis. So it's a nice race by Hayden Wild.
The bike goes down for Chris Perham, and he's on the bubble. Where's the... Oh, there we go. He was close, nearly making it through the first lap of this run, but not close enough. Michael Thompson takes a little bit of joy in putting that out, doesn't he?
Smirk. He has
just a little smirk.
You are the
I was out
weakest
there
link.
this morning, and the crowd were actually booing him.
Constantine Doherty, the Irishman, is a minute back, so he should hold on because Hayden Wild is not running at his full capacity. But
he's almost using it like a warm down, basically.
Well, we'll see. At what point does he throw a high five out during the first run through transition, or does he wait until the second time through transition?
You can never read the Falcon. He does everything.
No, yes, exactly. Will he take his shoes off and have one run around like Leo Bergier in Singapore just to do something different? Who knows? But this is an interesting little battle. Poujade, Royal and Brownlee.
He's experienced there. Johnny knows he's safe. He's going to run through this as easy as possible.
This is a gauntlet throwdown, though, isn't it, for Wild? This is. I'm here for business. I'm here to do it in Super League. He's been committed to Super League since he came on, and he's showing everyone that he has got the skills, the stamina at this stage of the season to win this thing, to challenge Vincent Lewis for the round win, to pick up $20,000 US. He comes through in a 30.42.
Yeah, it seems like Jonathan Brownlee, hasn't been on the front much. I think he's thinking a lot about tomorrow. He's not thinking about winning this or getting the short shoot. He's just being very tactical, and maybe that plays in his favour tomorrow.
Yeah, I saw him looking at the short shoot when we were constructing it over the weekend. He said, that's it. There's only a 3-second advantage maximum.
It's not as far.
It's not as far. So
he was 70% as far as it was.
Yeah.
Put it down about 30%.
Yeah. Here we have Gustav Eden. I think he'll get that fifth qualifying spot. And Ben Canute is pushing hard behind him.
Jonas Schomburg off the back. And Jonas Schomburg, who came in with so much promise at the start, has to push.
He really does have to push. Our sixth place was Pierre Lecour in a 36.32. So that's your first qualifying time at the moment. This is a fast heat, though. If you look at that 32.33, they're all within about the 33. So they've got to run 800 metres in about 3 minutes.
Which is comfortable for everyone in
for
this
you.
Yeah, Hayden must just be loving this right now. It's such an amazing feeling when you're out in front, very controlled, and you know you're going to take the win. He's just soaking it all in, and I'm sure he's going to have so much confidence come tomorrow. And I think Vincent Louis should be a little bit scared.
Yeah. It's an amazing performance. It's a performance. I don't think Vincent's going to be alone. Last year he had yourself and Richard Murray in this enduro format. I think Hayden's going to be right there, and the only kryptonite he has, I guess, is the swim, and he needs to stay close again with 15 in the final tomorrow.
Yeah, Vincent Louis would know that, and I think he's already planning that's where he's going to make his move, is on the swim.
Yeah, after his efforts in Super League, there's a big smile from the Falcon after his Super League efforts. He's even having a chat. He really announced himself on the WTS this year as well. He's led races at times. He's become a force. He's become at least someone to think about. And he said his aim this year is top 4 in the series, and he's certainly laying down a marker. Vincent Lewis, though, has never lost an enduro. He's won all 3 previous enduros. We'll have swim, bike, run, swim, bike, run, swim, bike, run tomorrow. And could it be these two? There's the Falcon wings, and everybody loves it. Absolutely loves it. And no one loves it more than Hayden Wild. He's even spotting people in the crowd. And it looks like he's going to run in under the 36 mark. We're going to have to look at that when he comes through at the end. But this has been a fast heat, and there is no one in transition except for Hayden Wild, who runs around the bottom. Let's not forget that Vincent took a long time to get around through transition himself. He's got the New Zealand flag. I hope personally that he picked up an Australian one by accident. They're very similar, but it doesn't matter. The Falcon crosses the line as your semi-final B winner. Congratulations to Hayden Wild. He did it easy in the end, and he has sent a bit of a shockwave through the competition. Aaron Royal breaks away. Well done to him as a late inclusion, the Australian, to qualify. Anthony Poujade qualifies as well.
Johnny switched off.
Johnny qualifies, and there's Gustav Eden at the top end of the course. What a big crowd we've had here in Jersey today. The weather has stayed away, and the people of Jersey have come out in force. There's been people travelling from all over the world as well. And Ben Canute, no time for high fives. Him and Constantine Doherty, along with Schomburg, all know they need to be quick. It was a 35-34 from Hayden Wild, 32 seconds quicker than Vincent Lewis did the job. And when you look back, if you watch that first race, he looks supreme, Vincent Lewis, and to put 30-plus seconds into him, well, that is quality.
That was a big race, and for Schomburg, I think that the pace of that race is going to get him through the final, but he cannot make those mistakes tomorrow. I think Hayden has really stepped up here, and Vincent Lewis is probably listening to us right now, if you're watching this online. He's made a statement, Hayden Wild, that's for sure.
Wild, Royal and Poujade all beat Vincent Lewis in that heat. Johnny Brownlee was 1 second outside the time. And Eden as well in a 36-16. We're going to have the updated results and who was on the bubble in just a second. But in the meantime, let's head down to Joe, who has Hayden Wild, our semi-final B winner.
Okay. Well, we are just down here. We're just getting warm now. Hayden, you said you wanted a post-race interview. You earned one. How did it feel to dominate like that?
I wasn't expecting that. I had a really good swim start, kind of like around that middle edge of the buoy, and I was real clean around the buoy. And yeah, got up into a real good position, and it was quite hard to get through everyone. But by the time I got to the front, it was about in third position. And then I saw one of the French coaches go for it, so I was like, I'll try and catch him, and that's when we got the gap. Put the pressure on the first run so I could get a gap in the swim, because that's what I needed. Super surprised I didn't get caught in the swim. I was waiting for that. But yeah, got on the bike and just went for it for the first 2 laps, and then just started kind of just using the corners to my advantage, being out the front. And then as soon as I got the gap, I just tried to make the run as easy as possible for tomorrow.
And I don't know if you know this, but you were over 30 seconds quicker than Vincent Louis. Do you think that you can put pressure on him tomorrow, perhaps cause an upset?
You never know. Like, he could have been saving it, but yeah, I just went out there and put it all on the line. I was really enjoying heading out at the front. So yeah, looking forward to racing Vincent. But he's strong over all 3 disciplines, and I'm still young and I'm still learning on that swim leg. So I think that's where he's going to have the upper edge for me. So I really need to be in my game to get him tomorrow.
Okay, now one thing we did notice was quite a few shoe issues. What was going on there? There was one when you put your shoes on running, then you lost one on your bike. What happened?
Well, I actually didn't lose one on my bike. I just had it sitting on top, so I was waiting into a good position. So there's no point in kind of fighting around with your shoes when you're kind of like on a front straight. So I was always trying to put them on in the corner so I wouldn't lose any time. And yeah, it worked perfectly. So yeah, it went real well. And here, when I was trying to take my shoes off, I figured out if I just keep on kind of rolling with momentum, I don't have to fully stop in transition, so I can just quickly let them down and go, and that's what I did. So it worked out pretty well.
Excellent. Well, you have definitely announced yourself at Super League Triathlon, and we look forward to seeing what you can do tomorrow.
Yeah, for sure. It was my first Super League here last year, and that's when I kind of had my kind of first kind of outbreak in my big kind of career top 5. So it's nice to come back and get the win here today.
Good luck tomorrow.
The Falcon just keeps flying on, and this time he wins the semi-final, and he does it in a 35-34, 30 seconds quicker than in Heat A, or semi-final A. Aaron Royal comes in under Vincent Lewis's time. Anthony Poujade does as well. Jonathan Brownlee was only a couple of seconds outside that time. And Gustav Eden, the 70.3 world champ, he can do it on the short course as well. He does a 36-16. We've done the math in here, and it looks as though Ben Canute, Constantine Doherty, Jonas Schomburg, and our junior Simon Henselet, having raced this morning as well, will all go through to the final. Aidan Longcroft-Harris is also at a 36-36. So I'm not sure what happens there, because 36-32 was Pierre Lacour. So he'll jump in. So one of these two at 36-36 will go through. If it's a dead heat bracket, do they both go through?
It'll go to hundredths of a second. We just won't see that on the television coverage, but there's hundredths of a second with the timing, and
we'll have to have a look at it. It's going to be interesting
to see who gets that. Wouldn't it be amazing if the young junior who raced this morning grabs the spot in tomorrow's final?
That would be amazing. Henselet on our timing list is ahead of Longcroft-Harris, although they both have a 36-36, so we'll have to look at the hundredths of a second to see if indeed Simon Henselet can go through. That would be fantastic. And look at that, the kid's getting involved, and Hayden Wild all smiles. He really just keeps coming on in leaps and bounds.
It's the best performance I've seen of Hayden. We saw him in Malta last year. He looked fantastic. But today, he just looks so controlled, so in the zone. I can't wait for tomorrow's race.
Speaking of controlled, Johnny Brownlee certainly was that. He knew he had to qualify. He did what he had to do. He's down there with Joe right now.
Yes, Johnny, you did look controlled out there. 4th place, a little bit of up and down. Are you happy with that?
Yeah, it was solid. it was a tough racing, and when I knew that Hayden was going off the front, I knew then that I was just going to come in the top 5 and that'd be enough. So hopefully I have better legs tomorrow, but yeah, it was tough.
And I also know you've been a little bit under the weather, so hopefully that sort of got you back in gear ahead of tomorrow. Were you sort of saving a little bit of something because of that?
Oh yeah, well, I didn't want to make an excuse, but yeah, I know we're feeling great, but hopefully I'll feel better tomorrow. But yeah, it was tough, you know. You got to be 100% on it in this racing, and hopefully I recover better than most people. That's knowing my strength is backing it up, but tomorrow's a new day, and we'll see.
But of course the crowd here obviously loves you. You're our British Olympian. How much was the crowd helping you on for the tough moments today?
Yeah, the crowd was amazing. To be honest, if it wasn't Jersey in Britain, I probably wouldn't have raced this time around. Yeah, it's an amazing place to race. We're so fortunate being British athletes to have the best crowd in the world. You know, I've been watching the World Cycling Champs all morning, and the Yorkshire crowd is amazing then, and we're just so fortunate that people come out and watch us. So yeah, thank you so much.
Well, keep warm, eat well. We'll see you on the start line tomorrow.
Cheers, thank you very much.
Johnny Brownlee keeping it close to his chest that he wasn't feeling too well, but he always turns out in front of the Jersey crowd. I am hearing as well, as we look at the Jersey cow there, that's fantastic, that Simon Henseleit is in.
Oh, look at that. What a story, huh? There was a lot of talk when we offered that junior slot in the semi-final whether the athletes would take it. If some of the federations said they're not up for it and these juniors will be exposed and it shouldn't happen. Others said we're going to take that chance, and voila, the German has put himself straight in with the world's best into a final.
Such an amazing opportunity. I mean, he's going to be racing against Vincent Louis and Jonathan Brownlee again, and you know, it's something that he can take into his stride, and he's definitely going to improve from this.
Not only that, he's going to be racing in front of a potential television audience of 1.5 billion people. You don't get much better than that. If you're looking at sponsors, if you're looking at exposure, we have the biggest television broadcasting in multi-sport history, and Simon Henseleit came here as a junior this morning to race in the junior race, and he's going to do that tomorrow.
He's now in the top 15, and I always think back, you know, I remember a 19-year-old Alistair Brownlee at that Beijing Olympics, and at 23 he's an Olympic champion. You know, these young athletes having the opportunity to race their heroes is a big opportunity, and I'd take it.
We knew it was going to be a big swimming semi-final, and it didn't disappoint. There were some very, very quick times, and right at the front of that was Aidan Longcroft-Harris, Jonas Schomburg as well, and Anthony Poujard, and those two in front of him, they dropped away in the end, but Poujard stayed strong. Brownlee did as well, and so did Royal, the trio behind them. But Poujard was very strong, surprisingly strong. I mean, I've done my research into him, but he was out here to race today.
He was technically very, very strong on that bike. He used his technical bike course to his advantage and was able to stay out of trouble and set everything up.
That was where Hayden Wilde took control. He really had a quick. We thought maybe he made a mistake and overlooked it racking his bike front on, but his transition there was what set up the rest of his race. He really put in the extra time, so he had the ability to have a nice clear swim, and he swam well. You mentioned it at the time.
Yeah, he really had a good swim. Really impressed with that, and he just capitalized even more on that second bike, just extending that lead.
It's interesting to me with the little things that Hayden Wilde did, that momentum in his transition. I've never seen that before in my life, and that's what Super League's doing. He's taking his shoes off while he's running. He's mentored by Olympic champion Hamish Carter, who won the Athens Olympic Games. He's a Kiwi, one of the superstars of the old era of triathlon. He just seems to be doing all the little things right. He's 100% a star of the future, Hayden Wilde.
Forget star of the future.
He's a star
of right now.
He really is.
He had his top 5 finishes. He said in that interview that's where he really felt like he announced himself or made a breakthrough. Well, if that was a breakthrough, he's completely shattered it now, because he is the quickest man of the day around this course, and you can't ask for more than that from one day's racing.
And he's for the first time in his life, he gets to pick the pontoon position he starts tomorrow, so they'll be listing the top 15 times, and Hayden Wilde will stand up first and pick where he wants to start on that pontoon.
All right, we'll head down right now to Joe, who is soaking it up down there in transition. There's plenty of people around, Joe.
Yes, plenty of people around. You know, the athletes are just starting to make their way and getting warm. I've got Jodie with me. Jodie, let's take a little look back at today. First of all, the big question, everyone's talking about Hayden Wilde, Vincent Louis. From the ground view up close that we get, who looked more comfortable?
Oh, that's really difficult to say. I think tomorrow you wouldn't bet against Vincent Louis, but I definitely think Hayden Wilde's going to give him a run for his money if he's there when it comes to the run leg. the thing is, I think he's got to be there to give it to him. I think Vincent Louis will try and get away from him beforehand.
And what an exciting set of races we've already seen today. Aside from Hayden and Vincent, who else out of the men's races looked strong for you today?
I'm not gonna not say Johnny Brownlee. You know, I would still back him. Aaron Royal looked really good today as well, and of course Martin Van Riel, he's going to be up there. He showed how strong he's going with that bike leg that bridged up to Vincent. I think, you know, there's definitely other key players that could be up there, and the French boys as well.
Okay, and in the women's race, in a way it's quite hard to compare those races because obviously there were less competitors in semi-final B, but who do you think looked strong?
Katie, you've got to say Katie. Katie, she'll get better each round. And she'll, you know, that'll just improve her each round, and of course Cassandra as well. But Sophie Caldwell looked good for me today as well, so I think she's going to improve every race as well.
Any surprises? Any upsets today? Eliminations? Things you didn't expect?
I think Hayden Wild. I think he, you know, the way that he dominated that final race, I think that was pretty impressive. And on the women's front as well, Rachel, I think even though it wasn't a shock, she was the favourite in that last one. She's showing that she's running well as well, and if she's there, then she'll be in the mix.
Yeah, we're all going wild for Hayden Wild today, and there were a number of incidents around kit today. People putting their bikes in reverse, people not having their shoes on properly. How much of a difference can these things make?
These little things make an absolutely massive difference in this format. You can kind of get away with it in Olympic distance, and you can, you know, you make these little mistakes, and you don't really get caught up with it. But these ones, because it's so short, sharp, you know that you really have to pay the consequence. You know, just little things like putting your hat and goggles in your suit ready for the next round, or putting your bike in the right way that you want to exit. Or on the run, you had some of the guys that had 2 running shoes. You know, all these little things, all these little tactics, they really add up. And I think that, you know, if you want to be in contention for the win tomorrow, you've got to play this part.
Okay, well, we've learnt a lot today from you, Jodie. Thank you so much. We'll hand it back to Will now.
Thanks very much, Joe. We're just down here and we've found the Falcon. He was flying past. He's got a grin on his face about a mile wide. Just now that we've had a couple of minutes to warm down on that one, how do you feel about what you did just then? Can I just also tell you that you were 35 seconds quicker than Vince?
Yeah, I went out there, I wanted to have a real good swim, I got on some good feet, and then, yeah, it was real hard to get through everyone. I was quite far out of the swim, but yeah, it was real easy to kind of get through everyone, and on that third leg I saw one of the French guys going, I was like, I need to get onto that guy's wheel, and yeah, just used the corners, got through, really wanted to pack on that first ride, and then go into that run to give myself an advantage in the swim. And I was surprised I didn't get caught in the swim because that's what I was kind of expecting. But yeah, held them off and got on the bike and just try to use those corners as everyone knows I love a course like this. And yeah, got on the run to just try and, you know, go as easy as possible to save it for tomorrow.
Just watching it in the commentary box, it was visually obvious that this technicality, this new addition to the course, you revelled in that. You really came off the roundabout, used that dog leg, and your bike skills were an obvious advantage over everyone else.
Yeah, like there's a few times where I had to tell the motorbike guys to hurry on up because he was slowing me down a little bit, but it was quite cool because the camera guy was going around and then you could see sparks coming off his motor scooter, so it was pretty cool. And so I kind of knew I was pushing the pace a bit on the bike, and yeah, I love that new dog leg because it slows the fast swimmers down that have the advantage out of the water, and yeah, it gives me some time to catch up. So yeah.
What was going through your mind in that last half a lap, because you had time to not only give the high fives, we've seen that a few, but at one point you're like, oh no, I see someone I recognise, I'll slow down, give